join us from our tent tomorrow up in St. Joe. Yeah, man, I think we're looking at the weather. I think we're smooth sailing till the weekend as of right now.
Okay. I'm going to take your word for it because I forgot to check the weather until later yesterday, and then I was like, or Sunday, I was like, uh-oh. Not looking good. How's Saturday looking? We've got the Cody and Gold garage sale item for wiffle ball. How are we looking for Saturday?
48% chance of rain right now.
48? Mm-hmm. What time of day?
So there's a 52% chance that it's not going to rain, Cody.
That's not how it works.
I know.
You know those percentages are coverage area. You know that.
I know. I'm trying to help you out, though.
Just let the man be optimistic, okay?
Trying to help you out.
Okay. I don't love.
There's no makeup dates for your thing. There's no rainouts.
I mean, as far as I know,
rain or shine.
You don't play, wiffle ball. You just gotta suffer through the elements.
It's a rain or shine type of setup. Of course, you guys can hit us up on the J Southland Tow Service text line 913-586-7610. Later on in the show, around 12:30, Matt Verderam of Sports Illustrated will join us. We'll get his thoughts not only on what's going on with the Chiefs right now, but across the league, right, with Jonathan Taylor, what's going to happen there, his thoughts on Joe Burrow and where things are at, and his thoughts on what Patrick Mahomes had to say to Albert Breer, one of his colleagues over at SI, as a matter of fact. Because Patrick Mahomes, once again, man, more than any other quarterback, gets asked about his money that he makes. And man,
people watch him in a bad way.
It's bizarre. I don't know if there's an athlete, period, right now that people pay more attention to his contract and how underpaid he is and how he's getting taken advantage of. I don't know if there's an athlete, period, in sports right now that has that going on. And Mahomes talked about how he views it again for the 10th time. I think we've kind of heard him explain his thought process. This time, he compared it to how Tom Brady went about his business, which is what you and I have tried to do when the comments have come out from Mike Florio, the same stuff.
Somebody who defended Tom Brady for that same action, by the way.
The same ideas that people praise Brady for in terms of structuring his deals in certain ways are how people are criticizing Mahomes. But Mahomes revealed he's, quote, trying to find a balance between getting paid fairly while still not taking too much money away from the team. He said the same way that Tom Brady did. He went on to say, I quote, I've looked at Tom's model and how he did it. So he's smart. This isn't just random. His team doesn't randomly come up with how they want to structure their deal and how they want to help the team to make sure they have flexibility. No, this is all calculated. Everything he does is calculated. He knows his end goal is all about legacy and what he can do for his legacy. He knows for his legacy, he needs rings. To get rings, you need to be able to build a championship roster. To build a championship roster, you can't take up every ounce of the salary cap. And that's why it's interesting how we sit here that Chris Jones deal is still not done, because
he mentions the Chris Jones deal in that story.
Yeah, because part of the thought, Cody, of working with a team on a deal that provides flexibility is knowing that I'm going to do this, but you're gonna keep guys like Chris Jones around, right? You're gonna keep guys like Travis Kelce around, aren't you?
I mean, I honestly think, and he's saying all the right things for both sides, because he knows that he also can't just hold down the QB market. Although I don't know anything can hold down the QB market, right? I mean, Deshaun Watson, just in the middle of nowhere, got a fully guaranteed contract, and they've never gone back to that. The quarterback market just kind of is what it is, and I don't think Mahomes taking a lesser number is going to inevitably change the fact that Joe Burrow will become the highest paid quarterback in the NFL very soon. What I don't understand is why everyone else outside of Kansas City won't just listen to the guy when he tells you why he's taking less. And I think the answer is because it makes all of your guys look bad. Makes everyone else look bad, right? Justin Herbert is like, I want flexibility. Well, not based on that contract. You took 5 years. You took a nearly fully, you took like this massive contract with all these incentives. You moved money out of next year, so I guess you helped him next year, but that's it. And in order to do this, you have to have, because this is a two-way street, you also have to have an organization that was willing to pay a guy $500 million and risk the fact that over the next 10 years he was going to be good. And it's a good thing to remind people that they took that risk when Patrick Mahomes only had the one Super Bowl. They didn't do this after he had 2 in his first 5 years and had gone to 5 straight AFC title games. They did this after just a couple of years of evidence. That's all they needed. They got 2 years of evidence, and they're like, okay, so he won a Super Bowl and an MVP. Okay, good enough. That sounds fine. Here's all the money. Right? They took the chance. They took the risk, and it's paying off. The Chiefs were taking a chance then. I know that we all saw how great he was. But at that time, even at that time, there's no way you knew he was for sure this. That in his first 5 years, all he would do is go to AFC title games, go to Super Bowls,
he already won a
win
Super
the Super
Bowl.
Bowls.
I mean, to me, once a quarterback at his age wins a Super Bowl, you feel confident in giving a long-term deal. Now, the 10-year deal obviously is unique, but once the quarterback under 25 wins a ring, I don't think you're concerned about what he's going to be in the future.
No, but but still, 10 years is a long time, man.
But we all know he's not going to see the end of this 10-year deal. There's going to be a new deal. Like, even if it doesn't happen before the start of this season, which there's been speculation that a restructure could happen, we always knew when he signed that deal. Technically, it was like, 12-year deal, I think, right? Because there was 2 years already. There was still 2 years left. So. But it was a new 10 new years, I guess is probably the right way to say it. We knew that wouldn't likely be the path. But as the deal goes on, you knew at some point Mahomes would slip back, and now he's 8th, I think, in terms of highest paid quarterback in the league. That was always going to happen unless every single year, like if you're like, well, he's got to be the highest paid every year. If that's what guys like Mike Florio and others are saying, well, that means every year he would have to restructure his contract. Okay, that's just not going to happen. He's cool with that.
He's now low enough that he'll make a change.
And it's time, whether it's before the season or at the end of this season, they're going to have to restructure it. Because he's not going to be good with making the 12th most money out of quarterbacks in the league. But he doesn't always have to have the highest salary on an annual basis. That's not a concern of his.
No, but it's just like not listening to the guy. It's like one thing for us to tell you. I get it. Like if we're just saying, because like Florio will tell you he's ripping off the league. Oh, Clark Hunt's funding his multi-yachts because they're not paying this guy. And you're like, what? He is saying he's okay with it. You know when I'll be honest with you. Players are not secretive when they are displeased with a contract. Jonathan Taylor's made it very clear. We've heard quarterbacks before in Kirk Cousins or other guys who, when they aren't being paid or want to get paid appropriately, or Deshaun, they make it very clear. Mahomes is like, nah, I'm good. And he has the luxury of doing this even more so now because of where he stands. He has a real chance at chasing very rare history. Take even Brady's name out of it. We've told you before that if he ever got to 4 Super Bowls, he'd be less than 5 people on this planet who have ever accomplished that feat. That's it. It'd be him and Montana and Bradshaw and Tom freaking Brady. That's it. He'd be in his own little exclusive club all by himself. So more now than ever, the contract flexibility becomes easier to swallow if you're Patrick Mahomes. And you're making tens of millions of dollars probably in endorsement stuff outside of that. He's the most marketable player in the NFL right now, right?
I think we looked this up at one point. It's well over $20 million a year based just off of endorsements on top of it. I still think a lot of it has to do with where you have other agents that obviously know that if Mahomes can't get a certain dollar amount, then they know their client has no chance of getting that dollar amount and pushing it forward. And so that's, I think, where a lot of it, and this is, look, we know a lot of the sources that Florio and all these other guys get. Who are they? They're agents. In a lot of cases, they're teams at times too, and GMs, but agents. And so this goes back with the running back stuff in the last month. I still think a lot of the pushing on the running back issue from some of the media and others have been because they're pretty close with some of these agents. And it's how they get some of their information and scoop. And I do think there's some going to bat for the player based off of these agents through the media. I think that's absolutely happened. And I think that's what has kind of happened here.
The funniest part about the running back thing is it is a tale as old as time. This is decidedly not new information. Teams have been churning through running backs, burning them out, and kicking their ass out of town incredibly quickly. Somebody pointed out, and this is a really good example. Go back to the Colts. Right when they got Peyton Manning, they had Marshall Faulk. And they were like, nah, we're good. We're going to take the picks. Right? we'll take the picks. See you, Faulk. We got a young quarterback. We'll figure it out. They then draft Edgerrin James, who was fantastic for them. Edgerrin James had a 1,500-yard, 12-touchdown season, and then they cut his ass too, and they drafted Joseph Adai. Right? That was a team who was good every single year, winning their division every single year, had a chance to win a Super Bowl every single year, and they had great running backs. They had Marshall Faulk, a Hall of Famer, and they're like, we'll see you later. Then they had Edgerrin James, another guy who was flirting with the Hall of Fame, right? I don't think he made it. Did he make it?
I don't believe so.
But a guy who had a great NFL career, especially by running back standards. And then they walked on his ass too, and they drafted Joseph Adai. It's just, this is the way of the league. That's why a lot of times the running back should at least still be thankful that teams take them in the top 10 of the NFL draft. Bijan Robinson should be thrilled he's going to get paid like a top 10 player in the NFL, because if they ever get rid of, like, you think you're helping yourself. If they ever get rid of that extra year of availability in the draft, that means you're never going to get first round top 10 money, which means if you just get hurt in the first 2 years, Gold, you're never going to get paid. And that's just, it's kind of over. But that goes back to the whole quarterback thing. I just never understand. As many times as he tells you he's cool with it, you probably ought to just listen.
Coming up in about 20 minutes or so, they're out. We've been waiting for them, for multiple players in the NFL for this season. We've been going through how well is the player going to perform. I said, hey, I need my props. I need some player props.
Numbers.
Well, those have come out. DraftKings put theirs out yesterday. So we'll go through a couple of these receiving numbers for the Chiefs and see where everybody is at. We'll also get to what Frank Clark had to say. Of course, he with the Broncos. Now, what he said about the Chiefs and Broncos rivalry. But the Royals did make another move. Yesterday, we were talking about Nicky Lopez. Later in the day, early evening yesterday, the Royals trade Jose Cuas to the Chicago Cubs for Nelson Velasquez. Cuas is 29. We know his story is really cool, actually, an independent ball guy. The Royals really helped him develop, and now the Cubs think they can take him to another level, obviously. But I don't think any Royals fans are upset that the Royals traded away Jose Cuas. They get a guy that's kind of intriguing. This is a trade that I think people were hoping they could have pulled off for Nicky Lopez. But again, I think we're finding out more and more that Nicky Lopez, the value, how other teams perceived him, was very, very little, knowing the potential path the Royals were headed down with Nicky Lopez anyway. And so this actual trade, we can get back to Nicky in a second. This actual trade, Cody, for Velasquez, I like it. It makes a lot of sense. To me, it is more what fans want. It's a younger player. It's someone that can play a variety of spots in the outfield. It's someone they think can help develop his swing a little bit better to maybe utilize some of the power that they believe he still possesses. And we know they needed some right-handed bats. So this trade makes more sense, and this is probably more the type of move that Royals fans were hoping to see throughout this trade period.
It still kind of follows in the same model as yesterday, which is these are major league ready players who will be on the roster. I mean, JJ last night in his teleconference said that they plan on trying to find a way to get Velasquez up to the big league level this year.
Yeah, they would like to. They would like to if they can. Yeah,
like their plan is to have both of these guys on the 25-man, 26-man roster next year, right? Like we assume that those guys, don't you assume Hearn and Velasquez will start on the major league roster for this team to begin next season? That's at least their hope, their plan. And I think that that's still the part that concerns me a little. Like the fact that those are the types, but I also think that, what the hell did I think they were getting Jose Cuas for? Right? This is just an ultimate win. This guy has been in the big leagues. The Cubs try to give him a shot in the big leagues. Their outfielders are better than this. The Royals will try to develop him instead. Cool. Jose Cuas didn't have some long future with the Kansas City Royals, and he is a reliever. Relievers are available 100 times. They should be, for most organizations, the easiest thing to develop, to find, to procure, all of those things. And it does at least tell us that the market for relievers is better than it is for light-hitting infielders. And that's just the reality of the situation. I like this deal. I told you I didn't like the deal yesterday because I just didn't see it with Hearn. Like, JJ gave some explanation. We can play some of the audio from him about the stuff yesterday, but I just didn't see it with him, right? I just didn't see it with Hearn, and I wasn't understanding of why you wouldn't just have picked him up before. This is, by the way, what JJ Piccolo said about Nelson Velasquez yesterday. No?
He's played all three outfield positions. We like his power potential. He's got a brief amount of time in the major leagues, but his minor league track record is pretty good. By our account, he hits the ball hard. He drives the ball. There's very little chase. There's some swing and miss that we think we need to address. But again, just trying to add depth and options for us from the right-handed side of the plate in the outfield. So we thought he was a good fit.
He's kind of like the Olivares replacement, right? Like, okay, maybe, in a perfect world, he becomes one of your starting outfielders on a decent team.
Yeah, likely a right fielder. Likely a right fielder. JJ was talking about that last night based on his arm. Yeah, I think the Olivares comp is probably fair. Maybe this Velasquez probably has a chance to be more of a power bat, ideally. Maybe you get a little more
3 home runs and like 30 at-bats this year.
Maybe you get a little more power out of him. But yeah, it's someone that'll absolutely compete. If we're talking about next year for maybe the right field spot for this team, he definitely is going to be in play for that. I have no problem whatsoever with this trade. I think it makes plenty of sense. Again, you're not every trade's not going to bring back a power bat that's an A ball. That's very hard to find. And I feel like that people act like it should be no big deal, that you should easily be able to do that. I hope it's not the last move. They got till 5 o'clock today. You know my feeling on Scott Barlow and other bullpen arms, especially now seeing what Jose Cuas brought back. I would like them to explore that. We'll see if any teams get desperate as well later in the afternoon. There's nothing that says you have to trade someone by noon today. That the deadline is 5. So
do you remember like Witt was in the lineup and then immediately wasn't?
Yes.
Then it got announced like seconds, minutes, maybe 10 minutes after the trade deadline that it was actually traded because we were stunned.
Yeah, I mean,
we were stunned that Whit Merrifield wasn't traded.
The two names, I mean, so Barlow and then as Vern keeps bringing up as well, Ryan Yarbrough. Those are maybe two names to watch the rest of the afternoon, the rest of the day to see by 5 o'clock if, in fact, the Royals can pull off another trade or two.
Well, those teams who get disappointed when they don't get Verlander will be the ones calling for Yarbrough, looking for some kind of starting pitching help. Okay, so back to yesterday a little bit. I've had time to think about the trade, and I'm going to be honest, still don't like it. Still, like, you know, it's about the player more than anything.
Like I said, I'm viewing it as just a money thing. I'm viewing it as just a money thing for a guy they were going to cut in the offseason.
I think that it might have been sooner than that. So, in getting a better sense of the situation surrounding Nicky Lopez, I think there's a chance he was going to be DFA'd in 3 weeks. And if that is the case, if he was weeks away from a possible designated for assignment, then whatever.
Cody, what's the difference between 3 weeks from now or 2 months from now? Either way, to me, it's the same thing. You're saying, like, now you're good with it maybe because
because they might be making
2 weeks.
He'd have been non-tendered. They're making a decision about price versus they just no longer saw a place for him on this roster that quick. Like, and I know some of it's probably a combination of, like, lack of focus in drills because of, like, whatever, right? He doesn't want to be the utility guy. Maybe Vern's got some piece of that. And maybe some of it's just like, we're not going to pay $5 million for a player that we're only going to play 70 games a year and we think is light hitting. And yeah, I don't like the Hearn part doesn't make any sense to me. And JJ got asked about that last night. And it's like, well, why didn't you just sign him? And he's like, a week ago, it didn't make sense to us, especially because we were going to have to make a move off of our 40-man roster.
On the 40.
But if they were considering DFAing Lopez, they could have just done one versus the other. But if you do it this way, then you do it. I think the one thing to know about this, and he answers this at the end too, and the cut's not very good because of the way it's chopped up. But so there's no point in playing it. But at the end of the teleconference yesterday, JJ was pretty much straight up asked by Sam McDowell, were there other deals on the table for Nicky Lopez? And his answer is pretty much no. This was it. And then he gets asked, hey, should you have traded Nicky Lopez sooner than maybe?
A couple years ago.
Maybe a couple of years when he was hitting 300, and he's like, nobody was calling then either. That's pretty much the impression of the teleconference,
exactly right.
which is,
and
there's never been a market for Nicky Lopez. He didn't say it this explicitly by any means, but essentially what he's saying is there was never a market for Nicky Lopez, so just know that now. Is that the sense you got of it, by the way?
Well,
that's just one person.
I mean, I think this is not saying that there's not reason to be frustrated with prior moves this organization has made. There obviously are.
Yeah, they're not batting 1,000.
But no, by no means, no organization is, and certainly the Royals aren't anywhere near that. But however, I do think this goes back to the overvaluing of players. It's not probably as easy as we all think it is. I mean, even with me right now telling you, hey, they should trade Scott Barlow, go get blank. Probably easier said than done. And I always have to put that and remind myself of that when we're talking about these trades. It's not as simple as it seems. And you as an organization, or more importantly, you as a fan base, maybe overvalue certain players. And yes, the question was asked about Nicky Lopez, and it was basically that was the option. That was the only option. So if they didn't pull off that trade to send him to Atlanta, it either resulted in him being what you were saying in a few weeks, maybe DFA'd, or most likely at the end of the season they would non-tender him and then move on and they would get nothing for him. And I know some of you say, well, they basically got nothing for him.
Well, they could have gotten Hearn for nothing, essentially, right? They could have made this deal the same way. They would just maybe paid Hearn more. I don't know.
Who knows? But ultimately, the value of Nicky Lopez was not high at all. Plain and simple.
That is a missing element that even when we were discussing this yesterday, I will happily admit was not a blind spot, but also like I assumed he'd have not a big market, right? Gold, I didn't think he had just people banging down the door trying to get Nicky Lopez onto their roster. But the one hang up on all of that is, right, there wasn't a big market, is that the Braves at least see some value in it, right? The best team in baseball, but also the best team in baseball has to play him what? In situations for defense late in games? Like, they don't need Nicky to carry them in any way for a player they picked up a week before. It's not like it's...
Vern said, he's going to be like Christian Colon. How often did Christian Colon play on the World Series team?
I don't know.
That's the point. Like they
had a pretty important.
They're fine paying
hit and run a couple
the
times
Braves are fine paying $5 million to a guy that's going to play once a week.
But
That's the
doesn't hurt them.
difference.
It doesn't, but that's the difference, but it doesn't hurt them. So they're just kind of they're kind of stuck in the no man land. One interesting name, by the way, that did come up last night, because we're asking whether or not big trades. He was asked about Brady Singer.
There's interest in Brady Singer, and we listen, but that would be a really large deal. And if a team was willing to go to those lengths, then we'll listen. But right now, it doesn't seem like that's something that's happening.
So you're not getting traded. You're not
That's how
traded.
just no chance, huh?
You're not
I
getting
think if they trade any of the big names, Michael Garcia, Vinny, Prado, Brady Singer, Lynch, any of the names you can think of that you're like, they're kind of part of the young core, right? We would assume that they're in there. I assume if any of those names were to get traded, that it will be in winter. Like, it won't be now.
Well, if you're trying to package multiple players to bring back a front-end rotation guy, that's an off-season thing. That's not a trade deadline thing.
No. Yeah, we're at the winter meetings. Let's try to make a bigger thing happen. Because somebody asked me that too. Like, well, they should be, I think people sometimes they don't have the access to the entire 17-minute audio that we do, right? It's part of it. And like, well, they won't even pick up a phone and see if somebody wants Brady Singer. I'm like, no, that's definitely not what's happening. And I think what's important to note about the Nicky thing too is JJ wasn't the person in charge of Nicky 2 years ago. That was Dayton Moore, a traditionally non-transactional GM. So if you're like, why didn't JJ trade him 2 years ago? That wasn't JJ's call. Like, just straight up, that wasn't his decision. Dayton Moore said, 100 times in an interview, I know I should be more transactional, but I can't, pretty much, right? I know I should, but I won't. And I know that it's like, well, they just got rid of a bunch of bad players. Okay, well, they've held on to bad players before. So the fact that 7 of the players, I guess it is now, Nicky Lopez, Hunter Dozier, Jackie Bradley Jr., Aroldis Chapman, Garrett, and Quas are all not on this team anymore, and soon enough, probably Barlow or maybe one more, they will have changed more than a third, 40% of their roster at the end of the year. Well, you're like, well, it's a bad roster. I'm like, hey, man, I've watched the Royals had a lot of bad rosters that didn't turn over 40% of it. They are choosing to trade pieces for pieces. Quas is I guess, major league quality pitcher, right? He struggled. And you're like, well, I guess Velasquez is a major league ready player because he's been in the big leagues for 90 games. Okay, they're just going to swap him out and see if this works differently for each team. Same thing with Hearn for Nicky Lopez. And then obviously some of even the trades they made for like Aroldis Chapman with guys that are like not quite major league ready, but close. So we'll find out when we get in those guys too. I get the idea of swapping in and out pieces, trying to see if it's a fit and not worry as much about I don't want to like make players feel like they could go anytime in this organization. They do seem more willing to do that.
By the way, Edgerrin James, Hall of Famer.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. You looked it up?
It looked like a text line, and yes.
I was kind of thinking he was, and then I wasn't sure. So, point is, the Colts had back-to-back Hall of Fame running backs, and we're like,
20. He got elected to the Hall of Fame in 2020. Edgerrin James did, and Jim Irsay was his presenter, which is kind of funny. Since now he's arguing with a running back, it's funny. That relationship was much better than the one he has with Jonathan Taylor. It turns out.
Yeah. Irsay, again, I don't understand what his play is here other than just threatening everybody on his team. You won't get anything you want here. I'm just telling you now.
Coming up next, the numbers are finally out. Over-unders for some of these receivers. We actually have real numbers to base it off of. We'll do that next. Plus, hear from Frank Clark out of Denver.
Cody and Gold on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
You talk on the radio. Yeah. You're a fanboy.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands to treat ED at up to 95% off. That's right, the same active ingredient as the brand name for 95% less. It's the same ED medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
The other place with 3 great Kansas City locations, Shawnee, Olathe, and downtown Overland Park, is the perfect place to wind down after a tough day at work. Go grab yourself something to drink, go sit out on the patio, have some amazing food, and catch the game. For all your summer fun, be sure to stop by the other place.
I had some bad memories come back up the other day when I saw Cody have his glasses just completely snap in half right before our show. He was scrambling a little bit, had to grab some tape to make sure he could put his glasses together, and then he had to order some new glasses. Those are the kind of things that you worry about if you have glasses, or if you're wearing contacts, maybe you're worried about forgetting the contact solution. I don't worry about that anymore, thanks to DuraVision, thanks to SBK Advanced LASIK and the best staff and the best decision I ever made over at DuraVision, finding out that I don't need contacts or glasses, that I was eligible for LASIK, and now I just see with my own 2 eyes. I don't need any assistance, no contacts, no glasses, no headaches, and last-minute issues on trips with broken glasses. Fortunately, none of that matters anymore for me. But you want to make sure right now you call DuraVision or go to DuraVision.com to take advantage of their end-of-summer LASIK savings event. Another summer passing by with glasses or contacts holding you back? Take advantage of DuraVision's exclusive end-of-summer LASIK savings. Save up to $1,000 on your procedure. Go to DuraVision.com or give them a call at 913-491-3330.
Tailgates in Turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey can be used for succulent sliders, killer kebabs, championship chili, or even brilliant burnt ends. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack worth nearly $2,000, including a portable Traeger grill, Yeti cooler, Chiefs gear, and much more at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot. Come on, KC, turn up your tailgate at tailgatewithturkey.com.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171.
Inspecting a roof for wind damage is a lot different than inspecting for hail damage. With years of hurricane experience in Florida, locally owned JR & Company knows how to find the wind damage from the July 14th storm that hail chasers might miss. Visit jrroofcheck.com.
Do you know what brand sells the most work shoes in America? Skechers. Why? Skechers has the best looking safety toe and slip resistant shoes around. They've got superior quality and simply incredible prices, but many people get them just for the style. So you can enjoy tough, steel-toed protection and slip-resistant soles anywhere, even if you don't need them for work. And since they're Skechers, you know they're going to be comfortable with Skechers' exclusive air-cooled memory foam. Find your new pair of Skechers safety toe and slip-resistant work shoes at a Skechers store, at Skechers.com, or wherever work shoes are sold.
Staples has big savings on everything you need for back to school or stocking up the office. Save on signs, banners, and posters from Staples Print and Marketing Services. Save on everything you need for travel, like luggage, tech, and travel-size personal items. Plus, save on all your school essentials, from notebooks to markers. Now at Staples, you can save even more with $25 back in rewards on your in-store purchase of $75 or more. Get everything for the office and the classroom for less at Staples. Ends 8/5. Redeemable in-store only. Rewards members only.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay, Reese's. Reese's, Reese's. Really working, actually. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's.
Hi, my name is PJ Vogt. I host the podcast Search Engine, where every week I hunt down the answers to the questions I can't get out of my head. Like, why are drug dealers poisoning their customers with fentanyl? Or, is my local sushi restaurant a part of an international scam? Or, how sad are the monkeys at the zoo? If you, like me, find this world bewildering, but also sometimes enjoy being bewildered by it, check out the show on the Odyssey app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you listen.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Chiefs coverage is brought to you by Renner Garage Door. Forward and back. RENNER.
Renner Garage Door, servicing and installing garage doors in KC for over 60 years. Family owned and top rated. Residential, commercial, service, and repairs. RENNER. Forward and back. Renner, the company that does garage doors. RennerDoor.com.
All right, just getting started here on Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp with you. We got intern Quidden running the show today. Q's coming up 15 minutes or so. We've been waiting a while. We've been talking about receivers. We've been waiting a while for the actual numbers to get a baseline of over-unders on. I'd say, give me my player props. We've been waiting for them. And then they're out now.
Judge this a little bit,
from DraftKings. No, they don't have them for every receiver. Some of it is injury-wise. There's no numbers yet for Kadarius Toney because they haven't been able to set a number. They don't know if he's going to play week 1 or 2, and so it's hard to have that baseline. You'll notice as we go to talk defense tomorrow or so, there's no sack over-unders yet for Chris Jones, at least at DraftKings. There's some offshore numbers, but at DraftKings or other books because, well, nobody knows for sure when he's going to play, if he's going to play, all that, even though we all assume he will. So I wanted to give you the 3 that are available. 2 of them are wide receivers, and 1 is a tight end that basically is a wide receiver, obviously, in Travis Kelce. But Sky Moore, because he's probably the most polarizing of the bunch here because of what
and it's going to be the toughest one to predict, in my opinion.
His over-under, and I know before you say, hey, I thought it was a different number. This is at DraftKings. There's other numbers. This is a better number than the one that maybe you heard about yesterday. 525.5, 525.5 receiving yards is the over-under at an actual sports book. That would be DraftKings. It's minus 120 to the over. It's even money for the under with Sky Moore. Based on that number, when we've gone back and forth, and I've said, I think he'd be a 550 to 600-yard guy, this is not – I'm not –
It's a good number because it's tough.
I'm not running to the window. This is not like, oh, my gosh, my favorite bet. Got to hammer the over on Sky Moore's total. No. But if I have to, yeah, I'll go over because, I've been telling you I think he's a 550 to 600-yard guy. And on this one, I'm getting 525.5. There's some other books that have different numbers. But I think he could be a 526-yard receiver for this football team, especially – with the opportunity in the slot this year.
I feel more optimistic than before about that number because I think there's a chance Tony's going to miss a few games. And if Toney misses a few games, well, then Sky Moore's likely to get more yardage, right? Just add a reality.
Should. I think Richie James probably replaces more of them, but yeah.
No, but there's still some, let's just say, Patrick Mahomes averages 300 yards a game in his career. Okay, so Travis Kelce's good for 100. The other 200 are going somewhere for those first 2 games. And I feel like that's got to be 50-ish, maybe for Sky Moore on average over those 2 games. Maybe it's 31 game and 80 the other. But that feels like the number, maybe 50-ish a game. Because really when you ask yourself that, you're like, 525 yards. That is not that many yards per game.
It's not, but remember he had...
In a 17-game schedule, that's 31 yards per game.
But he had 250 last year.
No, I know. It's a big upswing. I'll tell you right now, I will not bet it at that number. It needs to go up or down for me to bet either side of it.
It's not going to go down. That's a low number.
I know it's not a high number, but I don't feel good about it yet.
Yeah. No,
because it's asking for a guy to have a 400-yard increase, or 350-yard increase. No, I know, but it's asking for a lot lot of any player, not Sky Moore.
It's asking for less than 300.
What did he get? 250?
250.
Okay, so 275.
That's not that. That's not that crazy, man. So I again, it's not the bet where I'm like, oh my gosh.
It's not the one you're like getting on the show and you'd be like, this is the one you gotta make. I just don't like it. I'd probably lean over on that number, but I'd rather go up or down before I bet it.
It's no Goldilocks. I'll tell you that. It's definitely not one of those.
What's the number before you take the under? 6?
6, I would probably lean under. I'd stay away for sure. I just would flat out not even bet it. I would lean under, at 6. 575.
You're still kind of flirting with that number of you just feel gross. At 525, I think you have to take the over.
Yeah, because I think he's a 550 to 600 yard guy. So once you get close to 600, I can't bet it.
I know we'll talk about some other wide receivers a little bit later on, and we can do another one here too. But it's just when I'm looking at, they didn't put a touchdown prop with him with DraftKings. What's your just borderline guess for where he would be in that number? 3, 5? He's not going to be their primary red zone target. We know that.
In the slot, maybe he has an opportunity for some jet sweeps. We saw yesterday or 2 days ago at practice, he was once again in the Wildcat, which we saw at camp last year. They didn't use it, but he was running.
He had a really big jet sweep.
The Wildcat,
yesterday?
or whatever they're going to call with him, the Sky Cat. I don't know what the hell they're going to call with him. But anyway,
probably still just the Wildcat.
My guess is 3 to 5 touchdowns. I can tell you MVS is set at MVS is set at for touchdowns 3.5. That's where DraftKings has Marquez,
I like the over there.
Valdez, Scantling.
I like the over there. And his yardage total at 625.5. It's funny because we've gone so back and forth on his number.
He had 687 last year, 430 in 11 games the year before, 690 in 16 games the year prior to that. That's the last 3 years for him.
I think you bet the over on MVS if you think the receivers don't develop, and you take the under if you think they do. If you were a big Sky Moore, Rashee Rice, Richie James guy, you should be thinking under on the MVS total.
I'm more confident over 625.5 for MVS than I am Sky Moore over 525.5 because MVS is a deep threat.
And he's done it 2 of the last 3 years.
He's done it 2 of the last 3. He is a deep threat. It's year 2 in this offense. They just missed. Remember, they just missed at times, MVS and Mahomes, on some deep balls. Either just a little overthrown, and then Mahomes later in the year maybe was worried about overthrowing them, and so then he was underthrowing them. They weren't completely on the same page in that regard. And so I wonder if that gets shored up this year. They were so close, Cody, to one more deep completion, and all of a sudden he's a 740-yard receiver last year. So
sure, but I think that's just part of
620. I like the over 625.5 quite a bit for MVS.
I think that's just part of the missing game of going deep. I'm sure there's ones with Rodgers too. I think sometimes it's on him. He doesn't make that catch, and he's never going to make that catch. I just did the quick math, and the games that he played, when he played 11 games, had he played 17 that season, he'd had 663, which is making him
Still
a remarkably consistent. No, I'm saying remarkably consistent wide receiver. He played in every game he was supposed to in 2 of the 3 years he did. He would have 690 yards, 663 yards, and 687 yards, which means over the last 3 years you would have hit that over. If he stays healthy, if he plays in 17 games, history lately would tell you you're going over that figure.
And it's juiced towards the over at DraftKings, by the way. Over 625.5 is minus 130, so more of the money coming in on the over. The under is actually plus money. You can get plus money, plus 105. Then you have Travis Kelce. For those asking about Rashee Rice, those numbers aren't out there yet, unfortunately. You can maybe find them offshore, but you can't bet on his totals yet. Maybe they'll get there closer. The books don't still have a good grasp. We don't even know if we don't know if he's the 3rd receiver or the 5th. We don't know any of that. There's not enough information out there yet for there to be a prop on him. Travis Kelce,
Tony's hurt, so they don't typically put those out right away.
Travis Kelce's number is 1150. Over under 1,150 yards. Touchdown over under 9.5. Last year, for reference, Kelce had 12 touchdowns last year and 1,338 yards. The only time, if you're wondering, just how do they get this number to where we're talking about it being 1150? Well, the year before he was 1125. The year prior was 14-16. So basically, you're asking, do you think it's very possible?
Why wouldn't I think that he's over 1150 this year?
Because the year before he was 1125. It's not like he's been over that number
every single year. The year before, Tyreek Hill was still here.
Sure. Unless
he's not. Now the second best wide receiver last year is not even here. So
the question is whether A, you think Noah Gray gets more reps, and B, if you think this is the year where all of a sudden he's banged up or there's a drop off. That's what you mean. That's
where I stand.
I know
in that category. So
this
is the over I feel the best about.
Really?
Even more than MVS and Sky Moore, I feel the best about Travis Kelce's 1150 over.
I probably just wouldn't even bet it. I actually would lean a little bit towards the under, but I just wouldn't even bet it. 1150, it's a good number, I think. I know why automatically you're like, well, wait a second. He had over 150 more yards than what there. So it seems like a no-brainer over. I get it, totally do. I've told you, he was a little more last year, even though he didn't miss any playing time. He acknowledged his body was more banged up than ever before in his career. We've discussed maybe Noah Gray. I think if you want to extend Travis Kelce's career, you need to have some other guys getting a little bit more at the tight end position. I would lean under, but it's not, again, not one that I'm running to the window feeling like it's a no-doubter at all.
He's hit the over 5 of the last 6 years on that total.
Sure.
And the year that he did, in the 11-25, that was 16 games, not 17?
Mm-hmm.
And now 16 games sometimes for him is because they don't play in the final week of the season.
Could happen again this year.
Yeah, totally. I mean, sometimes it's just like, we don't need him for this final game, and it's fine. I'm just looking back at the 11-25 number. He's only missed that twice in the last 7 years. And one of them, he would have been bang on. 11-25, it would have been straight.
The number's 11-50.
Oh, 11-50,
So
okay.
in his entire career.
He'd missed it 3 times in the last 7. But his first 2 years, he obviously would have missed it.
I mean, if we're really basing
first
it
2 years as a starter.
off his entire career, he has only gone under 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times in his career he's gone under. That's counting the first few years, but it's still 6 years. I'm just saying.
Really, I'm looking at the last. I mean, to me, the more relevant trend is the last 5 or 6 years. In the last 5 or 6 years, I mean, he's missed like once, right? I mean, he just doesn't twice, right? If you count, go back to 2017, where I think that's kind of a handle of where he is. And to me, there's still no clear number 2 option. So if we don't know who the number 2 leading wide receiver is going to be, just assume Kelsey's going to eat up some of that. I'm with you that I think Noah Gray will get a little bit more, but I don't know. 11-25 just feels like a nice number for Travis.
I'm a little more worried about eventually a soon-to-be 34-year-old tight end being 100% all season and being available all year. He has no history of missing games. I'm with you, but a little more concerned when I hear his comments saying that he was more beat up. He was very close to not playing in that playoff game with the back spasms. Just a little more concerned about that. That's all. He could be an 1,100-yard receiver this year, which would still be ridiculous, by the way. Would still make it how many in a row of over 1,000 yards?
8.
Yeah, which would be nuts still for a tight
end. Which is why his number's 1150, by the way. Because you can't set it at 1050. The guy's been over 1,000 yards every year for the last 7 years.
He could still be an 1,100-yard receiver.
Oh, it's not a bad year. I'm not saying
and be under and still be an incredible age 34 season.
I don't. So of those, you like the MVS number the best?
Yes. The one I'm most
because he
confident
only
in
ever clears it by like 50 yards. Travis has buried his line like 3 times in the last 5 years.
MVS is the one I feel the best about. He's to me the most consistent. You know what you're getting out of MVS. So I like the 625.5 over on MVS. I lean over on Sky 525.5. I think he can be a 550 to 600-yard guy. Kelsey, I just don't have any interest in betting a total at 1,150 yards.
You just ignore it. I think that's how I'd feel about the Sky one. Like I know it's not a big number, but I'm like, no. I want to actually see, and I know that's not how totals work. I kind of want to see it before I start dipping my toe in the betting. I would bet that one last. I'd bet the Travis number first. I'd bet the MVS number second, and I would just wait on Sky. And it's not that I think he has no chance of getting that number. Yeah. I definitely think he can get it.
Hey, there's nothing that says you have to bet on things. You know what I mean? You can't. Everybody's like, you got to bet on every single bet. No, that's how you lose. You don't have to bet on every single game, every single player prop or whatever. Pick the ones you feel the best about. So we'll take a look at some defensive ones tomorrow. Also, some running back props are now out over at DraftKings. We'll get to Q's here in about 5 minutes or so. But former Chief Frank Clark, who's of course out in Denver, now was talking to the media, and he's still keeping it pretty real out there in Denver about this rivalry, or does a rivalry even exist between the Chiefs and Broncos?
I wouldn't call it a rivalry, and a rivalry is competitive, true or false. And I'm on the Broncos now, and I've been on the other side, you know what I mean? And we didn't call it a rivalry then. I'm with the Broncos now. Until we become competitive enough, we have to beat the team. We have to win our division. We have to do a few things, not just about the Chiefs. It's things we have to do here. We got to get our own ball together here in order for us to go out there and compete, for us to become one of those factions.
You know, Drew Tranquil of the former Charger obviously was talking about playing the Chiefs yesterday and talking about that rivalry and everything. But man, oh man, the comments from Frank Clark, obviously that's exactly how we view the rivalry.
Do you think Broncos fans care about this?
And he's bringing it over to Denver. Broncos fans, I don't know what the reaction is to that comment from Frank Clark, but that's reality. At least he gets it. Maybe guys in the locker room will get it as well.
He's telling you the truth.
Absolutely, it's the truth.
It's not going to sugarcoat for you. How can it be a rivalry? I've been in the league. I mean, when did Frank Clark get in the league? Have they beaten the Chiefs since he got drafted? Like, it was 2015, because we've always gone back on that number. We've always pointed out that they've won a Super Bowl more recently than they've beaten the Chiefs. Some of the things you know about it. Frank Clark came in the league in 2015. The Denver Broncos have not beaten the Chiefs since Frank Clark has been in the NFL. Do you think about how old you think of Frank Clark is as a player? Feels like he's been in the league for 1,000,000 years. And he has never been in the league at a time in which the Broncos have actually beaten the Chiefs. It's not happening this year, by the way. They might lose a game to somebody, but it ain't the Broncos. I know
their wide receiver core just got so thin. So you got the Patrick injury. He's now going to be out for the season, Achilles. And then KJ Hamler, they cut with a non-football injury. He's dealing with some heart problems. They potentially could sign him back, but they just lost 2 receivers in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, and 2 other receivers who have never actually lived up to the hype that they have been given at any stage of their
Sutton and
career.
Judy.
Well, I mean, it's 2 guys that everybody's like, dude, if they click, it's going to work.
Remember when they got drafted? I remember.
And they had terrible quarterback play to start. Russell Wilson shows up, and they're like, this'll fix it. And then Russell Wilson stunk.
Sure.
God, they stink. Frank Clark, again, is not wrong. The current ranking of rivalries inside the AFC West is Chiefs-Chargers, Chiefs-Raiders, Chiefs-Broncos. Chiefs-Broncos is last. I know that there's a lot of times in your and I lives that would not have been the case. And the Chiefs, Raiders, and Broncos would have been 1-2, no question, right? Absolutely no issue. And Chargers would have been dead last, and you'd been like, oh, they're fun. And you'd remember, like, Phillip Rivers was fun, and that team was good for a while. But they were never your main rival until Justin Herbert showed up, and they actually were a challenger to you. But even so, it's a weak batch of rivalries in this division right now. Maybe because Mahomes has never lost a road divisional game and barely lost any divisional games at all.
That's a huge part of it. Now, the Chargers have been the most competitive. I mean, the Chiefs were a coin flip away from losing in week 2 and out in LA. I mean, but hey, the Chiefs found ways to win those games. But just who's been the most competitive, who's given you the biggest trouble in the games over the last 3 or 4 years? There's no question it's been the Chargers more than any other team in the division. Historically, you know my feeling, the Chiefs and Raiders historically is still the best rivalry in the division.
It's weird because when I grew up, it was Chiefs-Broncos for the longest time because Elway was just a huge pain in their ass.
I still hate the Raiders more than any other team in the division. But the Chargers, I know, are the biggest threat. If you're a Chiefs fan, you know the Chargers are your biggest threat. But there's probably plenty of people listening, and their answer is either the Raiders or the Broncos is what they consider
because
the
that's
team
what they hate.
They hate that team. Like Elway gave people nightmares. Now Broncos fans are having Mahomes do the same thing to them, and it's great.
Isn't it kind of nice to be on the other side for once?
Of course.
Chiefs fans of pretty much any age do not remember what it was like to be in the other side of this argument. It's like you don't remember what it was like to just have this one person who you could never get out under, never count out of a game, never figure out. They would and then they would go on after they beat you and go win more important games like Super Bowls. And you're like, this sucks. And I hate it. And Chiefs fans now are that to every fan base. All of them. The AFC West specifically, but they're that to Cincinnati fans and any other team that you might count in between.
We doing a little cues now?
That's right.
I think so.
Okay, I have 2 stories involving bears.
Are we getting to choose, or are you going to give us both bear stories?
We'll see which one. Do you want one that involves a zoo in China or one that involves a bear in California?
Let's go China first. Let's go overseas, right?
Sure.
That sound good?
That works.
Alrighty then. Here, I've got a newscast for the one over in China.
Oh, even better. Oh, can't hear it.
Visitors, their sun bear zoo in eastern China is trying to reassure visitors their sun bears are not people dressed in costumes. Rumours and conspiracy theories have been swirling on social media after a viral video of a sun bear standing on its hind legs, looking uncannily human and appearing to wave at the crowd. Its fur appears loose and wrinkled in places, almost like an ill-fitting bear suit. Sun bears are the world's smallest bear species, and the zoo insists people just don't understand their behavior.
Okay, so I'm looking at the photos now. There are bears in China called sun bears, and they just think these are just like kids dressed up as bears.
If you see the picture of a sun
bear, it does
bear,
look kind of weird, I guess.
Let me see here.
But I assume it's a real bear.
Oh.
Yeah. So the quote that they actually got from someone working at the zoo, they said, a person would not last more than a few minutes before collapsing in eastern China's extreme summer temperatures.
Well,
so
man,
not even like we
hydrate.
would, not even like we would never do that. This is weird.
Yeah, what is this thing?
someone would
Why
just
does
collapse.
it look so weird? Do you see it standing up, going like this, like hi? It does kind of look like a weird animated kids movie version of a bear.
I don't think a human's. It's a weird looking thing, but it's not a human's not standing there.
It's like
But
if
weird.
it's like if Disney tried to live action Winnie the Pooh in 1986. Like they didn't have the animation
It does
down
kind of
quite
look.
yet.
You know what it looks like? It kind of looks like the animatronic Showbiz Pizza Band.
Here's all you need.
You know, like it looks like it should be standing up playing a banjo in a hat, and its skin's too loose or something.
This
It's
photo
all
that I'll turn
wrinkled.
around and show you where this bear is drooped over a tree limb. His tongue's hanging out. Looks like he's like passed out. But look at the claws and stuff. It's not a human. Okay, look at that. Look at that. That's real. That's real.
Well, maybe they are real bears, but maybe the Chinese zoo is using one just to prop up its friendliness with the people.
I don't think
Because it looks like it's just standing up waving to the crowd, man. That's a weird thing for a bear to do, don't you think? You ever seen a bear stand up and wave?
I don't know. I just guy's got his hands out. I don't know. There's no way it's a human in there.
He's really. You sure?
Yes, it looks weird, but there's not a human.
Okay.
It definitely is one of those things that it looks wrong, but you're not exactly sure what's wrong with it.
Yeah, it's like watching Black Mirror. It distorts my reality in some way, and I
There's
don't
one
know.
at
And I don't know what it means.
There's one at an Indonesian zoo, and people are upset because it's too skinny. And so this one, you can see the skeleton. See, that one we know is for sure not a human. Look at that thing.
Ugh. I need to feed that bear.
People are upset.
Wait, now what are you doing? Just deep diving research for sun bears?
Absolutely. I've never seen or heard of these things in my life.
They're funky looking. That is a bizarre.
We don't have sun bears at the KC Zoo, do we?
I don't think so.
I think I would remember seeing something like that.
I haven't been to the zoo in a while, other than the.
That's the Kansas City Zoo, an aquarium to you, sir.
Not yet. Not till September. The aquarium's not open till September.
But haven't they renamed themselves?
Yeah, I guess so, but it's not open. The aquarium's not open yet.
So you won't recognize their new name until the aquarium's open.
That's
what
right.
you're saying? Okay.
Kansas City Zoo and aquarium, but it's not open yet.
What's the second bear story?
All right,
this one
now
freaks
we're going
me
to head
out.
back to California where a security camera caught a bear climbing over a privacy fence and just taking a swim in some person's backyard pool.
I mean, it's hot. What's the bear supposed to do? It's hot.
It's Burbank, California, which is north of L.A.
Mm-hmm.
The homeowner ended up calling the police to come and deal with the bear.
Police?
Yeah, but the bear climbed back over the privacy fence before the police showed up. Now, if you're the police, I don't know what are you supposed to do?
Well, they'll eventually call animal control and call the zoo or whatever. They get the right people involved to try to get the bear out of there safely.
I guess my fear at this point would be,
Yeah.
would I feel safe ever using that pool again?
Well, why not?
Or letting
Why
my
not?
kids sit out there and use the pool? Because a bear has now been in it.
Well, okay, as long as
Well,
the
not
bear's
the
not coming back.
cleanliness. I'm just like, well, maybe the bear does come
Well,
back.
that's why
Went
you
for a
have-
nice dip.
They remove the bear.
Is that how this works?
And if they get the bear removed, the bear goes back into captivity most likely. It's in Burbank. The bears aren't just on the loose. It's got obviously came from a zoo. There's not just bears roaming Burbank, California.
You don't think there's a bear just in Burbank?
No, it's north. It's L.A. No, I don't think there's just a bear chilling all the time out in L.A. It probably escaped from a zoo or something. Now maybe some idiot has it at their own place. I doubt it though.
He's just got a pet bear? I think that there might be wild bears up in that way.
Not in Burbank, California.
Wouldn't this story tell us if it was an escaped bear from the zoo?
It could. You think there's just
I think it's just a bear. I think it came down from the hills and it's like, what's up?
what kind of bear was
Nice
this?
pool.
It looked like a small black bear.
It was in a jacuzzi, not even a pool. Chilling in a jacuzzi.
Well, that doesn't seem nearly as cool as anything
The
else.
photo's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, that is the
photo's
most
incredible.
chilling bear.
The photos.
Why does he look so relaxed?
Well, yeah, it's jacuzzi. You think he had the jets on? You think he turned on the jets, get a little massage?
If all
That
things are
happened?
created equal, would you rather have like a hot tub sauna situation in your house or a pool?
In the mountains, the answer is the jacuzzi and hot tub. Here, pool. Here, pool.
There's only so many months a year you can use a pool here. I think you might be able to get better. Because like you get November, December, January, February, March maybe out of the hot tub?
Maybe even April. Early April. Can
Maybe
still
even
be.
April. The pool, you're only getting June, July, and August.
If you have your own pool, though, you can get May, June, July, August, September. If you have your own pool.
You think you can get that long?
If it's your own pool, you can. It's not a public pool where they're only opening Memorial Day weekend, closing Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, maybe.
I think jacuzzi is also easier to keep clean just because
Someone
it's
says
smaller.
there's bears outside of LA. Yeah, maybe outside. I'm just talking about in the city. I just don't think they're chilling.
he's
I'm
a
not
city
saying
bear.
up in the mountains of
He's
California.
a city bear.
He's just hanging out.
Okay.
Maybe not normally, but when they're looking for a pool, maybe that's the case. That's all I'm saying. I think that bear.
So you left out a detail, Q.
Wait, what
It
detail?
says the neighborhood is only 10 miles from the mountains.
Oh, so that's definitely a wild-ass
there we
bear.
go.
I'd be
There
terrified
we
to get
go.
back in that pool.
Yeah, it's 10 miles from the Verdugo Mountains. Okay, that's a little bit different. That's a little bit different.
I don't know my California geography.
I just didn't think near Staples Center or whatever it's called now in downtown LA, there's not just bears walking around. So that's what I was getting at. But yes, maybe outside of that.
Maybe close to the mountains, there might be bears.
Someone said there's a bear roaming around Greenwood, Missouri. That's more of a, again, smaller town, though. Makes a little more sense.
I've only seen a bear in the wild like twice. Both times I was in a car, thankfully.
I was going to ask if you
I
were
was
in Colorado.
The only time for me was
Both times in Colorado.
Yosemite National Park out in California or whatever. That's where I saw it. Makes sense. I'm at a damn national park.
No, I had to honk at one in the middle of the road. Well, it was in the middle of the road. I needed it to move.
Did it move?
It did eventually. It took it a minute or
How
two.
long were you honking?
A couple minutes.
You're like that thing didn't turn around and give you the
It was
finger
dark
and
and it was
run
just like
and dart
it was just
towards
like standing like this in the middle of the road. I'm like, move your ass, bear. I got places to be. Well, I'm not getting out of the car to try to fix this situation. I'm just gonna honk and hope it leaves. I'm bigger than it at that moment. It might, I'm in a car.
You don't think that thing could just run towards your car and destroy
I think
the
it could.
hell out
I'm
of
just
your
kind of
car?
hoping it wouldn't. I figured I could throw it in
At least you
reverse.
stayed in your car. Every year there's these dumb videos of someone will try to get a photo with the bear and goes up to them. They're stunned that the bear tries to jump and leap towards them.
If there's a bear, I'm not getting out of the car. No chance.
There's very little wildlife I would ever approach. Like, even like a raccoon or a possum, like
They're
you can
mean.
just keep doing your own thing.
Yeah. Just leave them be. That's probably the best news.
Now we're getting people from California talking about bears. Brown bears all over the state, they say.
I mean, isn't that on their flag?
Yeah.
Well, someone on the text line says, okay, stop for a second. It's on the text lines. I'm not going to give you guys credit for this one. The text line's correct. It's on the flag. You guys must have saw the text. There's no way both of you just automatically knew the state flag.
I will be very honest. I swear to God, I didn't look at the text line.
All right, what's on the state flag of New Mexico?
It is a very prominent thing on the California flag.
I think the state flag in New Mexico is yellow with like it's got like
a sun or
red.
something?
Yeah.
State flag of Georgia. What's on it, Cody?
Peach?
No.
No, it's not.
No, it's a little more striped and red and white.
Oh,
it's a little historic is a polite way to say it.
Yeah.
Incredibly polite.
You got me. You got me on the California flag.
That's
man.
just like the only one I know. I don't know. It's the only flag.
Those are
I know better than Missouri state flag.
Those are Q's. Coming up next, though, we'll talk more about the wide receiver group, but a little more about Rashee Rice in particular. We kind of got into it a little bit, but we'll take a look at his yardage total and whether or not we're buying into one particular Royals player.
Cody and Gold. The Disgusting Brothers. Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
What does it mean to be the official information technology provider for the Chiefs? Everything. Technology Group Solutions makes sure everything runs flawlessly for the millions of fans that attend games and the hundreds of millions of fans that comprise Chiefs Kingdom around the world. Technology Group Solutions can deploy that same dedication, problem solving, and incredible service to ensure your business runs smoothly. All day, every day, just like your Chiefs. Technology Group Solutions, powering Chiefs Kingdom and ready to do the same for you.
Made to shine. Real stories from Shane Company customers.
They were all there. My grandparents, all the cousins. I was the first one in my family to graduate from college. They were so proud. After the ceremony, my mom gave me a necklace with my birthstone. I wear it every day. Sometimes I even think it carries a secret superpower, that when I wear it, everything will be okay.
We carry the widest selection of handcrafted jewelry made to help everybody shine bright. Shane Company, fine jewelry since 1929.
Tailgates and turkey, yes please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey is always a winner. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot.
Where can you find steel, aluminum, brass, and stainless, and occasionally random stuff in the back? The Foot, who has an extensive line of Blue Demon welding supplies, filler, rods, and wire. The Foot, who is KC's and Topeka's only only stocking dealer for Fronius professional welding equipment. The Foot, who is KC's and Topeka's only Fronius authorized service and repair center. The Foot, where can you go to take a Fronius welder for a test drive? The Foot, where can you find Colossus, your friendly neighborhood robot? The Foot, just like Colossus, Metal by the Foot stands tall and ready to help both pro and DIY warriors with their metal needs. For over 35 years, Metal by the Foot has continued to up their game by providing you with the convenience and selection of metals you have come to expect. Discover new and unique quality products to take your project and skills to the next level. Get instant pricing on most items at metalbythefoot.com. That's metalbythefoot.com. When you need a piece of metal, remember, metal doesn't have to cost an arm or a leg, just the foot.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing and me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, President of Operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
He's got the catch! He's got the touchdown!
Be a part of history by attending Chiefs training camp in St. Joseph, Missouri this summer and see the reigning champs up close.
For the second time in 4 seasons, the trophy has a red and gold reflection.
Make the trip to St. Joe something for you and your family to remember. Whether it's touring one of the many museums, staying in a historic home turned bed and breakfast, experiencing quality dining or brewery options, hitting the River Bluff bike trails, or supporting a vibrant art scene, St. Joseph has something for everyone. Go to stjomo.com to view or download a free visitor guide and plan your trip where the Pony Express started and Jesse James ended. Again, that's stjomo.com for all the details to make your trip to Chiefs Training Camp in St. Joseph, Missouri, one you'll never forget. Produced in cooperation with Visit Missouri.
Discover credit cards automatically double all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year, which means... Wait, hold up. Question for the audio engineer.
Go ahead.
Did I read that right? Discover automatically doubles all your cash back?
Yeah, that's what the script says.
So if I get a Discover card right now, I can earn twice the cash back.
Apparently. Wait! Unlimited first-year cash back match, only from Discover. See terms and learn more at discover.com/match.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay. Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motor Studios. Win Royals tickets 1 hour prior to first pitch by listening to Vern's On Deck Show, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
11 o'clock hour, Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp with you. Already into the month of August. August 1st today. Football right around the corner. Preseason football on Thursday, as a matter of fact. Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio. During the break, though, the Royals did just make another move. Now official from the Royals. They have acquired pitcher Tucker Davidson from the Los Angeles Angels for cash considerations. He's been added to the 40-man roster. He's going to report to the big league club. My initial reaction is this is a guy that's going to fill the void from Jose Cuas. He's going to be a bullpen arm for them right away. It looks like that's what's going to happen. If you're wondering a little background on him, 27 years old, made his major league debut with the Braves back in 2020, made 4 starts for the 21 Braves World Series team, started Game 5 of the World Series.
Which is so random.
Last season at the trade deadline, he was acquired by the Angels in a 3-player deal. This year, Davidson made the Angels opening day roster, went 1-1, 2 saves, 31 strikeouts, and 31 2/3 of an inning over 18 appearances. And he was DFA'd here pretty recently, so the Royals acquiring him. I think it's pretty simple that if you look at the Cuas trade that we discussed, Velasquez is not only an outfielder, but he's probably going to be in AAA right away. Jose Cuas is gone. You need some bullpen arms. Maybe it means there's other moves happening later today as well. Who knows? But I think this is pretty simple. He's another arm of the bullpen for them. That's what it is.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
I got nothing against it. A lefty out of the bullpen to replace Cuas.
Sure.
Sounds good. I see the stats now from multiple people, including Craig Brown over on Twitter. It's just 6.54 ERA, but a 3.37 FIP. If you're a big fielder, independent pitching guy, I'm
a huge FIP guy, man.
I'm hit or miss on it.
I'm huge on the FIP.
You understand what that stat is designed for. It is designed for the things that you can control. I just feel like sometimes it tells the truth and sometimes it doesn't. Walks a few too many.
That about a lot of these.
Well, yeah, the advanced analytics stats. Honestly, it's fine. It's a perfectly fine deal for Tucker Davidson. Jose Cuas wasn't exactly getting everybody out in the time he was here. The funniest part to me about it is we just had this conversation with Hearn.
Right.
Be like, hey, if you wanted him, why didn't you just pay cash for him? That's what the other team did. And then they go out and pay cash for a reliever the identical way. But in this time, they had a roster spot available. And if you remember what JJ said, I'm not going to play the whole 45-second clip, but JJ last night said part of the problem for why they didn't sign Hearn was they didn't have a roster spot available.
Yeah, talking about Taylor Hearn, who was acquired in the Nicky Lopez trade. He was available as a DFA guy. The Royals chose not to do that. The explanation is they didn't have a 40-man spot this time around with Davidson. Is that what his name is? I already forgot his name.
Tucker Davidson.
Tucker Davidson.
That's is that guy from the South? That sounds like somebody to be from the South. Tucker Davidson.
Well, you think you have to be from the South to be named Tucker?
Yes.
He is from Texas, though. he's from Amarillo, Texas.
Yeah, that tracks.
He is from Amarillo, Texas. So
I think it helps.
It's a bullpen arm. It's a bullpen arm. It replaces Cuas. And or if you want to be optimistic, you can think that it means there's other moves and they're building up the bullpen. Who knows?
Hey, let's take it to the highest end. This is a World Series starter we have.
That's
here.
right. That's right. He did start in a World Series game. Thank you very much.
So, I mean, that's important to note, don't you think?
They won the game he started. Thank you very much as well.
So what's funny is
he pitched 2 innings, gave up 4 runs, 2 earned. Did not factor in the decision. Oh, and it was actually they lost that game. I'm sorry, they lost 9-5. I was looking up that game log. Yeah, they lost the game he started.
You and I so I saw the name pop up and I was like, Tucker Davidson. Why do I know that name? And then I was like, was he like a first round pick? And you're like, nope, 19th round pick. I'm like, okay. And then you're like, he started the World Series. I'm like, that's it. I was like, why do I know this name? Why am I familiar with Tucker Davidson if you're not? Because you're not regularly watching the Angels' 6th inning or whatever he pitched in.
Another connection to the Braves, though. Always. Now, look, the Braves are a great organization, so
not the worst one to steal from.
You know,
right now, the 2 organizations they are most closely associated with player-wise are the Braves and the Rays.
Sure. Hey.
And the Rays, for obvious reasons, they've plucked a couple of people away from that organization to help them try to turn things around. And the Braves, because, well, they're one of the best organizations. So the Royals they're making moves.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're all going to lead up to yet, but they've been busy the last 24 hours, and we expect more to happen.
Pre-ARB eligible next year, looks like.
His ARB number shouldn't be that big if he's got over 6 ERA.
Adjusted salary this year is $477,000.
Yeah, so maybe he's $1 million player.
Okay, small move there. Royals acquiring Tucker Davidson. Trade deadline, 5 o'clock tonight. We'll see, again, if anything else happens for the rest of the show, and we'll update you if it does. We'll actually talk some Royals baseball in a second. One player that we were keeping an eye on post All-Star break and where he's at. The Royals are back in action tonight. They welcome in the New York Mets. I believe it's Zach Greinke on the bump for the Royals. Vern will have his on-deck show later on this evening. We'll get to the trash of the day also here in about 10 minutes or so, but we wanted to talk more about the Chiefs wide receiver group, Rashee Rice. Earlier in the show, we mentioned prop bets are out there, yardage for guys like Sky Moore, right? His 525.5, over-under for MVS, 625.5. Unfortunately, there's no over-under yet for Rashee Rice. What do you think? Now knowing that Skies is at 525 and MVS 625.5, Rashee Rice, if they put one out there, what? They're going to put out like 275.5?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. It's like, listen to how high some of those numbers are. Like Travis Kelce, MVS's number is 625. You'd got to think that.
I mean, those aren't that high.
No, but I mean, high enough that you're like, okay, that's 40% of Mahomes' passing total. And we know that some's going to go to the running backs and all these other players. My guess is that if there was a Rashee Rice number, it would probably be a little north of Skies. It would be like.
What?
Sky's total last year.
Oh, I was like, I thought you meant his prop number this year. I'm like, whoa.
Sky's receiving yardage total last year.
Wow.
Of around 250. So my guess is 275, 285 is probably the number. But let me tell you, if that was the number, if it's anywhere under 300, that's the one I want to bet on the most. Because I think if you listen to what people are saying coming out of camp, they are believers in Rashee Rice. Matter of fact, yesterday, more people started mentioning Sky Moore. I felt like it was like a backtrack to the, oops, maybe we said too many nice things about the guy we actually like more department. Let's make sure we get out the old PR train for our guy Sky, too, who we also believe in, we swear. And I'm not saying, like, Sky's going to be a bad player. I think we'll find out. My guess is on Sky, if I'm just predicting his career, we'll find out that he's a solid wide receiver that just has a real limit. Where in Rashee Rice, I still think there's a lot more growth possibilities. And the way I've listened to Pat and all these other people talk, I think Rice is going to have an immediately bigger role than Sky Moore did and is going to be a more impactful player in year one than Sky ever was.
Yeah, I mean, I think not having a guy like Juju on the roster helps that. I mean, I think that's one path how you can have a quicker impact. You know, as far as like what he can be long term, right now, the sky is the limit for Rashee Rice because we haven't seen him play.
I thought you were going to say for Sky Moore, and I was going to punch you in the face.
No.
I was going to have to lean over this table.
Not going to do that.
And punch you in the face.
Not going to do that. I'm saying it with Rice, Cody, because we haven't seen him play, so it's very easy. I'm not saying you're wrong, but like where you're like, it feels like there's way more for Rashee Rice. Well, yeah, I absolutely, because we have it. We have a full year of seeing Sky Moore have a disappointing year, and now maybe you've
Some
altered
of it's the unknown.
Yeah, there's definitely an unknown. This is the whole. We do this with backup quarterbacks in the league all the time.
You know what it
right?
is that Rashee Rice fits a role that nobody else fits in the roster. That was part of Sky's problem last year. But Sky also, some of his skill set exists in other players in this roster. It exists in the way Richie James plays. It exists in the way Kadarius Toney plays. He shares a similar skill set with some other players. Rashee Rice is a one-off. Nobody plays football the way he plays it. That's not to say he plays it better than anyone. I'm just saying there's no one who plays it the way he plays it on the roster, which to me means Andy will look for reasons to use him in places like that. You know, one of the ways that stands out to me is the way they used Juju last year, where they started, for the first time, I feel like in the Andy Reid thing, throwing more of that back shoulder 20-yard out pass, where they would just be like, Juju will catch it. We're just going to throw it to the back shoulder back there. And they didn't do a lot of that before Juju Smith-Schuster showed up. Rashee Rice seems like that player. I feel like they liked that being a part of their offense. None of the other players have seemingly shown that skill set regularly. That seems like maybe one of his biggest strengths. He just has a role that nobody else shares. Yeah. I think that's why I'm so optimistic about him.
Look, for Rice, for me, I've kind of said how I view what he brings. I think he is a guy that could help them in the red zone more than what they've had because of his ability to high point the football. We talked, as you said, with Trent McDuffie yesterday about his size. He's a bigger-bodied wide receiver. I think that's where he can help this team. Maybe the yardage number for Rashee Rice is in the 300s or lower, but I could see the touchdown numbers actually being higher than we think. Maybe I'm completely wrong on that. We'll see as the year goes on. I think touchdown numbers could be there. Sky Moore, yeah, we just did it with the props earlier. I think 550 to 600 is what I thought he could be a rookie season. I think we're going to see that in production this year because there's more slot opportunities. McCole Hardman, even though he missed time last year, is nowhere on the roster anymore.
Nope.
So you need a guy that can take the slot snaps, and that to me is where Sky Moore can potentially eat a little bit And that's where I see the 550 to 600 yards for Sky compared to Rashee Rice, who is still going to be a rookie. Seems like he's on a good path, maybe picking up the offense quicker than Sky Moore did, which is a positive, which can only help you. And with Tony out, maybe he's got a quicker opportunity. And if he does perform well early on, then obviously they're gonna keep him in that role. So I think there's reasons to be optimistic for Rashee Rice. I don't think he's going to have 600 yards his rookie season either.
I wouldn't predict that, but I feel, and going into last year, I was never thinking Sky was just going to take off because partially the depth at the position. Right now, it just feels more like an open competition. There's depth, just like there was last year, but they're like, go ahead, anybody, we don't care. Anybody go ahead and take the job, especially while Kadarius Toney is out. Rice is going to get a massive benefit during this time of training camp that Sky wasn't given last year, where the number one target we think in the wide receiver unit is gone for all of camp. He's not going to be around, which means you all are going to get all of these snaps. You and Sky, everyone gets this massive opportunity that wasn't supposed to be available to them to get comfortable with Patrick Mahomes and get to that level. I still think he just he's just a different type. That's why I kind of liked the Rashee Rice pick. At least to me, it wasn't the, like any team. It's like the Royals or whatever.
No, he could be potentially Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, that's what it is.
I hope Sky turns into that too because they like him in the slot. But I mean, Rashee Rice just seems to fit that model, that size, whatever.
That's where the Juju comparison comes in. I know we talk about Tony not being there potentially early in the season. I still think the guy that fills that is more likely to be a Richie James based off of the skill set and type of routes he can run. I think if you're just saying directly who benefits the most, yes, we want it to be the young receivers for obvious reasons. Rashee Rice, Sky Moore, these are guys you drafted with decent-sized picks at this point. But when you're looking at Richie James, I think he slides in more for potentially Tony's absence. We'll talk more about this during the Chiefs Red F Hour, obviously later on. Matt Verderam, SI, going to join us coming up around 12:30 or so today. We'll talk not only about the Chiefs, but some of the bigger stories going on in the NFL, what he makes of Sean Payton's comments.
You see Mike Tomlin's can't wait for week 5 now?
Yeah, Mike Tomlin.
Someone asked him about it.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin is basically that game between the Jets and Broncos better be on national TV. I'm with you, Mike. I'm with you. What is the TV slate for that? It's already set. It's not like baseball where you have to wait. Oh, I wonder if it's your college football. I wonder if it's going to be a nationally televised game. We already have the schedule for week 5, so we should be able to look up Broncos and Jets pretty quickly, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Broncos going to be on that many primetime games? The Jets will be. I don't know if that one is or not. I'm sorry.
October 8th, 3:25 kick.
Good enough.
Yeah.
Afternoon slot. The Chiefs at the same time?
Week 5.
Come on. You know that there's just so many rare
the Chiefs week 5 are at the same time. They're at Minnesota.
Of course.
Yeah, same time.
Damn it.
Yeah, same time.
This is the biggest downfall to the Chiefs being at 3:25 so often is that's when other cool games are. The Chiefs don't always get to play those.
Well, on paper, you wouldn't have thought Jets-Broncos, but Sean Payton's added to it. Thank you very much. That's what it is. He's added to the intrigue.
Yeah, because they hate each other now, and I'm interested in that. I like all hated rivalries. Those move high up my list. Consistently move high up my list. I'll say that.
We'll have to talk about MJ Melendez a little bit later on. I do want to talk about him after the All-Star break because he was someone we focused in on. His last 15 games, he's now hitting 276, couple home runs. Certainly doesn't look quite as lost at the plate. Maybe some confidence is up. We'll see. Had a day off yesterday. Again, they're going to play the Mets tonight. We'll talk more Melendez a little bit later on the show. But let's get to the trash of the day. All right, so trash of the day. Yesterday.
Trash of the day. You waited a half a second.
I tried. I gave you a choice. You chose the, what was it yesterday? Oh, the guy who dragged his lifeless uncle's body to the post office.
I chose the Weekend at Bernie's option door.
I'm going to keep giving you guys choices. You said you kind of wanted to do the one about the identical twins, so we could do the one where the man dated the most identical twins on the planet, and he says it's unfair that he can't marry them. We can do that, or we can do the story of the woman who filed for divorce and hid lottery winnings from her husband, now forced to hand over the jackpot.
Like the whole jackpot?
Uh-huh.
Let's do that one. We'll save the twins one for tomorrow.
Okay, because there's another one where it's about a woman ruining her family dinner after ordering a giant steak and refusing to pay for the entire bill.
Well, this is probably going back to that viral TikTok video of where everybody was mad about a $4,600 bill and why we got asked out in the bullpen. when you're in a large group if you pay for yourself or if you equally pay.
So we'll do the jackpot one. This one is about, I'll just read you the headline and the story, the first paragraph. A woman was forced to hand over a big lottery jackpot to her ex-husband after scooping the prize, keeping it a secret from him. Not only basically did she go from joy of winning the massive cash prize to the low of losing it, but on top of that, you lost it to your ex-husband. That makes it even worse here. So her and a number of work friends went in on a California lottery syndicate. Their numbers came in just 11 days before her divorce papers were filed, back in 1996, okay? So at that point, the jackpot was only $1.3 million.
So she won $1.3 million.
Decided she wouldn't tell her husband about it. Years later, he found out when he got a letter from a company that pays out a lump sum to lottery winners. It was addressed to his ex-wife at the time, said the company had helped hundreds of lottery winners like you around the country receive this present-day value, yada, yada, yada. The court heard that Denise got the actual check sent to her mom's house, withholding the information from her husband, and then he, of course, decided to then pursue legal action. She was then 49 years old, was told to pay her ex 20 annual installments of $66,000 up to the entire amount of her win. And this went on and on and on, and now that she has to do this. 11 days before the paperwork was filed for divorce.
So she got $1 million. She's like, well, I don't got to be with this guy anymore, and I'm getting out.
And he would never have found out if it wasn't for years later this other company sending a letter to past winners.
If you want it out, why not just do it like every other marriage and just give him half the money and still get out? I know it sucks to give someone $500,000, but get out.
Because of greed. If you knew that let's say, assuming they hated each other, I don't know. Let's assume they hated each other.
I mean, she hated him, right? For sure.
If she hated
probably
him,
hates him even more now.
She knew that in 11 days, signing that paperwork, she was free and clear. But 11 days before that happens, you win $1 million jackpot. Are you be like, you know what? I hate this person. We're about to get divorced. Let me give him half. I get why she didn't do it, but she also had been smarter. He's going to find out eventually.
Like at that point, why not just have somebody else claim the ticket and pay them off for like $50,000?
Not a terrible idea.
Well, then there's no question about it. They're going to give you the rest of the money and you pay them off.
Well,
I don't,
thinking of that.
I don't know what the tax implications are with that, but I mean, figure out some other way to do this.
Thinking of that tonight, nobody's won.
I haven't bought a ticket.
Mega Millions.
Each of the next two.
Should
I be buying a Mega Millions
ticket? I keep telling
ticket?
you, someone needs to win, so I don't, for the fourth straight week, buy tickets.
But are you going to be okay though? Because if I buy one tonight and I win it, I'm quitting this job. I'm leaving.
Yeah, we already made. Yeah, I'll be good.
I'm out of here.
We made an agreement.
Me and my $1 billion. I'm done.
We're good. We made an agreement that if either of us win, you have to give me $1 million. I have to give you $1 million. So
I'll go buy a ticket tonight.
I hope you win. And it's $1 million for me. That's fine. That's good with
You'd
me.
still do this job.
I'd have to. $1 million after
That's
tax.
not enough to.
Yeah, after tax and stuff, you can obviously live very comfortably, but you're not quitting your job.
What would you do with the money I gave you? I'm just curious. How are you going to spend this $1 million I gave you?
Yeah, I mean, I'd buy a house. I'd stop paying rent and having no equity in something. I would actually buy a house is what I would do. That's what I would do. Yeah, and probably buy a car. New car, yeah. Those would be the two things I would do. And then the rest I'd just put in savings or my retirement or whatever. And
put into an account.
Yeah, that'd be it. And you still have to work, but you feel a lot better about your financial situation.
And you probably couldn't pay for the entire house. You just have a low mortgage, most likely.
Your debt, you get rid of any other debt you have. You just have the house. But you, like you said, you wouldn't have 30 years left to pay. You'd probably pay enough up front that you only have to.
Or you'd be paying less than your rent, so it would feel fine to you.
Absolutely. But it's $1.1 billion cash option tonight, $550 million, and then you take 40-something% off of that. So you're still taking home over $200 million. Not too shabby. But
would it really eat you up pretty quick there in that old lottery?
Well, yeah, the government wins the lottery, not you, really. That's who wins the lottery. Yeah, the state. Like if you win in Missouri or Kansas, the state government.
Maybe I should just take the yearly payment. You know?
No, that's a terrible strategy.
I know.
The annuity payments is a dumb path to go down.
Well, because then if I die, nobody gets the money.
If you die, you don't get it. Your significant other.
Think about how much easier it'd be to die if you had all that money to do stupid stuff. That's like people getting submarines and stuff, man. You got so much money, you don't even know what to do with it. You just start doing dangerous things.
Why does death come up so often on the show?
I don't know.
It's come up a lot recently. It's kind of weird. It has, hasn't it?
Just a little bit more lately, Quentin. To your point.
No kidding. So,
Quentin, I got $10K for you, man. If I win it tonight, I got $10K
would be awesome.
For you too.
Yeah.
Quentin,
I'm
you
down.
gonna buy a ticket, Quentin?
Yeah, sure. Well, I've never actually bought a lottery ticket before. Okay. Santa used to bring me scratchy lotteries.
Oh, I do that with my kids.
Scratcher tickets, yeah.
Which was
those are terrible. Oh, those are terrible.
Why?
The odds suck.
Oh yeah. Well, I just put them in the kids' stockings.
I mean, the odds on the lottery suck, but at least we're talking about it's $1 billion.
Can you claim you're a billionaire just briefly?
No.
Can I just for a second?
No, because you want
I want $1 billion. Can I say I'm a billionaire for like a minute?
You can say you want $1 billion, but you'll never have $1 billion. You'll have 550, and you won't even have that. You'll have
like 300.
Yeah, 270 million or something like that.
Oh shucks.
I know, right? Well, that's again. We always joke.
I don't know how I'll manage to live.
We always joke because we're talking about the Mega Millions is 1.1 billion. The Powerball right now is like 90 million. It's like I'm not going to play that because again, 90 million not good enough for me. But $1 billion, got to talk about it.
Dude, do you know how ecstatic I would be if when I won a free ticket on my Scratchy lottery? I was ecstatic.
By the way, what am I scratchy? What do you mean scratchy lottery?
The little tickets that you have to scratch off the numbers.
Yeah, scratchers. I've never heard of scratch.
Yeah, the scratchy lottery tickets.
I'm very confused. Scratchers. I've never heard of scratchies.
Yeah. Scratchy. I've only heard of Itchy and Scratchy, like from The Simpsons.
You got a problem over there? Is itching something?
Scratcher is the only way I've heard it.
Yeah, I was very.
Look, maybe there were Scratchies in your family. It's fine.
Scratchies. Huh. There you go.
All right, I'll go buy a ticket on the way home because I don't want you to not give me that $1 million if you win,
Yeah, I need proof that, by the way, that's the other caviat here.
You need proof that I actually bought something.
You have to make a $2 investment, okay?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't get the $1 million out of it. All right, that's the trash of the day. Up next, we'll get to the Chiefs' red half hour here on the show. Mahomes, once again, more than any other athlete, is asked about his contract. This time around, what he had to say. Next.
Cody and Gold.
The facts on this show are irrelevant.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Let's listen in on a modern-day marriage proposal. The players lift their smartphones. The young man pledges his true love to the woman of his dreams. She accepts. They exchange kissing emojis. There are some hearts. Very nice. Well, look at this. He's putting his phone down. I don't believe it. He's got a box from Diamonds Direct. Well, now she puts her phone down. Oh, unbelievable. That, folks, shows how special a diamond from Diamonds Direct is. Two people have put their phones down. He slips the Diamonds Direct diamond on her finger. She kisses him. Human contact, ladies and gentlemen. Who knew a Diamonds Direct diamond was capable of revolutionizing the virtual universe? And look at this. Her phone is ringing and she's still looking at her Diamonds Direct diamond. Oh, what's next? Tweets from actual birds? Amazing things really do happen when you give her a diamond from Diamonds Direct. Come in today and see how we can help you download real emotion. Details, store hours, and more at diamondsdirect.com. Your love, our passion.
Dispatch, this is Mindy at Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling.
Well, boy, it's getting hot out there. Now, if your AC is making funny noises, just needs a once-over, or your home isn't as cool as it used to be, visit missionphc.com. Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. License 202909.
Tailgates in Turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey can be used for succulent sliders, killer kebabs, championship chili, or even brilliant burnt ends. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack worth nearly $2,000, including a portable Traeger grill, Yeti cooler, Chiefs gear, and much more at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot. Come on, KC, turn up your tailgate at tailgatewithturkey.com.
It's too hot to cook. Make it easy with Old Shawnee Pizza and their Tuesday special. Any single topping pizza is just $12.99. That's right, only $12.99. Call or go to OldShawneePizza.com to order. Old Shawnee Pizza. 2 locations, Shawnee and Lenexa.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Consumer Cellular's award-winning customer support is 100% based in the U.S., and you are 100% based in the U.S. That's something you have in common with Consumer Cellular's customer service. And Consumer Cellular customer service likes pizza, and you like pizza. And Consumer Cellular has an acute fear of spiders, and your fear of spiders is acute as well. So you already have so many things to discuss when you call Consumer Cellular to talk about our affordable and flexible phone plans. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands to treat ED at up to 95% off. That's right, the same active ingredient as the brand name for 95% less. It's the same ED medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed for only $49.99. Seminar Wednesday, August 9th, Wingate Hotel in Kansas City. Weight loss 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
Not all water heaters are made equally. Some can be temperamental. Some can be unreliable and don't even think about what happens if you have neighbors downstairs.
Why is it raining inside my apartment?
Not with a Navien tankless water heater. You'll never run out of hot water. You only heat water when you need it, saving you tons in utility costs. Navien tankless water heaters. Visit tanklessmadesimple.com to learn more.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Now they have everything they need to come to life. Dell Technologies and Intel are creating technology that loves ideas, loves expanding your business, evolving your passions. We push what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now.
You could throw your flip-flop at a bug.
Ew, a bug, get it.
But the chances of actually hitting it
over there
are statistically,
it's still alive.
Unlikely. Good thing nature's got your back. Stem bug killers combine powerful active ingredients found in plants like lemongrass and geraniol and scientifically engineer them into effective bug-fighting formulas, safe for use as directed around people, pets, and throughout the home. Stem. Rooted in nature, optimized by science.
Switch to My Plan from Verizon and get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV on us with eligible phone purchase and Unlimited Plus. A value of up to $449. Head to Verizon today. $449 value applies to NFL Sunday Ticket season 23-24 only. Additional terms and embargoes apply to NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube. No refund.
Clouds giving away to sun, reaching a high today of 92.
Weather brought to you by Express Employment Professionals. Don't go it alone in your job search. With nearly 20,000 job openings, Express Employment Professionals can help you take the next step in your career. Visit expresspros.com today.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. Technicians you can trust with your house keys.
Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. The technicians you can trust with your house keys for over 70 years. Receive 0% financing plus 12-year parts and labor warranty on a new cooling and heating system. Call 268-4669, Kansas or Missouri, or book online now at anthonyphce.com.
Chiefs Red Half Hour, every day at 11:30 on Cody and Gold.
All right, it's the Chiefs Red Half Hour. During the break, noticed our good friend Pete Sweeney, who will join us tomorrow up in St. Joe at Chiefs Training Camp, put out his updated 53-man roster projection. Guess who he now, after not having him to open camp, who he now has making the 53-man. He has 7 wide receivers making. That's an increase from 6. He now has Kadarius Toney, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Sky Moore, Rashee Rice, Richie James, Justin Watson, and Justin Ross as the 7th wide receiver. Now you're saying, all right, how did this happen? How does this work? Well, you scroll down, and it's because there's some roster gamesmanship taking place based off of accrued seasons for vets. So he now only has 3 tight ends instead of the 4. He has Blake Bell getting cut. And you're like, wait a second.
But didn't Jody Fortson hurt?
Jody Fortson's the one that is hurt. But he also says there's a rule in the NFL that they can release Bell at the deadline only to sign him back the next day. At the roster deadline, only veterans with 4 or more accrued seasons are released rather than waived, which means none of the other 31 teams could claim Bell. So they would basically have a handshake deal with Bell.
Hey, we're signing you back tomorrow.
We're cutting
please.
you. Don't worry.
Just one day.
We're going to re-sign you tomorrow. Then this would all of a sudden give you some room because 7 receivers quickly becomes 6, 3 becomes 4. Fortson's shoulder injury. Maybe Matt Bushman makes the final roster spot as well. But that's how Pete has Justin Ross making the team. I still say if he makes the team as the 7th receiver, Cody, 7th receiver, how many games is he even active?
I mean, it would depend on the Tony injury, I guess. But this is like, you know what this comparison is? You know who was on the 53-man roster pretty much the entire time he was here? Gary Dieter.
Yeah.
Total yardage you remember Gary Dieter getting?
I don't know. He beat us in our media game we played at
Well,
Sporting
he
KC.
was a former professional athlete.
Everybody
so-
else was running out of breath, and then here's Garrett Dieter running in our Sporting KC media game, and you're like, well, that guy looks like an athlete. Well, it turns out he played in the NFL.
Seemed a little unfair. I feel like maybe you should have to be at
But
least
to
a
answer
few
your
years
question,
removed.
Garrett Dieter had 32 yards receiving and 2 catches.
He was active for 10 total games.
Now, I think Justin Ross will do more than that in his career. However, more is probably on the special team side of things than anything else. So if he makes the roster, that'll make people happy.
So he has him
but he's
carrying
just-
7 wide receivers and 4 running backs.
for the initial
Yeah.
initial cut. That can change very quickly. And all of a sudden, they're only keeping 6. They move someone to IR. We'll find out how serious the Jody Fortson stuff.
And now all of a sudden in his projection, no Carlos Dunlap.
Well, he's not on the team. He's not going to put him. I don't think he can put him on a projection.
He put him
right?
on the preseason projection.
Oh, did he think? Oh, because he thought he was already going to be at camp. Well, it's
He
because
was
of Chris. It's
convinced he was
because
gonna sign.
it's because of the Chris Jones thing. And Dunlap hasn't signed anywhere still.
Yeah.
Someone says, "Boys, Justin Ross is not on the 7 line. He's 4 or 5." Okay, man. Okay.
All right. Okay, so let's just to be clear. You think he's on the, he said 4 or 5?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so MVS,
Tony,
Tony.
MVS, Moore, Rasheed Rice is 4. So you think he's
So
ahead,
you think he's ahead of one of those?
and still ahead
of.
Okay.
It's just not realistic. He's at best 6.
Yeah.
If you are an optimist, he's 6.
Mm-hmm.
But I told you, I made every listener of this show a deal that if Justin Ross, as Pete is currently predicting, makes the 53-man roster, I will reopen the gates to having conversations related to Justin Ross on this show, similar to as we would have talked about Justin Watson. I will not promise it consistently or frequently in any way, but I will entertain conversations about him. But if he doesn't, if Pete predicts it and everyone predicts it, and he doesn't make this 53-man roster, he's dead to this show.
And also, not
dead,
just, Cody,
regular
it's-
season or otherwise. He does not exist on this show.
It's also not just making the initial, but we got to wait for the weekend to clear out because he can.
Yeah,
make,
he's got to make it by the time Tuesday hits.
Yeah,
job time.
Once again, death comes back up on this show.
Cody, man, I don't know what's going on with you.
I don't know. I guess I'm just going through a bleak time in my life. And that time, it was just talking about, like, not like physically dead, just, emotionally. Spiritually dead to the show.
Yeah. We'll be up in St. Joe tomorrow. We'll be watching Justin Ross, I guess, as well.
Yeah. He's looked good in camp.
When we're
I'm not
up
going to deny
there,
that.
Yeah, and we're up there. It, of course, is brought to you by Max Motors. Worth the drive from anywhere. MaxMotors.com.
I do have a little bit of a problem at the moment.
Oh, boy.
The Max Motors car.
What
No,
did you
it's
do?
driving
What
great.
did you do?
It's driving great. The
Okay.
problem is not that it's fantastic ride. The problem is every single day my daughter tells me she wants this car and not our cars. She's like, I don't want this car anymore. She's like, I said, why do you want that? She's like, it's cool. I like the red truck. I want that one. We should just keep that one. And I said, well, Alex is getting it at the end of the week, so you can't.
Yep.
And she's like, pass. I like that one. Give me that car.
She's like, I don't like this 10-plus-year-old car we normally drive.
I like this fancy
I like
one.
the brand new one that still smells like a new car, and it rides smooth, and it's great.
And she likes that it can make calls and she can talk to people from the car and that she can see
my
what's
car can do
playing on the
that.
big screen. And
Your car, you don't have Bluetooth in your car?
Well, through an aux cable. It's not Bluetooth. It's aux cable.
Okay, I see.
My car doesn't even have the Bluetooth availability.
I got you.
But yes, she can, but we don't do it often because it's not. I got to connect. No, I'm not doing that. I just talk to people if I'm talking about it. And you can click the button to call someone on there and all this other stuff. It just is obviously nicer than my cars. So every day she's like. So yesterday, I take it to camp and she gets I go pick them up from the in-laws. And before the first thing she says to me every time I pick her from the in-laws is, "Did you pick me up in the red truck?" Because every once in a while I don't. I'm like, "Yes, it's out there." Oh, she's excited that we're in the. I'm like, "Oh man."
So is she pissed off?
Trouble.
Is she pissed off that I'm grabbing the truck on Thursday?
Dude, I'll tell you right now, she's gonna be bummed out. The first day I pick her up and we're not in the truck, she's gonna be bummed. She's gonna be bummed out.
Sorry. Apologies.
Get a price on this thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
What's the old friends and family discount, Max Motors?
Sounds like
what can you do for your guy?
Sounds like you're gonna be buying a car here pretty soon.
With or without that lottery money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of her money would certainly make
You
it
tell
easier.
her if you win the Mega Millions, you'll buy her a car right now, and she can hold on to it till she's 18 or 16.
I gotta
or
like
whatever.
start it. That sounds terrible.
She can just sit it. You take the key, make it so it can't start. She can.
Do you
just
let
sit
your
in it.
kids know if you win the Mega Millions? Do you let your kids know you're that rich?
I haven't been in that spot.
I think you try not to. I think you try to live a semi-normal life. You don't want them thinking you're that level of rich. Kills all motivation.
Yeah, but you also
You're a trust fund kid now. I need you to not realize
I mean,
that
I
you're
don't
a
think-
trust fund kid.
I don't think you make it clear that acting as if they don't ever have to work in their life, but I think they would know pretty quick. You're like, well, we're moving to a new house. This house is way bigger and nicer than what we've. What happened? Oh, Daddy's radio show's going really, really well.
Don't worry about it. Why don't you work anymore? Not important.
What happened to the show? Wait, why are we? We're going on a bunch of vacations now. How come we're not driving just to Colorado every year?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're flying. We're flying to Hawaii now, huh? Weird.
How quickly things change. That's fine. They can think that. I just don't need them to know that they don't have to have a job for the rest of
That's
their
fair.
lives.
I would agree with that. I think that's healthy. I don't think it'd be healthy that your kids at a young age, like let's say once she's 12, already knows that people are talking about what they're going to do.
We're just going to do a
college, and
late
she's
trust fund. It'll kick in when you're like 50, you know?
Yeah, all of a sudden that
When you
cabin
just, like-
in Colorado has running water.
Yeah, it doesn't now.
It doesn't?
No.
Oh, I didn't
Never
know.
has, man.
So what do you do?
Use an outhouse? What's the next part you're looking for?
You just have an outhouse. You don't shower?
Build an out. We like have an outdoor. It's like a shower, but it's like if you went camping. We used a propane one for a while, like a propane powered one. I think running water, by the way, I think that might be coming to the cabin soon. There's a
I
lot
thought
of
you were
internal.
I thought you were about to say that's overrated or something.
No. There's a lot of internal family discussion over what amenities should be up there
'cause
and what should.
you want to keep
like
it.
nobody wants electricity because then there's a TV up there, and then kids who are going up there to get away from it aren't doing that.
Okay.
They're just watching Netflix in the cabin versus
I get
stepping
that.
away from the technology in.
I get
water. I think everyone could just have water.
I think
it's probably fine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Or just somehow you don't have a TV. I mean, I still think I get your guys are trying to keep it at. I still think for safety reasons, I think you should get electricity in the cabin.
Safety. What do I need the electricity for safety reasons? I feel plenty. I mean, other than, I guess, not knocking over a lantern to burn the house down.
Yeah, heat.
Heat is not the problem. We have a brand new fireplace insert.
Oh,
Brand
so
new,
it's okay as long as
crisp,
that's safe.
clean.
As long as you're not
It's
worried
good.
about that thing having a major problem.
No, my bigger concern is knocking over a lantern and burning the entire cabin down. Like I use like an actual gas lantern.
Why don't you just
like
just get a solar powered electric type?
lots
lantern?
of people do.
Okay, that's
Who
what
are
you
out there?
probably. You
I
don't
like
need
I like the real thing. Makes me feel
you do
old-timey.
You do until something
Until
terrible
I burn it
happens.
down. Oh God, I would be disowned by my family forever.
Someone wants us to move, or you to move the Dom Perignon bet.
To Justin Ross making the roster?
I mean, that might guarantee us the bottle.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
I like where the text line's at.
That's significantly moving the goalpost in favor of the Dom. I'm not there yet.
Not going to happen.
Not there yet.
All right.
I'm backing my guy
We
Jordan
were
Miles.
talking about money and whether or not you should know if your parents are wealthy or rich and you never have to work again. There's nobody that I think gets asked about money more as an athlete than Patrick Mahomes right now. He was doing an interview with Albert Breer over at SI, and Mahomes revealed what I think has been pretty evident, but it's another way he has discussed it is, quote, trying to find a balance with his contract between getting paid fairly while still not taking too much money away from the team the way Tom Brady did. Quote, I've looked at Tom's model and how he did it. That's the formula. He knows legacy is what he cares about. How do I make sure that I can have multiple championships? I give my organization flexibility to continue to build championship caliber rosters. He gets it. I don't fault anybody else that doesn't go with that model, but that's been pretty clear from the beginning when he signed the 10-year contract. And
Yes.
it still is so weird, the fascination consistently with every time someone else gets paid in the league, it's like, man, remember, but Mahomes, he's getting screwed with that deal. If he really had a problem with it, number one, he could knock on Brett Veach's door and basically say, hey, we got to get something done now. He's not doing that.
And they would do it this second.
I still also think they will end up restructuring that thing very, very soon anyway, because he is the 8th highest paid, and he's not going to be okay with being the 15th highest paid, all right? But there's a balance. Every year, someone's going to get paid at the quarterback spot, and it's going to potentially change the market a little bit. He's not going to always be the highest paid quarterback in football. Otherwise, you have to redo it every single year, and it defeats the purpose. He's not signing one-year contracts every year.
When do you think is it this year? Are they going to rework it now?
I think it's still after this season.
I think so, too. I think that we had saw some reporting, if you remember, like kind of later in the summer, that said it was going to be before the regular season hits. But there is absolutely no reason at all to do it before Burrow's deal's done. Don't rework his contract till you know Burrow's number, because it just kind of defeats the purpose. You're giving them an edge. Make them pay whatever the hell they're going to pay Joe Burrow without knowing a damn thing. Your guy's under contract for 1 million more years. Don't rush it through there. And I think I saw the reporting, maybe it was Pelissari yesterday, who said he didn't get any kind of sense that the Burrow deal was imminent.
Well, the injury might make it a little more interesting, too.
Maybe, but I mean, they're still going to pay him. Yeah, but
they're still going to pay him, but I just wonder if they want to make sure that the recovery is actually what it is.
Clear that up before they pay the guy. Well, on top of like putting him in front of the media, and then he's got to answer questions about his calf or any of these things.
Yeah.
And so I still think it's at the end of this year too. Then you put behind pretty much every contract who would be left to pay after that? Lawrence?
He would be next up after this Burrow.
Probably.
After now Herbert and Burrow.
Okay, great.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence probably is next.
And he's probably 2 years away still, maybe, or a full year, so it's fine. And you don't care what his number comes in at, because he's going to have to play. He's going to have a huge year if he's going to want to go way beyond whatever Herbert and Burrow's numbers are versus just at or near those figures. They wallet watch him really bad. And I'm assuming it's because they get the sense that they're getting ready to go through a Brady era again. Because right now, if you're in the AFC, how do you feel? That every single damn year, it's this one guy who stands in your way every time. And on top of it, he's going to take a discount? Well, that's no good for us, because part of the reason I think he took this money now, and the way that they've handled their cap the last couple of years, is I think the Chiefs are really, really, really well positioned cap-wise over the next 2 or 3 years to kind of do whatever they want. If they want to extend several people in-house, Creed and Nick Bolton or Trent McDuffie, they'll have those options in a couple of years. If they want to go out and spend big money, free agency dollars on a tackle or a wide receiver like we've talked, or a pass rusher like we talked about it, I think they have that kind of flexibility. And I think Mahomes sees that. And I got to be honest, he's taking a discount and they've already won a Super Bowl again. It's going to be hard to get him off of that line now.
And he just makes, $20+ million on endorsements.
Yeah,
as well. At least he's the most endorsed athlete in the NFL, player in the NFL right now. So that has to be considered. And yeah, they're going to have to restructure it. I still think a lot of the national reporting, not talking about locally, but national, Mike Florio's of the world and others, a lot of their sources are agents. And I still think whether it was the running back conversation or this with Mahomes' contract, I think a lot of that comes from agents. And we know at the time the Chiefs did the deal with Mahomes, a lot of agents, heck, Joel Corey, who's been on this station numerous times and this show, former NFL agent, he's like, hey, if I was agent, I wouldn't have done that deal. He didn't think it was a good deal for other agents and other players in the league. And that's why I think we still continue to see pushback, I guess, on the deal that is setting up beautifully for the Chiefs, yes, but it was a deal that Mahomes intentionally did that way. That's what's fun. It's not like they completely tricked Patrick Mahomes into signing this. They were both sides locked in. They knew what they were doing.
They made a weirdo contract with the guaranteed mechanisms and all this stuff.
Absolutely. I'm laughing, 913-586-7610, the text line, because I can picture this too. Maybe someone can get us a graphic of this. Cody walks around that cabin in Colorado with that lantern, the old school lantern, in a nightcap like Ebenezer Scrooge.
Just walking around.
I can see, who's there? Who is there? I can see that in the middle of the night. That's exactly what it's like. Do you have a cap? Do you wear a cap?
I do not have a nightcap. I've never owned a nightgown.
Cody's there and he's dragging the Superbone behind him.
Do I have to make it seem like I'm 100 years old?
That's what it is.
Also, people are accused. Someone says Cody has 5 decks in a cabin in Colorado. That radio money really
That radio money, different. Man. Show's doing well.
The cabin is a family thing. I don't own. Technically, I own 0 parts of it at the moment.
You're lucky they even let you use it.
Yeah. I have to schedule time just like anyone else, you know?
You got an
have a
Airbnb.
family timeshare.
You got an Airbnb. Yeah, timeshare. You got an
There's
Airbnb.
no way we're Airbnb that thing. I don't trust other people.
What, you think they'll burn it down?
Maybe.
Okay.
We'll take care of it the right way.
So what if, say, Quentin wants to go up there for a weekend? Can you arrange that?
By himself?
Why can't he go by himself?
Not him. Not.
Oh, wow. What about me? What about me?
Maybe we know each other well enough. They might be able to arrange that.
Okay.
We try to limit it to
like
if people are going.
Air
Do you ever go
conditioning.
in the wintertime?
I've never gone in the winter time.
Would that be cool, or
You
would
would have to
would
take
I
like
be
a
freaked out because I'm in the middle of the damn? There's a massive snowstorm,
that'd be cool.
it'd be cool, but also I'd be a little concerned. No cell signal or anything out there.
Here's the problem, and there isn't. The two things you would have to deal with if there was already the snow on the ground is there'd only be two ways to get there. Hike. Right? You can't drive a car through it. The roads aren't really accommodating for that. Or snowmobile.
Oh, well, that'd be fun.
Snowmobile would be badass. That'd be the best way to go there.
I don't need to fall off of that.
But then, like the water, you gotta chisel through the creek to get the water. You know, like you're just
chisel again. It is like what are we? We're living in the 1800s again.
That's why a lot of us don't go in December, dude.
Yeah.
We all go in the summer. We go in August or
What about
September.
a helicopter? You just land a
or-
helicopter up there.
I mean, if you were rich enough, sure, I bet you could build a helipad.
I have gone camping up in the Rockies in
I've
like
always-
early
I
spring.
would
It's
in the
like
wi-
our property's 13 acres, but it's like near a national forest. So.
See, I would in the wintertime, I would love going to a cabin that has a hot tub, but again, that has electricity and it has cell signal and internet. I don't know if I'm
paved road to
I
get
don't know
there?
if I'm digging the literally no contact and communication with anybody. If there's a medical emergency, you're SOL. I don't really
I
like
broke an
that.
arm up there once. We just drove to Denver.
But in the wintertime, you just told me you can't drive.
No.
So what do you do?
There are now like minute clinic areas in like
How long of a walk?
Conifer. Walk? Oh.
But again, you just told me you can't drive. That's what I'm saying. You just told me you cannot
Nah,
drive.
you'd be just kind of screwed. If you
That's-
had a real
that's my
medical
concern.
emergency, you might die.
That's
There's
my
a reason
concern.
why people in the like 1890s died so young. They couldn't get access
They
to
were
things
stranded
they
in
needed
cabins, walking around like Ebenezer
I
Scrooge
don't
with the
think-
lantern.
I don't think it's a mystery why people died so young back then. There's a lot of reasons why. Lack of ability to get to medical emergency places is probably one of them.
Cholera.
Yeah, that probably didn't help.
Oh, yeah.
Polio was still big then, right?
Dysentery, all of it.
I mean, they hadn't invented, like, they didn't have penicillin then. They were just screwed.
Does the cabin have an old medicine cabinet? It's just got a bunch of vials of little things.
Like an apothecary?
Uh-huh. Sure.
Just a jar of leeches.
You drinking original Coca-Cola?
Yeah, is there even a refrigerator, or do you have to put it in the snow out back?
No, there's no electricity. There's no fridge.
So how do you keep anything
The
cold?
stream is cold enough that it acts as a refrigerator.
I was joking. So you literally do put the
of
food in the.
course.
It doesn't go down the stream.
No, we've built it out. There's like rocks, so the water flows in and flows out, but everything's. I don't know
This
what to
is
tell
some
you.
real
dude.
1800s stuff.
This is the way we live when we go to the cabin.
Someone says it sounds like my dream winter vacation. Oh, I'm sure it's beautiful and peaceful. I would be very concerned in the wintertime. Summertime, I think you got me. Wintertime, I'd be concerned about going up into that cabin.
Yeah.
With no way out.
Yeah, I'd be a little bit concerned about winter as well. Maybe one year. I've seen pictures of it in the snow. It looks very nice.
Oh, I'm sure it's beautiful. I'm sure it's gorgeous up there.
This is not what we had intended on talking about. It's been a while since we got derailed in a Chiefs Red half
That's all
hour,
right.
you know?
That's okay.
So you want to come sometime? I'll be there
think
next
so.
summer.
I think so. Yeah. What else is there to do nearby?
We can hike, climb.
Oh, boy.
You want to climb up a mountain? Do you trust me to get you up a mountain?
I am not climbing a mountain.
I
hate heights, man.
I've taken kids
I
much.
hate heights.
I've taken kids as young as 8. I've personally escorted
I would hike
kids
a
as young
little,
as 8 up a
hike a
mountain.
little bit, maybe. Truly climbing? Mm-mm.
Not like with ropes. Free climb. Even better.
No. I don't like heights, man.
Would you
start-
hike up a hill that is on the backside of a mountain just to stand out over the other part? You wouldn't have to get near the edge. You have to get near the edge. There's one
I
near
still
the
think-
cabin that you could just go up the backside where essentially you would never deal with like the height of going down. It's just a big walk.
I
up
think
a
the
hill.
height would be problematic for me. I think it would. Someone says, well, they want to hunt on your land, Cody.
Okay. I don't. Sure.
It's not his land.
I mean, it's my family's, and there's only 13 acres. I assume you need to get a hunting license for the other national forest part of it, or you don't hunt in there.
Have you ever had
or
anybody
get in trouble.
random just come up on your
Yes.
cabin? Oh,
Yes.
really? And?
They just tell them
Like
it's
some guy
private
that-
property. We have big signs up that say private property.
Do you
but
think-
we are maybe less than a mile away at times from like Pike National Forest. So yeah, people of the trailheads aren't far from where we are.
So people that like rob banks and then go off the beaten path, they might try to stay in your cabin when nobody's there, and then it's ransacked. It's ransacked, like Chiefsaholic.
We haven't had that problem yet. We've never had anyone ransack
Someone's
our
on
cabin in an attempt to look for
FBI Most Wanted, goes up to the mountains, finds your cabin in the middle of the woods, stays there for a few nights, and then moves along.
Good.
And then they catch up to them, and all of a sudden they find out they just ransacked and burnt the cabin down.
Not even kidding. The key to the actual door of the cabin is like the skeleton key from like cartoons. That's the original door. So it's like,
wow,
that's the key to the actual cabin. Is like, like circle on the end with like the 4 prongs.
Jeez, like, this everything is just, again, it's like throwback to 1800s.
It's the oldest. Well, so next year we're going because the cabin will be 100 years old.
Jeez.
So everything. I mean,
someone says
fixed things, painted.
Someone says quit smoking, QT. That was me coughing, not Quentin, and I don't smoke. That was me coughing, not Quentin, not the intern. We can blame him for all kinds of things, but that one wasn't him. Someone says is that the cabin Ted Bundy stayed in? Is it? Is it?
Don't think so. I don't think he was staying in Colorado at the time.
All right, that's the Chiefs Red Half Hour plus a little Colorado cabin mixed in. You never know what you're going to get. Coming up next, what's trending? We'll get you caught up there as we're closer to the MLB trade deadline, and the Royals did make another move today.
Cody and Gold, live from the Chiefs practice field this summer. Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
You're always better with a roof from JR.
Well, that was fun. And who says we don't get hurricanes in KC? That storm that blew through last week had Category 1 hurricane winds. And now, here come all the hail-chasing roofers. But there was no hail. And inspecting a roof for wind damage is a lot different than inspecting for hail damage. Unlike hail's dings and dents, wind damage likes to hide until the next storm when your roof leaks. That is exactly why you need to call JR & Company. With years of hurricane experience in Florida, locally owned JR & Company knows how to find the wind damage that others might miss. And they know how to deal with insurance adjusters on wind claims. As always, our inspection and your peace of mind are free at jrroofcheck.com.
You're always better with a roof from JR.
Visit jrroofcheck.com.
What does it mean to be the official information technology provider for the Chiefs? Everything. Technology Group Solutions makes sure everything runs flawlessly for the millions of fans that attend games and the hundreds of millions of fans that comprise Chiefs Kingdom around the world. Technology Group Solutions can deploy that same dedication, problem solving, and incredible service to ensure your business runs smoothly, all day, every day, just like your Chiefs. Technology Group Solutions, powering Chiefs Kingdom and ready to do the same for you.
Tailgates and turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey is always a winner. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
Ask Sherwin-Williams during the Shades of Summer sale, July 28th through August 7th, and get 35% off paints and stains with prices starting at $28.92. That means 35% off our most popular color family, blue. Psychologists have found it to be soothing and relaxing, which makes it especially great for bedrooms and bathrooms. And of course, get 35% off all of our other colors. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
You could throw your flip-flop at a bug.
Ew, a bug, get it.
But the chances of actually hitting it
Over there!
are statistically
It's still alive.
unlikely. Good thing nature's got your back. Stem bug killers combine powerful active ingredients found in plants, like lemongrass and geraniol, and scientifically engineer them into effective bug-fighting formulas, safe for use as directed around people, pets, and throughout the home. Stem. Rooted in nature, optimized by science.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
The other place with 3 great Kansas City locations, Shawnee, Olathe, and downtown Overland Park, is the perfect place to wind down after a tough day at work. Go grab yourself something to drink, go sit out on the patio, have some amazing food, and catch the game. For all your summer fun, be sure to stop by the other place.
The value of a lab-grown diamond continues to crash, down 50% in just the last 6 months. That's one of the many reasons House of Diamonds sells only real natural diamonds. Real love deserves a real diamond. House of Diamonds, only real diamonds on the southeast corner of College in Quivira.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Right now at Wendy's, when you buy either a Dave's Single, Spicy Chicken Sandwich, Medium Frosty, or 10-piece nuggets, you can get another for just $1. Your dollar never tasted so good. So it's obvious what everyone will get, right?
Definitely nugs
Spicy
and
chicken
a Frosty.
sandwich,
Dave's Single and a Frosty for me.
and a Frosty.
Okay, who said Frosty and a Frosty? Pick your obvious choice. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's, buy one, get one for $1.
Limited time only. Price of participation may vary. U.S. Wendy's, valid for item of equal or lesser value. Cannot be combined in a combo or any other offer.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Donate on 610sports.com to the Let's Play Sports Equipment Drive, presented by Pinnacle Bank, benefiting the Urban Youth Academy. Thank you for all your support. 610 Sports Radio, KCSB Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Odyssey app. What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topics trending.
Number 1 on What's Trending, MLB trade deadline today at 5 o'clock. The Royals, since we were last on the air yesterday, have made 2 moves. Last night, it involved swapping reliever Jose Cuas to the Cubs for outfielder Nelson Velasquez. We'll talk more about that move and why this one, I think, has people feel a little bit better than yesterday's move with Nicky Lopez. But also during the show today, the Royals made a minor move acquiring pitcher Tucker Davidson from the Los Angeles Angels for cash considerations. Davidson, 27 years old, made his MLB debut back in 2020 with the Braves. Actually started Game 5 of the World Series. Last season was dealt to the Angels. This year was on the Angels opening day roster. 1-1, 2 saves, 31 strikeouts in 31 2/3 of an inning. I think it's
I like both
a
the moves.
reliever that replaces Jose Cuas, gives him another bullpen arm. And yeah, we'll talk more detail about the Jose Cuas swap there with the Chicago Cubs. Hopefully they're not done, man. That's 2 trades in the last 24 hours. 3 in the last, 36 hours.
Yeah. The Tucker Davidson trade feels like the kind of thing is like, well, if you can just turn him into Jose Cuas, then you can make another like Velasquez type deal, which is the kind of thing the Royals should be doing. Swapping parts until they find the ones that fit. You've got to be more transactional than you've been ever in your history. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, he addressed the Brady Singer thing. I saw Mike Feinsand piece saying that there is a lot of interest in Brady Singer, but the same problems still exist. The Royals' price tag is very high, and he's not saying it shouldn't be. He's saying it should be because starting pitching is so expensive and there's so many controllable years left of Brady Singer. The The Royals aren't going to let him go unless you come to the table with a haul.
Yeah, and I hope somebody does. I'm still don't think he gets moved. Do you?
I don't think so. You know what's funny? We were talking about Tucker Davidson's FIP. Brady Singer also has one of the biggest gaps in the entire Major League Baseball, which suggests he's pitched better than his ERA has led on. Next up on What's Trending, the U.S. Women's National Team. You probably missed this match. 2 a.m. local time was when it took place. They finished in a 0-0 draw with Portugal. They're now second in their standings in their group because they haven't been scoring any goals. And the Netherlands just beat Taiwan, or was it Taiwan?
Vietnam.
Vietnam. 7-0. By the way, poor Vietnam. They're in this thing. They currently have a goal differential of -12. They haven't scored a goal, and they've let up 12.
Yeah,
they're just getting beat down.
Going into the tournament, their goal was to just score a single goal in the World Cup. That did not happen. It's their first time in the World Cup. They haven't been playing soccer at that level very long, I guess. It's been only like 20
Good
something
for them for making the World Cup, though. It's still
but
cool.
yeah, so the U.S. likely to play Sweden in the knockout stage. We'll see when that all gets squared away in the next day or so. Next up on What's Trending, former Chiefs running back Ronald Jones, who's now with the Dallas Cowboys, going to be suspended for the first 2 games of this season for PED violation.
Does that taint the Chiefs' Super Bowl title in your opinion?
I don't think so.
Ronald Jones getting suspended for PEDs?
I do not think so, but Ronald Jones and the Dallas Cowboys going to miss a couple games to start the season.
Yeah, I'd say so. Next up on What's Trending, a Nickelodeon Super Bowl. The NFL will have its first Super Bowl alternate telecast this season. Nickelodeon will broadcast the game with production tailored to kids, the same as they do those. They've done them for Thanksgiving or Christmas Day games. They've done them for regular season games. They're going to do the exact same thing for the Super Bowl. The NFL, like all sports, understand they have to procure a young audience. I'm still not sure if Nickelodeon's about the path for doing it, but sure. They must have been having success with it. Otherwise, they wouldn't continue to do it. First time a Super Bowl will have an alternate broadcast. That'll be super interesting.
Yeah, I think Nickelodeon's a great path for it. My only thing is, and you're someone that has kids, so I'll ask you this. Man, you got to make sure you got another TV because there's no way in hell I'd be watching the Nickelodeon broadcast of the Super Bowl. No chance. One thing for a regular season game or even a wild card game. The Super Bowl on that TV, we have a Super Bowl party. We're watching the main telecast. The kids, you want to go downstairs and watch on the TV Nickelodeon down there? You can do that. But this TV's staying on the main broadcast.
Yeah. I mean, there's just no way.
I mean, if you're a parent, you cannot let your kid, you got to take control. You're not watching the Nickelodeon broadcast of the Super Bowl. Absolutely
someone just
not.
God help the parents would have to watch that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. No, that's.
But if the options are the kid is losing its mind and the Nickelodeon version allows this to be watched in peace.
Nope.
Is the trade-off not worth it?
No,
I think just give them their old iPad if it's going to come down to that.
Go downstairs,
give them some other.
Take your damn Nintendo Switch and iPad and just sit there. Okay. If there's any day for you to sit in front of your iPad an unhealthy amount of 5 hours, today's the day. Let me enjoy my Super Bowl, okay?
The problem I have right now is, so our youngest son likes the Nintendo Switch that they both got is like a shared present for Christmas, but he doesn't know how to play it yet. He gets frustrated by it, so he just wants to watch me play it. So now I'm just playing the Nintendo Switch like 4 hours a week or something.
Oh, wow.
It's not that often.
You're really getting after it then.
Well, and some of it just wants to replay the things I've already beaten.
Did you
and
see
I don't want to
that,
do that. I want to play a new game if I'm going to do this.
The report thinking
I've already beaten Super Mario 3D World.
The report thinking of Nintendo. Their next-gen console could come out as soon as 2024. They're eyeing a Christmas 2024 release for a new console that can still load games from cartridges. So they're not going all digital yet. Not yet. New console could feature a cheaper LCD screen instead of a higher-end display, like the Switch, continue to include a cartridge slot. You're going to come out with a new console and it's going to be worse than what you already have? What are we doing here?
That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Well, my kids already have a Switch. That's the one they're having for a while. They're not at the age now that they care to switch them out right now. We're fine. I don't remember what age that was for me, but it was probably like early teenage years, right? When all of a sudden you're like, ooh, the new PlayStation. Of
course.
Then you cared. Now, at age 7 and 4, nah, they're good. Oh, they won't even notice.
That's what's trending here on Cody and Gold. Of course, we'll be up at training camp tomorrow in our training camp coverage on 610, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, Drinks, Scenic Views will be in St. Joe from 10 to 2, or actually not until 2. I'm sorry. We have Thursday's a short show. I'm sorry. I got my days mixed up.
Yeah, tomorrow we'll be there.
Full 4 hours tomorrow. Thursday, we have a little shorter show because of some Royals baseball. But we'll have a Chiefs player join us from camp tomorrow. Looking forward to being up in St. Joe. Hope to see some of you up there as well. Again, stop by, say hello. We're kind of next to, what would that be? The bleachers on is that the south side?
Yeah.
Bleachers on the south side. You'll see our tent, a little bit of 610 signage as well. right behind the Kona Ice vehicles. That's where we're set up. Or right in front, however you want to say it.
It depends on how. I mean, I think behind for most people because they're not coming from the side of the field.
That's true. How about that?
Sky didn't even want a snow cone. Chris Jones not even showing up.
Sky Moore had a little bit of it. He just left.
Or no, not Sky. McDuffie was the one who didn't want it.
That's well.
Too
Yesterday
cold.
was 70s.
In
After the
fairness,
rain.
it was way too nice for a snow cone. Like the weather was.
No, snow cone.
I don't know if it was hot chocolate weather, but
no, not quite hot chocolate weather as he mentioned.
You know those things.
We mentioned in what's trending the Royals now have actually made two moves. One, I think when you look at it, it's just to me a pretty minor. Hey, let's just get another bullpen arm, Tucker Davidson. Let's just go ahead and replace Jose Cuas, who we just traded away. Let's get a bullpen arm and see what we have there. As far as the Jose Cuas to Chicago and Nelson Velasquez coming to the Royals, I think this actually is a type of move that Royals fans look at and like, okay, more so than the Nicky move. Okay, this makes sense. Again, the Nicky Lopez move sure appears like, hey, this was the only option, and we can save some money along the way for someone that we didn't have a long-term plan with. Velasquez could be the right fielder next year, right? He's still in his mid-20s, and he's someone that has a little pop in his bat, can play all three outfield positions. It's somebody that's probably going to start in AAA, maybe gets up to the big leagues later on this year, but he might be the right fielder next year. You mentioned Edward Olivares. I think that's a decent comp where he could be what he is, maybe a little more power in his bat, though.
Supposed to have more power.
And maybe a little bit better defense as well. That would be the hope. And sort of these adventurous routes at times in the outfield.
I
Maybe
mean,
a better
he is a guy
arm.
who played center field too, which I guess so did Olivares, but JJ said yesterday that his defensive metrics took a slide this year, but were better the year before, and they think that they can fix them. And we can give the Royals a lot of crap for his stuff. They're usually actually pretty decent at fixing defensive outfield ability. Like they're usually a little bit better at that because they have to be because their damn outfield's so big. I'm not saying you were wrong anybody was wrong for being upset about the Hearn deal because on paper it didn't look that big of a deal. And we can talk about that one in a minute, but this is the kind of move the Royals should be making constantly. The last two, the Velasquez and the Tucker Davidson, perfect. Do they make me feel like the Royals are closer to contention tomorrow? No. But these are the kind of moves. Remember when I told you with Hearn, I couldn't think of like a winning team making that kind of move. And I'm like, I don't remember this. And it doesn't, that's like this big grapple for me. And even Vern's like, well, they're not a winning team. I'm like, yeah, but I want to mimic what winning teams do. So these two moves, winning teams do these kind of moves. They find a guy who's fielded, whose advanced metrics suggest he's a better pitcher than he is, who's available for cash, and they bring him in because they have an open 40-man roster spot because they just traded a different reliever. So they got something out of the reliever they traded. They got probably an equally good potential player out of Tucker Davidson. So they got a possible fourth outfielder for themselves. In the best case scenario, they're starting right fielder for a couple of years for free, in my opinion. Between these two deals, they got him for free. They just picked him up off the street, and he might very well start for them sometime over the next couple of years. Perfect. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Another player to evaluate. Get him to the big leagues now. Find out how talented he is. Find out if he can even be your Paulo Orlando. Again, these guys don't have to be stars for when you guys are good. You always want to try to replace a player probably of his level.
I mean, JJ Piccolo was even asked last night at the teleconference, like, hey, do you think that when you're looking at these trade possibilities, is there anybody that you think can project to be a starter out of this trade? And he said it's very unlikely. Like, just doesn't mean anybody can't start games for them, but like legitimate to be a starter that projects to be one of those other core guys in the future.
But you need a good fourth outfielder too. They don't have that.
But like the chance of them finding a guy in the trade market that can be another core piece for them in this trade market, not talking about the offseason, but right now is very, very slim. And he kind of acknowledged that last night just based off of what the market is and how other teams value certain players. Maybe unless you're talking about you pull something off with the Brady Singer trade or something like that, Cody. But you're not going to find someone that's going to be part of the core in one of these moves that you're making probably. That's going to be big league ready.
When you listened to JJ last night, let me find the clip because I guess I am curious if people
Which one?
Heard it the same way I did. Just talking about the Hearn deal and the deadline being slow. Here's what he had to say about the deadline being slow right now for the Royals.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much we can do from a trade perspective. I mean, somebody has to have interest in our players. When there's a lot of supply, there's not as much demand. So there's a supply in an area that we think we have depth. So the demand's not as great. So that certainly affects how quickly this can move for us.
When I heard that last night, and I'm not saying he's wrong, just he's telling the truth. They straight up aren't interested in our players. And you're like, but why? And then you're like, oh, yeah.
The worst team in baseball. Second worst team in baseball.
Yeah. I mean,
that goes back to the Nicky
JJ is
Lopez.
being honest to you. He's telling you.
That goes back to the Nicky Lopez point. It's like the value wasn't as much as what you thought it was.
Even me. And I wasn't. I didn't even think I was overvalued.
And that's where it's at. It's like that's the problem. And there's very few guys that would probably garner the significant interest that we think guys should garner. Scott Barlow I probably overvalue what Scott Barlow is going to bring back if they end up trading Scott Barlow. Brady Singer's probably the one where you could get something, but it sounds like, again, you got to really get something, and maybe it's as weird as it sounds, they should want to get a ton back for Brady. But even then, it still might be too big of an asking price to actually get what you think is worth
for
trading
someone
at.
to actually take the chance and do it for him. Depending on how he pitches the rest of the year, maybe the winner can do that for him. Because everyone and a lot of teams are going to see we can fix Brady, and they're going to try that. But here's the truth. I'm pretty sure that the DFAing Nicky Lopez was around the corner, and I don't think a single team was calling about him. I think they were interested in Hearn a week ago. They said that they didn't have the roster spot for him. Things change a little bit. Now they're more interested in Hearn. Nicky's not long for the roster. Whether they make this move or not, they take a chance on a player that they think might do something for them. But I think he's telling you what you should want to hear. This is JJ's first year as the general manager. The full, as in both jobs. As in there's no one looking over his head. He is doing the job. And he's telling you this roster isn't good enough. In his 17-minute interview last night, he said our minor leagues need to improve and nobody is calling about our big league players. That's all the players. That's everyone. There are no other hidden players to talk about. He's telling you they're behind, and he knows that they're behind, and he's trying to make these little moves in the meantime until maybe something opens up in the big way or they start figuring out a better way to develop the players they already have or start drafting a whole hell of a lot better. That's pretty much how these things are going right now. They're just behind. And I think JJ's openly admitting to this thing last night. Don't you?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's a lot easier from the outside to say, well, why don't you should be able to get this guy for that guy. And at some point, you can't force anybody to make a trade with you. Now, we've talked about you need to be aggressive. You don't need to sit and wait for the phone call. You need to go out and pursue opportunities.
Which, by the way, he also said he's called people.
But you can't force another team to trade with you. I'm sure there's plenty of players I'm sure they would love to trade for and trade, but that other team has to agree to a trade as well. Like sometimes we make it seem like it's this, hey, only the Royals just have to call them up and say, we want this guy. What? And like, how could you not pull this off? As if the other team doesn't also have to be on the same page and want to make the trade.
And then just in all honesty, you do understand, right, that the Royals' current talent level doesn't even have them secured 40 wins on the season. Do you think that every team in baseball is like, every player on that team is just untapped potential, and if we had them, they'd be a 90-win team? No. They lack major league talent. And unfortunately for them, the talent that they do have and the depth that they do have right now, Gold, is at bullpen. And it turns out that's a pretty flush market this year. They are not the only team selling bullpen arms. There's a lot of teams selling bullpen arms. So it's going to make it harder for you to do business. Now, I would tell you by 5 o'clock, I still assume that Scott Barlow's gone off this roster, don't you?
I'm not assuming that. I think he should be. But hearing kind of the way we've heard Vern even talk about Barlow, there's a chance maybe Ryan Yarbrough is actually the guy that's traded, not Scott Barlow by the time we get to 5 o'clock. Maybe it's Ryan Yarbrough that ends up at 4 o'clock today getting moved, which, by the way, fine. That's fine. This is a guy that we were surprised even came back and pitched.
There's very few players that would be like, you did what? Right? I mean, 2, 3 maybe. I mean, it's just so few. Because if the haul back is big enough, then you're not going to feel that way.
Coming up in 12 minutes or so at 12:30, we'll talk with Matt Verderam, national reporter for SI, get his thoughts on what we've seen so far at Chiefs camp, but also broadly with the NFL, the injury to Joe Burrow, what's been going on with the Mahomes contract, and what on earth Jonathan Taylor and the Colts are going to figure out there with his contract situation. So we'll talk to Matt Verderam in just a little bit. There's also, looks like the NFL, Cody, maybe trying to quietly make some changes to some policies that they have in the league.
Quietly is the key here.
Around the penalties that, of course, were once handed out for Deshaun Watson's suspension that they're expanding. They're looking to expand the sexual assault penalty because of course, how this has gone down. Remember, he was suspended 11 games last season. after multiple women accused him of sexual misconduct. The NFL took a lot of heat for that, but they have, quote, altered its personal conduct policy to include sexual assault involving threats or coercion, and included a pattern, that's the key part there, a pattern of conduct and offenses that involve planning as factors that can lead to more serious penalties. So we all know, again, it was alleged that there was a pattern, right? Alleged, but that there was a pattern with Deshaun Watson.
A pattern
yeah.
on,
and so the NFL, that didn't impact the severity of the suspension. The NFL's now saying, hey, if we see a pattern, in this case, there was 20 plus alleged victims.
Like if you're repeatedly doing this over and over and over.
There were more than 20 accusations involved in the Deshaun Watson situation. So that, right, in the prior policy, 1 versus 20 didn't matter. As much as that seemed crazy, it didn't in their policy. Now they're saying, no, there's a big difference between 20 and 1.
The NFL got embarrassed. And they're trying not to get embarrassed again. I get it. Their spokesperson was like, oh, we annually review our policies. I'm sure you do. And you make sure that you close these little loopholes of Deshaun Watson was able to, in my opinion, kind of get away for free on this. His suspension was not that bad, Gold. He should have gotten a full year from the NFL for this suspension. When it came down, we said it was kind of light, but we also understood that technically the NFL's own investigator suggested that it be shorter.
Yeah, then there was a change for that. It also feels like he got off easy because 5 years, $230 million contract. Fully guaranteed. So it's like, oh, what was the real punishment there?
Well, that's the thing. Are you going to change this so that at least teams are de-incentivized from propping up players who behave this way? Because if you're not going to do that, then I don't think you care if your guy gets suspended because he shows a pattern. This is straight up the Deshaun Watson rule. I cannot think of a single other player in the last 20 years that this would apply to. It literally only applies to him. I get it. Maybe some other player down the road does this kind of action, and they want to be able to punish him based on this. But this is because they got embarrassed as a league, and they're trying to protect their ass.
Yeah, unfortunately, in a lot of different things, rules, policies, whatever, it takes something happening, and then the change happens. Like, you would like to think people are proactive. Unfortunately, that's just not usually how it goes. And so the NFL is being reactionary instead of being proactive to this. To your point, maybe it's something that happens again down the road. Hopefully not. But something that they have to utilize a new policy for, but now they'll have it in place. I guess if you're trying to find things that can come from the terrible situation there from an NFL policy perspective, not even talking about that. But when you look at the contract he got, that also just made it worse, I think. And that's why by the way, we've never seen any of these other quarterbacks that didn't have any problems off the field. None of them are getting the fully guaranteed contract. That's what's also just nuts about it. It's one thing for any quarterback to get the fully guaranteed deal, but no, it's the quarterback that also had this stuff going on. And that's why no other owner is willing to do it. And it's why Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Browns, none of the other owners were happy with that deal because they're like, wait a second here.
I will say this. It does warm my heart, though, that the Browns got instant karma on it. They handed out an absolutely ludicrous contract, gave up way too much in draft assets, and they still stink. Didn't even fix their problems. They just suck. It's bad. Just a bad team. And maybe they'll be better this year. I think you've said that you think that they'll be more competitive than they were a year ago. But it turns out taking 2 years off of being a quarterback in the NFL makes it hard to continue to be an NFL caliber quarterback because he was awful last year. And at the very least, you don't want these teams punished. And by the time, but it's so funny too, because the Browns could have just kept drafting people with the picks that they had. You know how many good quarterbacks have come out of the draft the last 2 years, man? So many. The AFC's loaded with great quarterbacks. You could have just taken a chance on a different guy, and instead you're like, no, we'd take the sexual assaulter. You're like, okay. Not smart. Just not smart business across the board. I'm not surprised to see the NFL do this, though, because I know that you could sense that the NFL wanted to do more and felt a little handcuffed by it based on their own rules and things in place. They didn't have something specifically against that versus the other crimes you and I both know that they do. I did see, by the way, it's like the NFL is a little too slow on all these punishments anyway. They sat way too long on the Deshaun Watson thing, and then I saw finally Alvin Kamara just got his thing sorted out.
Well, he just met with the
legally,
commissioner.
so now he's met with the commissioner.
Or he's about to, something like that.
Yeah, because his thing got sorted out from the legal process side of things.
Yeah, the NFL always waits till which is fine, by the way. Yeah, I know you say you like it to happen quicker, but it makes sense to wait for the legal process to end before the league itself lays out a stiff punishment, perhaps. I mean, I get why they operate that way. As much as we would like it to, hey, incident happened 3 weeks ago. Where's your suspension? It's just not. There has to be some process, as much as it sucks.
It just makes it feel like you're, and I get it. They still suspend guys who have a good lawyer and settle things out of court and make things go away, right? They still punish people even though those things happen. but there's just no consistency in it. That's what they need to do, is outline this thing and give a specific number of games. If we see this, it's a year. Do it like the gambling policy. This action is this amount of time. Plain and simple.
Here's why they think they won't
You
do
commit
that.
domestic violence, it is 10 games, 8 games, a
they won't
year,
do that.
whatever.
I think they won't do that because there's different intricacies with each case. And also, I don't think they want to have on paper that determines, this sexual assault is worth 8 games to us. But they don't want to put quantity next to the severity of a crime from a league perspective.
Well, the problem
they
is
don't
that
want to do
there
that.
are different levels of severity
for sure
in
within
assault,
it.
and it's just like you start doing that.
I don't think it was only 2. This is why they wanted to have this the consecutive thing. Oh, it was only 2 sexual assaults. Oh, that's only 6 games. Oh, it was 10. Now it's a year. Like they do not want to go down that road because it's just dirty. That's just dirty.
It's dirty business anyway. Guy got a fully guaranteed contract from a team.
Yeah. All right, coming up next, we'll get a national perspective on what's going on with the Chiefs so far at training camp and also what on earth is going to happen with the Indianapolis Colts and their running back situation. Matt Verderame of SI stops by next.
There's Kelsey to the end zone.
Cody and Gold brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Tailgates in Turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey can be used for succulent sliders, killer kebabs, championship chili, or even brilliant burnt ends. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack worth nearly $2,000, including a portable Traeger grill, Yeti cooler, Chiefs gear, and much more at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot. Come on, KC, turn up your tailgate at tailgatewithturkey.com.
No one does happy hour like Twin Peaks. Whatever your preference, we have everything from tequila cocktails and an extensive bourbon category to top shelf spirits and cocktails served over ice balls. Local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails round out an adventurous drink menu, second to none. And don't forget about our 29-degree man-sized drafts. Our happy hour will have you coming back for more. Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
Put over $100,000 back in your pocket with the Freedom Loan, exclusive at Cap One Lending. You've heard us talk about the Freedom Loan for years. Here's how it works. It pays mostly principal first, eliminating thousands in interest and taking years off your mortgage, all without changing your spending habits. Call Cap One Lending at 816-905-1111 or apply at caponelending.com. Imagine paying your mortgage off in half the time with half the interest, all with no out-of-pocket closing cost. Whether you're purchasing, refinancing, or taking cash out, call Cap One Lending now and we'll have your loan approved in an hour and ready to close in 10 days. 816-905-1111, 905-1111, or apply at caponelending.com.
Cap One Lending, making your dreams a reality is what we do.
Cap One Lending, a Kansas licensed mortgage company, license number MC0026341, NMLS Missouri license 2468614. Programs and rates subject to change without notice.
Hey, it's Carrington Harrison from The Drive here. Do you remember how cold it got this winter? Well, it was a chilly one. And if you notice the cold air pouring through those old leaky windows, well, guess what? When it gets hot this summer, the exact opposite is going to happen. All that cool air is going to escape through those leaky windows, and that hot air is going to come in. So I'm telling you right now to replace those old windows and keep your house cool this summer with the official window of the Kansas City Chiefs over at Window World. Their windows are one of 2 windows with a good housekeeping seal of approval, a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And right now, Window World is offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. So pick up the phone right now and call this number for a free home estimate, 816-799-0820. And they can show you how they are simply the best for less. Remember this phone number, 816-799-0820. Or check out the website, windowworld.com.
Hey, this is Rex with KC Real Estate Buyers, and I buy houses for cash. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, grab a pencil. I'm going to give you a very important phone number in 40 seconds. I'm a private real estate investor, I live right here in KC, and I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at KC Real Estate Buyers, we are improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind-in-payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000. Or go to rexbuyskc.com. That's rexbuyskc.com, and I look forward to working with you.
Wondering if your roof was affected by previous or recent KC storms? Remember, you need 3 trustworthy bids before filing a claim. You can trust Century Roofing to work with your insurance company and not make you wait for materials. That's right. Century Roofing stores all materials on site, right here in KC. Make Century Roofing your first of 3 bids. Kansas City-based and female-owned. Trust the pillars of strength. CenturyRoofingKC.com. CenturyRoofingKC.com.
Century Roofing. Trust the pillars of strength.
The extracurricular activities, the traffic, the nightly homework, the traffic, the finding time to eat dinner together as a family, the traffic. Back to school can be stressful. Thanks to Ziploc, meal prep doesn't have to be. New Ziploc bags with Stay Open design have a patented stand-up bottom that helps keep the bag upright and a top crease that folds and holds for easy filling, unlocking a second set of hands in the kitchen. If only it unlocked a second set of lanes. New Ziploc brand freezer and storage bags with Stay Open design from S.C. Johnson, a family company.
Right now at Wendy's, when you buy either a Dave's Single, Spicy Chicken Sandwich, Medium Frosty, or 10-piece nuggets, you can get another for just $1. Your dollar never tasted so good. So it's obvious what everyone will get, right?
Definitely nugs
Spicy
and
chicken
a Frosty.
sandwich,
Dave's single and a Frosty for me.
and a Frosty. Okay, who said Frosty and a Frosty? Pick your obvious choice. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's, buy one, get one for $1.
Limited time only. Price of participation may vary. U.S. Wendy's valid for item of equal or lesser value. Cannot be combined in a combo or any other offer.
You're all set with your new Navien water heater.
I can't wait to take a shower without running out of hot water. I'm just gonna love my Navien tankless water heater. I just want to say
Oh, no need to say that, ma'am. You'll always love Navien's high efficiency that will save you money on gas bills compared to other water heaters.
I love how I have more space with its wall-hanging design. Please let me say
Nope, sorry, miss. I know you appreciate it, but I can't let you say it.
Why not?
Because with Navien, it's a tankless job.
How long you been waiting to use that?
You'd be surprised.
Find a Navien installer near you at tanklessmadesimple.com.
Hey, it's me, Ruthie, from Total Wine & More. You know how stores have been raising their prices lately? Well, lean into your speaker a little closer because I've got a big secret to share. Total Wine is actually lowering our prices on hundreds of wines. I know, right? And even better, our new lower prices on hundreds of wines are here to stay. But listen, don't thank me. At Total Wine, we love helping our customers save big. With the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find. Only at Total Wine & More. Drink responsibly, be 21.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
This report is brought to you by KC Customs. We put the customs in KC. KC-Customs.com.
Want a new truck, Jeep, or SUV, but don't want a new payment? Then come by KC Customs. We'll turn your boring ride into one that turns heads and breaks necks. Set yourself apart from the crowd. Go to KC Customs. We put the customs in KC.
Come on, baby, don't you wanna go?
All right, moving along here on a Tuesday, it's Cody and Gold. We'll get to the random question of the day here in about 12 minutes or so. I just saw, though, we now know who's going to start the Thriller on Thursday in Canton, Ohio, Cody.
Oh, can't wait.
Football on my TV. I'll be fine.
I love football, man, but come on.
Browns, Jets, showdown. Zach Wilson, Kellen Mond. A little DTR in the second half, too. The rookie out of UCLA. Actually, I'm intrigued to watch him play a little bit, but
more intrigued than watching
Zach Wilson. Yeah, I kind of know what he is.
I'm pretty good on the other two.
Kellen Mond as well. Wasn't Kellen Mond the quarterback that Mike Zimmer basically was like, yeah, he can't play football or something?
Yeah,
was something along those lines?
Guy's still in the league, you know. So really, Zimmer should feel bad about this situation.
I guess so. All right, let's talk with Matt Verderam, national NFL staff writer for Sports Illustrated. It's been a little bit since we had him on the show. I also noticed him and I were both at the same spot this past weekend. I was in his neck of the woods in Chicago. There was a big national card and sports memorabilia show. Did you pick up anything, man? Because that place was a zoo on Saturday.
I picked up quite a bit. Enough that thankfully my wife is still married to me. But yeah, we made it work. It was awesome. I was there Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, no, it was a good time out there. I know you won't like this, but made sure I got my Giordano's fix for deep dish pizza. I also got a hot dog with ketchup on it. Yes, with ketchup on it.
Hey, listen, I'm from New York. I think all that stuff Chicagoans is nuts. I absolutely put a ketchup on a hot dog.
Yeah.
And I'm so on the deep dish. Listen,
There it
pizza.
is.
It's not bad, but at the same point, it's like eating lasagna. I am a New Yorker. Give me the thin crust all day long.
And Gold says he hates lasagna. It makes no sense. He's just defending it because he thinks people are supposed to like it. The sauce to bread ratio is no good.
That's thanks to like it. Every time I go to Chicago, I go to Giordano's, and the crust is great.
I think you'd like lasagna, Matt. That's the point, that I think Gold would like lasagna. But let's talk a little bit about the Chiefs first, and I want to get you to the rest of the NFL. Your sense of the people you talk to around the league, of who you are buying into at wide receiver for the Chiefs, because I like the outsider's perspective. We already have our horses in the race. Who do you like?
You know, it's funny, really. Going into OTAs and certainly into camp, I really felt like Justin Ross was going to be a long shot because when you look at it, the Chiefs usually keep 6 receivers. And so if you just take a gander at their depth chart, it seemed like Ross was going to have a hard time making it. Then Kadarius Toney gets hurt 2 minutes into training camp. And all of a sudden, all these reps open up. Now, Toney may be back for week 1. He may not. We'll see how that shakes. But Ross has really run with the opportunity. And then on the other side of it, you have Rashee Rice, who, again, with the Chiefs, of course, he'd be on the roster. But he's a rookie. Andy Reid is kind of notorious for the fact that rookie wide receivers don't get a ton of run. He's been really impressive. So, look, I think the Chiefs, it's ironic that they don't really have a start receiver. But they're going to have a hard time getting this down to 6 unless they decide to go with 7, which they could. But then you wonder, okay, what does that mean? Is it 3 running backs? Are you taking a positional player away on defense? But it seems as though Rice and Ross have really made their names this offseason so far.
We know Chris Jones still not at camp, and neither of us on this show believe he's showing up anytime soon. It's also really quiet, Matt. There's nothing leaking out. There doesn't seem to be much conversation going on. I still wonder if the Chiefs knew they were far apart, yes, but were they caught off guard that he didn't show up? And did that kind of throw things backwards in this whole negotiation?
I think a little bit, yes. In the sense that they were caught off guard. Did they throw things backwards? I don't know. I think they were caught off guard somewhat. Look, most guys just don't hold out. Most guys do, what we all call now holding in, where they show up so they're not fined, but then they either have, a phantom injury or they just don't participate. We've seen Aaron Donald do it. We've seen T.J. Watt do it, many other guys as well. Jones is now racking up $500,000 worth of fines and counting. And I would say this, though, and you're right about nothing's leaking out. I mean, both sides have been very, very quiet on this. My 2 cents is if Jones really felt like there was no chance that they were going to get a deal done here, wouldn't you just report at some juncture, even if you held in and just said, look, I'm not going to practice, but I'm done getting fined? You almost wonder if at this point, is he sitting out because it's like, look, we think there might be a chance at some juncture a deal gets done. I'm not going to show up and take the pressure off the team. I also thought it was interesting in a piece that my colleague wrote over at SI, Albert Breer, he talked to Mahomes, and Mahomes in the piece said, we'd like to have Chris Jones at camp. Well, that puts kind of pressure on both sides, really. I mean, if you're Chris Jones, you see that, you're like, all right, well, Patrick Mahomes wants to be in camp. That's kind of a signal. Also, if you're the Chiefs, you're reading that as we probably need to get something going here. I just wonder if you're Kansas City, you have Mahomes and Kelsey taking less money than what they're worth. Are those guys going to have issue with the front office if they don't take care of Chris Jones? Because that's why they're taking less money, so they can keep guys like that. I think that's an underplayed part of this.
When you look across the rest of the league, Matt, I think there's obviously intriguing stuff in the AFC from the quarterback standpoint. Just across the board, what's your concern level about Burrow's injury? They're saying several weeks, but they're doing it the Chiefs way, which means vague, which means we're guessing about how long the injury actually is.
Well, I've reached out to a few people over there and spoke with a few people I know, and look, they're obviously going to be tight-lipped. They're not going to come out and tell me something that they wouldn't tell somebody else because this is such a sensitive thing. But there's a sense, listen, he's going to be back and it's going to be okay, but could he miss some time? He could. And in the AFC, if Joe Burrow misses 2 games, That could be the difference between winning the AFC North and being the 1 seed and being a wild card team and being the 6 seed. If he misses 4 games, that could be the difference between being a number 1 or 2 seed and making the playoffs. I think Cincinnati will end up being all right, but the word several is interesting because, A, everybody's going to have a different definition to some degree, and B, if they thought for sure, hey, he's going to be back week 1, they would have just come out and said, hey, it's going to be 4 weeks. They didn't do that, which makes you wonder, is this something that they have significant concern about, that not only is he going to miss the rest of the summer, but he could miss maybe the first couple weeks of the first month of the regular season?
Or that it's something that could linger, right? I mean, isn't that part of the concern? Calf injuries seems like a re-aggravation doesn't seem out of the question to me.
No, and I think if you're Cincinnati, that's kind of the game you have to play here. Like, let's just say we get to September 1st, a month from today, and he's better, but he's not 100% better. If you're Cincinnati, at that point you're 10 days away from the start of your season in Cleveland. Are you going to say, look, let's wrap it, let's just kind of keep him in the pocket, let's not run bootlegs, let's just allow him to play a little quick game and we can manage it? Or do you say, hey, listen, you know what, if we wait till October, he's going to be 100% healthy, but at that point, we might be 0-3 because your first 2 games are Cleveland and Baltimore, which are huge divisional games. Then you play the Rams, who are kind of I don't think they're going to be that good. Some people do, so they're a question mark. I just think if you're Cincinnati, you have to play this cautiously. He's your franchise. You can't risk it, but it's a tough spot if you're the Bengals.
We're talking to Matt Verderam of Sports Illustrated. Then you go to Indianapolis, Matt, and it seems like a complete mess there with Jonathan Taylor and Jim Irsay. I get why the Colts might not want to give an extension to Jonathan Taylor right now, but to me, the comments from Jim Irsay obviously are not helping things. What's going to happen there?
No, and there was no reason. There was no reason for it, what Irsay said on Twitter, and it inflamed the whole situation. But here's reality. As everybody knows, running backs right now, I mean, the market is terrible. Well, Jonathan Taylor signed for this year, last year of his rookie deal. The Colts can just sit there and say, that's nice, you want to be traded, unless we get the value that we want, which they're not going to get, unless they just completely tank the value of Taylor to the point they're willing to take a mid to late round pick. They're not going to get what they want for Jonathan Taylor. And who's the team that's going to give up a top 100 pick and then pay Jonathan Taylor the most money in the league at running back? Nobody's doing that. So my thought would be he's going to play this year in Indianapolis, whether he's happy about it or not. And then if I'm the Colts, I'd tag him. And I'd tag him a second time if I needed to. And then I just let him hit free agency. And that is an ugly way to do business, but this is the National Football League. And I thought the same thing with Saquon Barkley when I saw that he came back to camp, but he didn't have in there that he can't get tagged again. If Saquon Barkley goes out and has 1,500 yards this year, yeah, he's getting tagged again. That's what's going to happen. He has no leverage. So I think with Taylor, look, at some point, maybe when he gets to his tags, maybe he just says, I will never play for you again, trade me, and the Colts finally acquiesce. But for now, I don't think he's going anywhere. And the idea that he's going to go on the NFI list is nuts. The union would go out of its mind. That's not going to happen. So he'll play in Indianapolis, provided he's healthy.
But the thing that kills me is, like, you didn't have to do this. Like, Irsay could just say nothing. We know that this is how every owner feels. Nobody believes in running backs. The market clearly dictates that. But why even do this if you're Irsay? It seems surprising to me that, I guess now that Snyder's gone, someone's got to be the NFL owner villain, but why would he step into that role?
Because he's Jim Irsay. I mean, I don't think he's a bad guy, but, look, I love the history of the game. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the antics of Robert Irsay.
Yeah.
Robert Irsay was a madman. Okay, I mean, so Jim Irsay is the best owner in the world compared to who his father was. And I think, look, Jim Irsay is very honest. He says what he thinks. I mean, he had that comment that if he and Jonathan Taylor weren't on this earth anymore, that nobody would miss them. Look,
it's a weird thing to say.
He just doesn't care, right? He'll say what he thinks. The reality is, though, as you said, and you're right, like there was no need for it. And now you've turned what was a small smoldering fire into a brush fire. Now it's a big deal. But for Jonathan Taylor, as frustrated as he is, and I do feel for him, there's no way out of this. I mean, he's not getting moved. It's not going to happen. So He needs to go out and play well, and then the Colts will tag him, and then he has to just go berserk enough that the Colts just have no choice but to move him. But it's not going to be easy.
Matt, I am kind of curious. We talked earlier about the division, and Alex and I now have a bet, like a monetary bet on which happens first. Who do you think finishes last in the AFC West?
The Raiders. I think the Raiders are going to be pretty atrocious this year.
Yeah, but
that's where I'm at.
So I'm getting odds on it, in fairness, but I said that I think there's a chance the Broncos finish worse. I still think that all of Sean Payton's antics were about covering his own ass because he knows this team stinks.
So I'll be brief. I think all this Sean Payton stuff, everybody's starting to turn. I shouldn't say everybody. A lot of people have been like, well, he's sly like a fox, and he's doing this because he wants to pump up Russell Wilson. I think he was just being honest. I mean, I don't think he should have been, maybe, to that degree in that moment. I think he just was like, yeah, Nathaniel Hackett stunk. He did. He was terrible. But, yeah, I will say this. Your bet is not crazy. I mean, there's a scenario here where Denver and the Raiders, who I believe, by the way, play Week 18, are playing for your bet.
That would be so much more fun.
I made the bet before Tim Patrick's Achilles went out and KJ Hamler had a health problem, but I still like the bet.
The Raiders just, other than Max Crosby, who is stopping anybody? And then also, Josh McDaniels is the trump card there. Like, Josh McDaniels is going to cost them about 4 games this year by himself.
Yeah, I'm glad. You know what? Honestly, it makes me. I felt like I had to spend like 5 years watching the NFL, being the only person who thought Josh McDaniels was a stinky head coach, and now it's like now everyone's on board. It feels nice.
I don't understand how anybody looked at Josh McDaniels and thought he was anything other than Adam Gase.
Where's Adam Gase at these days? You might know. Where's he at?
I don't think he's in the league. Is he? If he is, a bad job by me. He's not. He's not a coordinator anywhere. Look,
he's probably coaching the AAF or something.
Oh, he's
Adam
out of
Gase
everything.
Was great with Peyton Manning because when you coach Peyton Manning, you stand there and everything goes well because he's Peyton Manning. And by the way, every time Josh McDaniels hasn't been standing next to Tom Brady, it has been a colossal tire fire. Well, he's not standing next to Tom Brady. He's now coaching a team that's part owned by Tom Brady. But he is standing there, and he's looking at Jimmy Garoppolo. And Jimmy G is fine. He's not Tom Brady, and I don't expect much out of the Raiders.
Matt Verderam of SI, man. Good to have you on the show. It's been a bit. Enjoy that thriller on Thursday night in Canton, Ohio.
Oh, I am just waiting on bated breath.
There you go. Matt Verderam of Sports Illustrated. Jets, Browns, Thursday night in Canton, Ohio.
I want to talk more about the AFC West stuff here in a minute, but we have what I would call a minor update in what's going to happen with the Big 12 and as it relates to the Pac-12 and all those things going on.
Mm-hmm.
So Pac-12 presidents and ADs met with the AD, George Kliakoff, again.
No, the commissioner. Yep.
Yeah, the commissioner of the league, and said he presented them with details of a TV deal. According to Ross Dellinger, executives left the hour-long meeting with no agreement, but with the expectation of eventually concluding a deal.
This has been going on.
The Arizona Board of Regents, which oversees Arizona and Arizona State, are meeting today. Most of them do not expect a vote or decision on that meeting on the TV deal, but expect it to be a discussion. This is the most grift of all time, and if the rest of the Pac-12 can't see it, it's hilarious to me. He's been promising them the dangling carrot for what, 3 months now? Gold, how long has he been dangling this TV deal that's right around the corner that's just as good as the Big 12 for weeks or months? It's just around the corner. Promise you guys, we're almost there. Next time. Are you seeing it the same way?
Well, yeah, saying the expectation of eventually concluding a deal. First, a couple weeks ago, he had his comments at the media day for the Pac-12 saying that, we don't want to announce a deal today because we wanted to focus on football. Well, they don't have a damn deal. That's why Colorado finally said, look, we were patient. You don't have a deal for us. We're going to the Big 12. And I think that's what's going to happen for these other schools.
Utah's been hanging on, but they're not going to hang on forever if there's just no actual deal in place, right? Because that's the one we're really Arizona's matter too. But Utah was the one who reported was like, no, we'll stick it out with you, man. We're going to be a part of the Pac-12, Gold. But how many more weeks are they going to wait? Big 12's just got to offer again. If you sit in another one of these stupid meetings where they don't offer you any kind of contract, you'd be like, yeah, I'm good. Their TV deal's real.
Someone says the Pac-12 commissioners like the student whose paper is way past due, who insists they'll have it done by the next class. Sure, you can turn it in tomorrow, but you're not getting anything more than 40%. And that's kind of where things are going on out in California and with the Pac-12 as a whole. It's an absolute mess. And yeah, the longer it goes on, the better for the Big 12 and for these other conferences, because these other schools are going to say, look, we gave it our best to wait and wait and wait and wait. Give us a damn deal. You don't even have a true deal to finalize, and it's not happening. That's why Colorado already left.
I'm just laughing at how many times they've had these meetings, and he's like, "Oh, just give me like one more day, and I swear I'll have it."
Random question.
For you, Gold. For you, Quentin, over on the J Southland Tow Service text line 913-586-7610, or for you watching the stream, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, you can go subscribe to our YouTube page. We're available anywhere. So the random question today is, how much would you pay to go either one-on-one or play in a game against your favorite athletes? Jimmy Butler is giving fans a chance to do this. This is why I'm going to ask this question, so I'll give you a little background before you give me your number. Jimmy Butler is having a fantasy camp. Costs, $350 just to be in the fantasy camp. But if, in addition to that, you pay $700 or $699, same difference, you will get a chance. 3 fans, not a bunch. It's like the first people to pay it. Will get a chance to play Jimmy Butler one-on-one in a game of basketball. You get to play an NBA player one-on-one to see how your skills hold up. So I guess the question is, if you got to play in a league with one of your, either former favorite athletes or current, what's the price tag you're willing to pay, essentially to be embarrassed, right? I mean, you're going to get, because Jimmy Butler against you one-on-one wouldn't be fun. Yeah. You wouldn't even get a shot up.
You wouldn't, but if you have the money, I'd pay $700. Like, if you had the money, $700 to play against Jimmy Butler one-on-one would be, that's still a cool story to say. Whether you're
the video of you doing it,
you're going to get your ass kicked, but yeah, absolutely.
Do you think he'd let you just take it? Do you think he'd even let you,
no,
take a shot?
No, they're too competitive.
So he's just going to swat all?
Yeah.
He's going to steal or swat every single one of my shots?
Because he's not going to have video of you scoring on him going viral. Hell no, it's competitive. No. Absolutely. But no, if money wasn't a problem, I'd pay $700. Whether it's Jimmy Butler, obviously if it was LeBron, you'd probably pay $10,000. If it was MJ, you'd pay $20,000, $50,000, $75,000.
Like if you had unlimited funds, I imagine even today, it's like, you got promised a chance to play MJ one-on-one. You're probably paying $50,000. You wouldn't even care, right?
Yeah, if you win Mega Millions tonight, you wouldn't even care, right? You'll give them a lot of money. There's plenty of rich people out there that are willing to spend ridiculous amounts of money to have celebrity or athlete type of experiences. $699 is actually not that bad.
This is why I wanted to see if this is the same argument as when I've asked like major league pitchers to pitch against me in the offseason.
Yeah.
I want to see it. I want to see what a 99-mile-per-hour fastball looks like coming at me.
How much would you pay if Aroldis Chapman was still in the Royals to throw 103 while you're in the batter's box? Dude, you would fall to the ground. Like, you'd just be there. You'd be there and you just, like, fall to the ground.
I would not fall to the ground. I'm not afraid of a baseball.
103 miles an hour. You're in the batter's box.
I'd duck if it came at my head.
But he just brushed you off the inside, and you would fall backwards. You would fall backwards.
I'm swinging at everything. I'm just guessing. I wouldn't have time to fall backwards. My swing will start before he's even gotten halfway through his rotation.
Yeah.
Like, he's not even going to, release the ball. I wouldn't have any time to fall back. I'm already swinging at that point.
The ball is clearly in his glove. He hasn't even started.
My bat speed is.
And you're going to start swinging before and hope and pray somehow you just get a piece of it.
Because this is why you pay for it. You pay for it if you hit some, lucky nonsense hook shot that has no business against Jimmy Butler even going in, and it's 1,000,000 miles in the sky and it falls down and land. That's your moment. That's your moment of glory. My assumption is that he will not have any trouble finding 3 people to pay this $700 price tag.
It's not that much money for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, like if I stood in the batter's box and Zach Greinke's throwing to me, I'm gonna go up there looking like a fool.
Yeah, but I don't care about that. It's fine.
I know I can't hit. Even if Zach Greinke threw that during that spring training game where he just threw a 59-mile-an-hour curveball, I don't even know if I could hit that.
Someone says they do it like Novak Djokovic. God, just returning an ace tennis serve. I wouldn't touch it. It would just blow past me, right? Would you ever? I think I got a better chance of making contact with a 100-mile-an-hour fastball than I do returning a serve in tennis.
I mean, the world record, the official record for the fastest serve is 157 miles an hour.
I'm not hitting that. I mean, the racket's a lot lighter than a bat.
157.
I guess what sport is your best chance? Do you have a better chance stopping being a goalie, stopping a soccer player?
Yes, because you can still guess on that and hope that they didn't get it airborne, and there's a chance at least. It's hard enough for professionals, but at least there's a chance you could guess and somehow happen to fall the right direction.
Yeah, you might get lucky.
Now, you actually scoring on the PK against a professional
0%
goalkeeper?
chance.
Yeah, not happening. But again, there's a little more guessing involved there. You can throw them off.
God, I'm just trying to think about which things I'd have a better chance. Because I got no chance of getting open on an NFL field. If they made me run around, I'd be like, hey, what are the chance you actually get open and get a pass? 0? It does not matter what position. It doesn't matter if they put a defensive lineman on me, a linebacker, a corner. I'm shut down.
Well, yeah.
If they are instructed right to guard me, this is man on man. I'm not getting open. It doesn't matter.
Someone was mentioning golf. Just one hole could you have? Again, how you got to be able to. The way these guys drive now, though, like you got to be able to carry well over 300 to compete at all. Otherwise, you're way behind the ball.
No, you'd have to be like a scratch golfer to win a hole against these guys. You and I are way too bad for that.
I'm not talking about us. I'm just saying in general with anybody. Yeah, there's just no way. You're not. You would.
I'd still play a hole with Tiger. He would just be impossibly frustrated with me as I lug my.
Someone says they're all just
tap in from a 7.
Humiliating experiences. I paid good money to play around with Tiger or Phil. Well, obviously, it'd be incredible.
It'd be more about the fact that you got to, hang out with some athlete. Because there's, you're talking before and afterwards. So more about the experience than actually successfully completing X athletic ability thing.
Would you be willing to stand in there? Someone's like the close slap shot in hockey. Would you be willing to stand in there to try to stop it? Full gear.
Full gear, mask, and pads, Because I got the mask and I'm covered and there's no chance. Yeah,
you're not Gordie Howling it, right? You're not standing back there with no mask on your face.
Hell no. If you got the mask and all the gear, you're not going to stop it. But like I wouldn't. Yeah, that you'd be at least covered. You're protected.
I mean, if I went in there to hit against Aroldis Chapman, I'd want the elbow guard and the shin guard and the helmet. Like,
I think you might
maybe
stand
with
in the
the
box.
little mask part.
You'd have so much protective gear on, like
I'm wearing a catcher's. Like a catcher's chest
You might
protector.
wear hockey stuff while Aroldis Chapman is pitching to you.
This is my goal is to
just
convince
catching
one.
an Aroldis Chapman pitch as a catcher with the gear on. Good luck with that.
My goal is to convince one major league pitcher to throw me a pitch one time in my life.
Does it have to be a
Fastball.
active pitcher or like someone who retired
someone inside
7
the last
years
couple?
ago?
I need someone still pumping 90. So if they retired 7 years ago but can still bring it 90, 91. Okay. It's fine. Funny is like Zach Greinke can't even bring it that fast. I like that. That's my line. Like 85s. I've hit people, but I've hit against people who threw like 90 in my life, right? I've had kids throw 90 miles an hour against me, so I've at least seen that.
You got no chance of hitting it, man. No chance.
I know, but I still want to try.
You got 0 chance.
I understand that. That's not even the argument I'm making. But I want to try. You just want to know for sure.
For sure. You're not going.
I know I'm not going to make contact, but it doesn't make it any less fun for me.
How fast do they throw the ball in like cricket? Because that bat's flat.
I don't know anything about cricket, and I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Idea.
I don't want to.
I'm not up to speed on my cricket knowledge right now. It's not cricket season for me.
Man, I've never tried to swing a cricket bat. That feels like I got no chance.
I don't even know where to start with cricket.
Let's see. Cricket pitch speed. Because of the distance, they say it sometimes can compare to hitting 100 mile an hour.
Someone says, hey, this is Andrew, your guys' gym owner friend. I have 17-year-olds who are MLB prospects that'll throw 90-plus at my facilities.
90-plus, huh? Okay. Let's do it. Let's set it up, Andrew. I'm ready to dig in. High school kids, that's way worse than major leaguers. You know how much less accurate they are? So I would much rather go against Aroldis Chapman than some 17-year-old throwing 90,
Andrew,
spraying pitches all over the place.
I appreciate the offer.
Way riskier.
Here's the other part. It's not that Cody just wants someone to throw him 90. Cody wants to say a big leaguer threw him over 90. That's what it is.
It's a combination.
He doesn't. It's not just the 90 mile.
I've actually hit in a baseball game against a future big leaguer, and he embarrassed me. And that was when I was a better athlete.
Someone says, would you square up to bunt on a Chapman fastball? No, Cody
no,
would break
I don't
his
want to
fingers.
lose an index finger.
We would all break our fingers trying to do that. When there's big leaguers that struggle to bunt properly, and you're going to say you're going to try to have some random guy go up there and bunt a 102-mile-per-hour fastball. Good luck.
No, I'd rather swing. I'd much rather swing than square up to bunt.
Yeah, dude, you're
Michael
actually going to break a
Massey
finger.
Was on the injured list for taking a bunt off of the finger that was like 100 miles an hour, and it sounded uncomfortable.
Even if you get it squared up properly, you still might have your thumb poking out the top of the bat, and you're no.
Yeah, you think I'm still squaring up properly on a bunt? You think I got good bunting technique after not doing it for 20 years?
Someone's right. I don't think you could hit a pitch off Jeff Montgomery today.
That's not the argument. The argument is not that I can't do it.
I
just want to see
what?
it. It's the same thing as Jimmy Butler. I know I can't get a bucket up against him, but it doesn't mean you don't want to try. I just want to try one time.
That's the random question of the day. We'll get to the 1 o'clock hour. A little update on the Royals trade front with the deadline approaching in about, 4 hours or so away. Plus, we'll get into the player props that are out there for a couple of the Chiefs wide receivers next.
Cody and Gold on 610 Sports Radio. Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Hey, it's Alex Gold from my friends at Midwest Marine Boat Company and Yamaha Motor. The summer weather isn't the only thing that's hot, we know that. Well, Midwest Marine Boat Company has sizzling prices on all 2023 models with the lowest prices of the year. It's not too late to enjoy your summer on the water and let Midwest Marine Boat Company show you how Yamaha Motor revs your heart. Come see Midwest Marine Boat Company's new massive showroom at 13800 South Highway 71 in Grandview now. Midwest Marine Boat Company. We take pride in your fun.
Tailgates and turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey is always a winner. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot.
We're hiring residential garage door installers at Overhead Door Company of Kansas City. Join the team trusted here since 1927. Apply today, get a call today. No experience necessary. Paid training for motivated applicants to install garage doors. Hiring bonus up to $2,500. Mechanical, carpentry, or service industry experience is a plus. Good benefits include health, dental, vision, and pension. Earn as you learn to service the best garage door customers in KC. Apply today at overheaddoorkc.com.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171.
Okay, I'm ready to record my jewelry store's new radio spot. We got a great script that really goes after Diamonds Direct and how they're nothing special, and how we can match their price. Great stuff. Yeah.
Great. And we have this new technology that bleeps out any false claims, so it saves us time with editing. So you can start anytime.
Okay, here it goes. When you visit our jewelry store, we'll absolutely guarantee direct. Our diamonds come straight from the mine. We have cutters and Hey, what the
The hard truth is that other jewelry stores simply can't do what Diamonds Direct can. Diamonds Direct has special relationships with De Beers, international connections, and virtually unlimited buying power. The result is true direct importer pricing, exceptional quality, and up to 30 times the diamond selection you find at other stores.
I can't believe this thing won't let me say
Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Get more truth at diamondsdirect.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands to treat ED at up to 95% off. That's right, the same active ingredient as the brand name for 95% less. It's the same ED medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Now they have everything they need to come to life. Dell Technologies and Intel are creating technology that loves ideas, loves expanding your business, evolving your passions. We push what technology can do. so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to now.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Dick Butkus here. I've got a game changer for you. When it comes to creating a winning website, there's only one team I trust, AmericanEagle.com. I've known them for 25 years. In my career, I learned that success isn't just about talent, it's about teamwork. That's what you'll find at AmericanEagle.com. They'll listen to your goals and work with you and handle all your digital properties. They'll ensure your website is user-friendly, responsive, and optimized for search engines. AmericanEagle.com also provides ongoing support and digital marketing strategies that will keep you ahead of the competition. They even host our podcast. Whether you're a medium to large business or a big-time player, AmericanEagle.com is the top choice. Visit www.AmericanEagle.com for website design, development, and online solutions that deliver efficiency and results. Go to AmericanEagle.com or call them at 877-WEB-NOW-1.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Last year, Pete Sweeney was accused of cheating in the hot dog derby. This year, he's been disqualified for competing, so come join us for 610 Day at the K and watch the drama unfold on Tuesday, August 29th. 610 Sports Radio, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Odyssey app.
If I leave here tomorrow.
1 o'clock hour here on a Tuesday. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp with you. It's Cody and Gold. We got our intern Quentin. I was going to say QT. Quinn, QT. Either way, he's producing the show today. JT will be back with us tomorrow. And Quentin later on in the week. We'll be back in St. Joe tomorrow. Hope to see you guys up there. We'll have a member of the Chiefs join us from St. Joe after the off day. Little update, though, on the baseball front. Trade deadline less than 4 hours away. And there was an update from Mark Feinsand, who's reporting some of the names, Cody, that we've been talking about. I don't think they're all that surprising, but a source telling him the Royals, who have already traded Aroldis Chapman, Jose Cuas, Nicky Lopez, are talking to teams about Scott Barlow, Ryan Yarbrough, Taylor Clark, and outfielder Edward Olivares per sources. That's where we're at. Again, I think the Velasquez basically is potentially if you were to move on from Edward Olivares, basically you already have that guy with Velasquez, potentially. Anyway, but the Royals, more transactional. That's what we've wanted. They certainly have in the last 36 hours. Sounds like before 5 o'clock, out of those names, they're probably at least pulling off one more before we get to 5 o'clock today.
If they managed to pull off all of them,
names,
then they are really moving around the needle.
I mean, I'd be fine if they moved every single one of those names on that list.
You got to sometimes swap parts because this group of parts isn't there. And honestly, I think sometimes it's hard because Dayton viewed this, and it worked to help them win a World Series, so you can never say that it was wrong necessarily. This idea that we're loyal to you forever, you're never going to go anywhere, we're going to make it almost impossible to trade you, we'll let you become a free agent, then you get to choose and all these things. But then also, if you make it clear to players that they might be out on their ass if they don't perform, and we're just going to keep moving around, and you are interchangeable pieces in which we are willing to move and include those things, then at least you're taken seriously, right? It'd be like, well, I better earn my spot on this team or I might be somewhere else, and that team might not like me as much as this team or might not give me as much opportunity as the other team. I don't think they're going to trade Barlow and Yarbrough and Clark and Olivares, but I expect 1 to 2 more deals left on the table for the Royals by the time 5 o'clock hits.
Yeah, I would be surprised if this is
Yarbrough and Barlow seem like the most likely still to me. Taylor
Yeah.
Clark. I mean, we've been watching the same Taylor Clark.
Well, some teams, again, they look at the same way the Royals will look at a player and say,
I
hey,
know,
we'll
fix 'em.
we trust our development or whatever. We can roll our eyes at it, but that's how these teams look at it. The same way the Cubs traded for Jose Cuas. In their mind, they're like, wow, we see something here. We're looking at some metrics. We're looking at
I didn't look up his FIP.
You know,
right?
what our development staff sees. They think they can fix this. You know, that's what happens all the time in these types of trades. So, as weird as it might sound about Taylor Clark, yes, there's some other team maybe that's out there that's like, no, we think we really like this. We think we can fix this, and all of a sudden he can be this. Like, that happens, and it wouldn't probably take much. So a couple hours to go to the trade deadline. Just elsewhere outside the Royals, it'll be really interesting to see if Justin Verlander gets moved. The Astros continue to be the favorite, it looks like, according to reports, to land Verlander, but there's some issues with players going back to the Mets that maybe they're not able to agree on. But Verlander could get moved. I saw the Cardinals just traded, DeYoung. Paul DeYoung just got traded to the Blue Jays here in the last, 20 minutes or so. So we're starting to see things heat up even more, but we still got less than 4 hours to go.
The Verlander one is really the last major piece
so.
to fall.
Unless there's a surprise, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one where I don't know if this is like mystery team because they're making some sort of effort to drive up the price for the two teams that we know are interested in Justin Verlander's services. But
yeah,
we'll see. There's still moves to be made. I'm hopeful. The last couple of moves for the Royals, I like, but they're all small. They haven't made any big deal. But let me just tell you the truth. There's not a big deal to be made. The biggest deal probably already happened in Aroldis Chapman. And Barlow will have some return, but there's still a limit to what that return will look like, I think. Everything else is going to be minor, but at least they're not just before JJ Piccolo, they would just keep all these players and be like, we'll just make them better. Rather than at least trying something different, not beating your head against a wall. My team's small at the moment. It might not mean anything, but I'm willing to at least find out and give it a chance.
We now know, looking at the Chiefs wide receiver room, and I know we'll get back into Pete's latest roster projection, but we now kind of have an idea of at least where the betting markets have the wide receiver room for some of the receivers. We've been trying to figure this out for a while. Like, okay, how many yards is somebody going to get? We now have a baseline of what the betting markets think. Doesn't mean they're all accurate by any means, right? We see this all the time. But for a couple of the players, there's some props out there at DraftKings. Tomorrow we'll take a look at the running backs and maybe some of the defensive guys, Cody. But at the wide receiver spot, we know two of the receivers and then also a tight end, what the numbers are at for DraftKings. Sky Moore, we have a number at least. Over under, it's set at 525.5 yards. Might be a different number at other books, but it's at DraftKings, 525.5. And it's not one of these bets where I like, man, lock it in, no brainer. But I like the over on that. I've said 550 to 600 yards is what I think Sky Moore can be in year two. Slot opportunities with McCole Hardman out of the picture for a full season. I think that number is not too far off, but I would lean over for that. I really do believe he's going to take a leap, and it's not. We're not acting like he needs
525 is not some massive number.
It's less than. It's asking for less than 300 more yards. It's like 220, 250 more yards, something like that, than he had a year ago, which is not crazy considering I think the opportunity he's going to get. So I do like the over for Sky Moore, 525.5. But do you think that number's the number you thought? I thought there was a chance the number was going to come in at like 560 or something.
Sorry, I briefly looked at the text line, and when we came back with Skinner, and someone just said, is that Shinedown?
Well done. Well done.
It sounded like just such an obvious not Shinedown song.
Solid callback.
Yeah,
But,
well done.
very good.
Appreciate
Very
you listening.
Good. And Quentin's on the board, so it makes even more sense.
I did see Quentin when we had Matt Verderam come on because he lives in Chicago. I saw what you were trying to do.
Did he play something from the band Chicago?
I don't remember the name of the song, but you were trying to do something there, I feel like.
I wasn't paying enough attention.
What was it, Quinn?
The name of the song was Sweet Home Chicago.
There you go. There it is. Okay. Who sings that?
It's like a grass blues song.
Okay. I thought maybe he chose something from like the band Chicago.
That'd be fair too. But I knew there was some Chicago theme with it. Anyway, just curious. Where are you at on the number for Sky Moore? 525.5.
Okay, so if from a pure betting, if you and I are right now, it's the Cody and Gold betting show.
We're just
instead.
talking betting right now. Man.
Pass.
Okay.
Right, just the number scares me, not because I don't think Sky Moore can get it, but he, more than probably any other player on the roster, I know that the text line means that they think that I think he just stinks, and that's not it. I just don't know anything. I just don't know anything about him. I don't know anything about Sky Moore. He barely played last year. I think partially because he didn't have a really good grasp on the playbook, but I think at times because he was running the wrong routes and Mahomes didn't trust him and Mahomes trusted other people instead of him. And so if all of those things took this big leap this year, then I think he's well over that number, especially because Tony's hurt. I think there's a good chance. I think there's a chance Sky Moore could get upwards of 700 yards this year. I just also think there's a chance he's at like 450. And if I know that if I'm saying, hey, the high end can be that's in the best cases of scenarios, then I just don't feel comfortable with it. I don't think that they've overshot his number. I don't think that they've set it so high you can't bet on it.
No, it's low enough to where I'd take the over.
Yeah, if I had to bet it, I would take the over. I just feel like it's one of those numbers I would steer away from.
Fair.
Because he has such a big swing. I don't feel confident betting it one way or the other. And if it were like 550, I'd feel even worse about it because then you wouldn't want to take, or 575, then you really wouldn't want to take the over.
You're basically needing about 275 roughly yards more than you had a year ago to get you to the over. That's where they come up with the number. I just think the opportunities will be there more this year, and so it's not asking for a whole lot there. Then what about MVS? His number's out there from DraftKings, 625.5 yards. Also, we have a touchdown prop for him, 3.5 touchdowns for MVS. This is one of those where, much like you were saying with how you kind of feel about betting, you take a feel of, all right, how confident are you? To me, this is the most consistent number, perhaps, out of the group that I'm also not worried about, hey, he's getting old or anything like that. MVS at 625.5, I really like the over. I think you can pretty safely lock in about 650 yards from MVS this year. I also think some of the connection on deep passes, they were so close to us talking about MVS being 750 yards.
You only need one long touchdown to clear it.
I like the over 625.5. The touchdown number, don't have any interest in betting 3.5 on the over-under for the touchdown. 625.5 yards, I like the over quite a bit. I actually feel probably out of the group of three, we'll talk about the third player in a second, I probably feel the most confident at 625.5 taking the over. I think when you're looking at MVS, he's going, if he plays anywhere near 17 games, I think he's going to very easily kind of cruise to around 700 yards.
It's funny because this is like when somebody asks you who's going to lead the Chiefs in receiving, you could just take MVS. He's probably the safest bet here, but also like the variance is tight. Because he has cleared that number 2 of the last 3 years. And if he had played a full season in the third year instead of being hurt, he would have cleared it there too. But if you miss a single game from MVS, that number gets tied because it's like 665 yards or, is what he averages, including the bad season, or 645 is what he averaged, including the bad season. He's around 685 or 690, right? For the 2 seasons he's healthy. So it's like you've got no variance of just like he breaks out. If you clear this number, you will be clearing it in week 16, right? No one thinks you're like, I said a week before, you're not going to be clearing this thing in like week 11.
No, but I think
it just breaks out.
I know it was the case in 2021, but I think also last year he was top 5 in yards per reception. In 2021, I know he was top 5, and I believe last year he still ended up top 5 out of all wide receivers, not just on the Chiefs. I'm talking in the NFL, in yards per reception, the deep threat aspect. If I have a guy that is top 5 in yards per reception, and I think he's going to play in 15-plus games, then 625.5, man, is really not asking for much.
No, I think he's safe there because I think he's the safest player. The same reason when we did our wide receiver draft, I took him.
Yeah.
I just think there's not a lot of clearance on the bet. I think you'll win it. There's just not a lot of leeway in the yardage department based on his career highs and his career averages.
What about Kelsey? It's set at 1150. I know your answer already. I could have told. By the way, I could have told
Kelsey. Maybe not on the touchdowns. Those are a little more variant.
I could have tricked you and said, "Hey, by the way, his over/under is 1,425 yards." And Cody might have still taken the over in 2 seconds. At 1150 is the yardage. His touchdown number is 9.5. He had 12 touchdowns last year. Had over 1,300 yards receiving. This is one that I will just flat out stay away from. And if you forced me to make a bet, I'd actually go under. And you're like, oh, what do you say? What are you saying? He's not any good. No, I think he can still be a 1,000-yard receiver, which is nuts for an 8th straight year. I'm just a little worried that Noah Gray and one of the other tight ends could get some more run. I also think maybe when you look at longevity of the career, if you want to extend it out, I do think you need to cut down on some of the targets a little bit, save him for the postseason a little bit more.
Use Noah Gray a little more.
It concerns me. He was more beat up last year than he ever has been in his career. He didn't miss a game to his credit, but that concerns me a little bit. Again, I still think he's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver, but I would not bet over 1150. I just don't like the bet.
So for the last 5 years, he's cleared that number all but once. So 4 of the last 5 years, he's gone over that 1150 marker. And the only time he didn't clear it, Tyreek Hill was also on the roster. So, I mean, that didn't even stop him the other times. Tyreek Hill was on the roster all those other years, and he still got over 1150. So, I mean, I kind of feel like I have to take the over. I would be a little more scared on the touchdowns.
Yeah, 12.
And then when you look at that, he's cleared that 3 of the last 5 years, he's gone over 9.5 touchdowns. And in that 4th year, he had 9. So he has been all over that figure pretty consistently in his NFL career. I'd probably take the under because touchdowns it's a moving target. And teams at some point just have to kind of sell out, especially this year, to stopping Travis Kelce in the red zone. So maybe that'll slow him down.
Wouldn't that have already happened, though?
But I don't know. You'd think so. But I like the yardage over, 1150. I like Kelce the most, MVS the second, and Sky Moore the worst. And Sky Moore's is not because of a lack of belief in him. It is a pure unknown.
Yeah.
I know a lot more about Travis Kelce and MVS to be predicting their yardage totals. I haven't even seen a preseason game yet for Sky Moore. I don't even know how much they're going to use his ass. It's like, I got to see. I think a lot with Tony here, which helps the number.
Yeah. And again,
all 3 of their numbers.
My favorites, the MVS over 625.5. We're not asking for much there. A guy that's a deep threat. All it takes is one. I mean, surely to change your yards per, if one, he's already 5th in the NFL in yards per reception, but all of a sudden, he gets one deep pass that he connects on instead of an overthrow or underthrow like last year. All of a sudden, you're well over 700 yards at that point. Sky Moore's, I told you I like the over. Kelsey's, I'm just staying away. 1150, something kind of scares me a little bit about that particular number because it seems too easy. Seems a little too easy that it's about over 100, 150 yards off of what he's been doing. You're like, wait, that number they're just almost too enticing, trying to bait you into it a little bit from a betting perspective. So I'll just stay away from the Kelce number.
We'll go over some more later in the week because they've got over-unders for Karlaftis sacks and Pacheco rushing yards and Mahomes passing yards and all those. So there's plenty. By the way, the Mahomes passing yardage one is also just like generally, like to me, it's like Travis Kelce. It's like, isn't it always over? Am I not supposed to? This is like the Chiefs win total. What's the win total right now?
11.5, I think.
And they've never won less than 12? Like, they can't even set a win total. They're setting a win total to say, hey, are they going to have their worst year ever, or are they just going to be just as good as they always are? Every year under Mahomes, they've won 12 or more games. Yeah. And now you're telling me they're not going to? No, I'll take the over. I'm good.
Well,
I feel pretty good about that.
That's also different because we just feel confident that the end product is going to get to a certain point. Maybe you don't know what it's going to look like in terms of who's getting the production in there, but you know that with Andy Reid, they're going to win 12 games. I'm with you. And so maybe we don't know for sure the receivers to get there. It's the same point about the yardage. We all know Mahomes is not throwing for less than 45 or 4,600. I think it's going to be like 48 or 4,900. But he's at least throwing for 4,500 probably this year. So as much as we do the math on the receiving group and running backs, how many receiving yards, somehow he's going to end up around 45 to 4,800 yards minimum passing. So then you're just like, okay, how do I divvy this up? But the end product is there. Now, I told you, from a betting end, I don't like the Mahomes MVP bet, even though he's now the favorite because of the Joe Burrow injury. He's now 7-1, Burrow's plus 750. I don't like Mahomes on an MVP bet. It's not that I don't think he's going to have a good year. It would take another 50-plus touchdown season, Cody, because the narrative is not going to be on his side. Last year, Mahomes...
Or 15-2.
We talked last year. Yeah, last year we talked about the narrative being on Mahomes' side. It was. He didn't have Tyreek. Everybody's saying, you can't do it without Tyreek. Everybody's saying it's the toughest division in football. He had that narrative going for him. And even then, he still was probably going to lose it unfairly because of Jalen Hurts until Jalen Hurts got hurt. So that, to me, is very difficult. He doesn't have the narrative working for him. It would take, same with Andy Reid for Coach of the Year, right? It would take 16-1, type of 17-0 type of season.
Andy Reid never even gets briefly mentioned in Coach of the Year conversations.
No, he's not
and never will
again
because Patrick Mahomes is his quarterback. He will never, unless they go 17-0,
two scenarios,
or 16-1. Yeah, it will take extraordinary regular seasons.
There's only 2 scenarios where Andy Reid will ever be the Coach of the Year again in the league. It's what you said there: a 16 or 17 win season, or scenario I don't want to even put out there, but I will for this
conversation.
Goes
down and he wins
Mahomes is hurt, misses 9 games. The Chiefs have 3 wins, and Andy Reid finds a way to get to 10 or 11 wins with a backup quarterback. And wins the division. That's and even then, it's still not a lock. As crazy as that would be, that's it. And I don't like that scenario. So it's just not going to happen.
It's not. He's done. The second Mahomes became this heroic figure, that was just kind of like the end of the road for that conversation. Nobody was going to bring it up ever again. And I don't blame him necessarily for doing that. It just makes sense that that's the case. By the way, the text line's all over the place on Sky. Some people saying 500 yards. Some people saying, I think he gets 650. I don't think any of those things are out of the question. That's what's funny about him is I hate making bets in which I feel like I don't have nearly enough information. I understand, Gold, that sometimes there can be an advantage in that, where that means Vegas doesn't have a lot of information because they don't. They said they had a big story to tell on Sky Moore. All they know is that he had 250 yards last year. This is right around where his yardage total over-under was last season. He was like 450 last year, so they jumped it up a little, but not significantly. And they're basing it off the fact that the biggest thing I think in favor of all three of those guys is that Kadarius Toney might miss games. Kadarius Toney missing 1 or 2 games can give some of these players that little extra yardage you might need in order to hit
That's
your
very
over.
true. I think Richie James benefits the most, but yeah, it could still impact all these guys from an over. We don't have over-under yet for Richie James. I told you, that's the one.
The second his comes out, you're betting it, aren't you?
That's the one I'm waiting for. Please.
Can you set an alert on like BetMGM? Can you like just set an alert on like, hey, the first time you set up a old prop bet for Richie James, just go ahead and hit me with a text.
But I mean, seeing Sky's number at 525, MVS is 625.
It'll be like 6.25 for Richie.
If they put Richie James at like 605.5, I am hammering the hell out of the Richie James over receiving yards.
I think it's going to be like 6.25.
Even then, I'll probably still take the over. But
You'll be hammering it, but you'll
anything
bet.
600 or below would be stealing, I think, for Richie James this year.
If they, especially with Skies at 525, I agree. Because they put Richie James at 550, you'd be like, what? That's where he was. But that's probably where they are going to put him. They put every player slightly below where they were last year, except for Sky Moore, because they know he's expected to get more targets. MVS's number is lower than he's had in each of, than he had last year. Travis Kelce's number, lower than what he had last year, even though they're in the same offense with the same quarterback with hypothetically more opportunity. My guess is that they'll take Richie James' total of like 600 yards last year for the Giants, and they'll knock it down to like 550. And you will be able to, I guess, bet your future mortgage or whatever. Bet your rent, mate. Bet your rent money.
Coming up next, we'll get to what's trending. Little update on the trade deadline, what's going on in Kansas City right now. Plus, Tyreek Hill is talking again.
You're listening to Cody and Gold.
He's so good, and everyone knows it.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Put over $100,000 back in your pocket with the Freedom Loan, exclusive at Cap One Lending. You've heard us talk about the Freedom Loan for years. Here's how it works. It pays mostly principal first, eliminating thousands in interest and taking years off your mortgage, all without changing your spending habits. Call Cap One Lending at 816-905-1111 or apply at caponelending.com. Imagine paying your mortgage off in half the time with half the interest, all with no out-of-pocket closing cost. Whether you're purchasing, refinancing, or taking cash out, call Cap One Lending now and we'll have your loan approved in an hour and ready to close in 10 days. 816-905-1111, 905-1111, or apply at caponelending.com.
Cap One Lending, making your dreams a reality is what we do.
Cap One Lending, a Kansas licensed mortgage company, license number MC0026341, NMLS Missouri license 2468614. Programs and rates subject to change without notice.
What does it mean to be the official information technology provider for the Chiefs? Everything. Technology Group Solutions makes sure everything runs flawlessly for the millions of fans that attend games and the hundreds of millions of fans that comprise Chiefs Kingdom around the world. Technology Group Solutions can deploy that same dedication, problem solving, and incredible service to ensure your business runs smoothly all day, every day, just like your Chiefs. Technology Group Solutions, powering Chiefs Kingdom and ready to do the same for you.
You're always better with a roof from JR.
Well, that was fun. And who says we don't get hurricanes in KC? That storm that blew through last week had Category 1 hurricane winds. And now, here come all the hail-chasing roofers. But there was no hail. And inspecting a roof for wind damage is a lot different than inspecting for hail damage. Unlike hail's dings and dents, wind damage likes to hide until the next storm when your roof leaks. That is exactly why you need to call JR & Company. With years of hurricane experience in Florida, locally owned JR & Company knows how to find the wind damage that others might miss. And they know how to deal with insurance adjusters on wind claims. As always, our inspection and your peace of mind are free at jrroofcheck.com.
You're always better with a roof from JR.
Visit jrroofcheck.com.
Tailgates in Turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey can be used for succulent sliders, killer kebabs, championship chili, or even brilliant burnt ends. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack worth nearly $2,000, including a portable Traeger grill, Yeti cooler, Chiefs gear, and much more at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot. Come on, KC, turn up your tailgate at tailgatewithturkey.com.
Has anyone seen Roger? Where's Roger? It's time to open the jewelry store.
Where is everyone?
Did they all take the day off?
At traditional jewelry stores everywhere, employees are quiet quitting and going to Diamonds Direct. Not just to work, but to shop. That's because even with employee discounts, Diamonds Direct offers all shoppers better selection and much better value. As a true direct importer of diamonds, Diamonds Direct has long-standing relationships deep in the world diamond industry, as well as the best diamond cutters across the globe, so they can say the quiet part out loud without the middleman markups. Diamonds Direct offers customers bigger, higher quality diamonds at a lower cost every day. Not to mention the best selection, the best customer service, best warranties, and best overall experience.
Hello.
Quiet quit paying too much for your diamonds. Go to Diamonds Direct. You won't be alone in how happy you are. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Get details, directions, showroom hours, and more at diamondsdirect.com.
It's too hot to cook. Make it easy with Old Shawnee Pizza and their Tuesday special. Any single topping pizza is just $12.99. That's right, only $12.99. Call or go to OldShawneePizza.com to order. Old Shawnee Pizza. 2 locations, Shawnee and Lenexa.
Ground shaking forces will rumble the Menards NHRA Nationals presented by Pet Armor, August 11th through 13th. Get your tickets today at NHRA.com for the Menards NHRA Nationals presented by Pet Armor, August 11th through 13th.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-330-2900. 800-330-2900. That's 800-330-2900.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs that will significantly reduce the amount you owe if you qualify. Accredited Debt Relief has helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. For this free information, call 800-786-3400. That's 800-786-3400.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. Technicians you can trust with your house keys.
Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. The technicians you can trust with your house keys for over 70 years. Receive 0% financing plus 12-year parts and labor warranty on a new cooling and heating system. Call 268-4669, Kansas or Missouri, or book online now at anthonyphce.com.
What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topics trending.
Number one on What's Trending, MLB trade deadline about 3.5 hours away. 5 o'clock today. Trade deadline will happen. The Royals making a couple moves in the last 24 hours. Yesterday evening, the Royals trading Jose Cuas, the reliever, over to the Chicago Cubs for outfielder Nelson Velasquez. Sounds like, based on J.J. Piccolo's comments at the teleconference, someone that they think maybe projects to be a right fielder. Certainly can play all 3 outfield spots. They would like to get him up to the big leagues at some point this year, but they got to maybe make some maneuvers later on. 24 years old, and tomorrow we will have J.J. Piccolo on the show, by the way. The other move today, even smaller move, has to do with someone that was DFA'd by the Angels just a couple days ago. Tucker Davidson, cash consideration, so they worked out a trade, but he was DFA'd. Yeah. And the Royals add a reliever. Basically, I view it as like you traded Kwas. This is someone that maybe could be Kwas for you this season and next year, and heck, you can even flip him next year if you need to. But no harm. The guy pitched in the World Series, started the game in the World Series.
Funny enough, it's like I think most people would have liked the trade better if it was Nicky for Tucker Davidson, and then they just paid cash for Hearn.
Optics.
So somehow this is just an optics thing now. All of a sudden, across the board, when you start looking at it. These are the kind of moves. They're being a little more transactional. I know they aren't big transactions yet, but you don't follow the Rays' day-to-day moves. They make a lot of little moves like this before they make the big moves as well. The Royals' big moves are more likely, in my opinion, to come in the offseason, although it's been made very clear from multiple national reporters that there is interest in Brady Singer, but that the Royals are asking the world, and you can't blame them. They're going to give up a young, controllable pitcher who has pretty good upside, then, yeah, you're going to ask for a lot. That's just the way it works. Next up on What's Trending. Wait, am I not supposed to say this? Were you in a fight with someone on the text line earlier about revealing the score of the U.S. Women's National Score Team game?
Oh, yeah. Someone was a little upset. They said, hey, guys, I'm DVRing the game. I hit mute just in time. You guys almost spoiled the U.S. Women's National Team game at 2 a.m.
It happened like
well, that's what
12 hours ago.
I wasn't in a fight with them. I just said, hey, it's 12 o'clock. It's a live sports show, and it was a live sporting event that happened. This isn't like movies where you get 3 days to catch up.
All right.
So, anyway.
Turn off your speaker for, or turn it all the way down. Don't turn it off. We like the ratings. But turn it all the way down for the next 15 seconds. The U.S. Women's National Team finished in a 0-0 draw with Portugal, making them finish second in their group because the Netherlands absolutely beat down Vietnam 7-0, who finished with 12 goals scored against and 0 goals scored. But they'll likely face Sweden. We don't know what the full breakdown is yet. But the U.S. women's team drawing, having a really hard time scoring in the early
they're
going.
lucky they got out of that with a draw, too.
Yeah, they were.
That goal off the post. Yeah, could have been a goal for Portugal. But no, I did not wake up at 2 a.m. and watch.
I also did not. I saw the highlights.
I woke up and I checked the score.
That's exactly what I did.
That's what I did. That's exactly what I did. Next up on What's Trending, we know I mentioned the Royals' impact on the trade deadline. The Royals are taking on the Mets tonight. Vern will have his on-deck show this evening. Zach Greinke's on the bump. The Mets, of course, are selling off, and there's reports that maybe Verlander could get traded before the deadline, and so they could have a different-looking roster, the Mets could, before tonight's game. Well, John Heyman reporting that several Mets minor leaguers are actually ready at the team's hotel here in Kansas City, waiting to take the place of players they expect to move. How wild is that? There's a bunch of minor leaguers for the Mets in a hotel already here in Kansas City because they recognize that some of these Mets players probably won't be available for tonight's game. It's kind of wild how that works.
Yeah, they're just all hanging out in the hotel, just kicking it down to the Intercontinental, waiting for something to go down.
I'm sure that's where they're at, yeah.
A lot of teams stay there. I'm sure that I'm not opening up some secret.
No, it's pretty well, I think, well documented by now.
Yeah, I don't know if they're there now. I don't know if that's where they stayed, but I thought that's just what
minor
we all
leaguers.
know.
Hey, look, if you don't end up getting called up today, at least you got a little trip and you can go back to where's the Mets AAA?
Get to order some. I don't know, probably like Synecdoche or something weird. Next up on What's Trending, a Nickelodeon Super Bowl. The NFL will have its first Super Bowl alternate telecast this season. CBS has the game. Nickelodeon is owned by CBS. It makes sense, as Nickelodeon will broadcast the game with production tailored to kids, just the same as they've done the NFL games, but for the Super Bowl. Someone earlier called it genius. They're like, this is perfect. That means even if I have to help my kids, if the game's on the other screen, I can still see the game, but I didn't have to bother my broadcast. The key being, you or I, adult people, and I have kids and you don't, we're not really wanting to watch the Super Bowl with the Nickelodeon version of it, right?
This is smart. Like I said, though, my only concern, you got to somehow make sure you got the other TV in the basement or something for the kids to watch it, because there's no way I'm changing my main TV for the Super Bowl to the kids' telecast. Just not happening. Your kids want to watch Nickelodeon, that's great. Got to be on a different TV. You can't make, if you're having a Super Bowl party, you can't make your other family members watch the Nickelodeon cast. You're watching the main cast of the Super Bowl. No chance am I watching the game on Nickelodeon. You got kids? Put them on a different TV.
Would you have, just out of curiosity, we all watch Nickelodeon a lot. At 12 years old, do you think you would watch the Super Bowl on the Nickelodeon broadcast?
I probably wouldn't, because my parents would have wanted to watch the main telecast as well.
But let's just say you were on your own TV, you're doing your own thing for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think I would have put the Nickelodeon one on too.
A kid, absolutely.
My guess is that even, because you and I at 12 both were interested in the Super Bowl, But I'm just trying to decide, like, would I have watched it and they were like, oh, putting Doug on there? I'd be like, yeah, probably. I mean, it would have been like a cross interest of my interest, the Super Bowl and Nickelodeon characters.
Someone said, what if Gold's dog wants to watch the Nickelodeon cast? No, my dog is trained to, I have a schedule on Sundays down pretty well. We do a little walk in the morning. By the time we get to Scott Hansen, NFL Red Zone, my dog usually sleeps for the first noon window of games. It's the 3:25 kickoffs that get a little tricky. A little tricky for the Chiefs' 3:25 kickoffs. Sunday Night Football is also easy. She'll sleep the second half of the game. We've got it figured out. Got to wear the dog out for the noon kicks. I can sit there, Red Zone channel. I got my bets. We're good to go.
I put my kids to bed at halftime of Sunday Night Football games.
It's like we got more years. You won't be able to do that.
We got a 15-minute window. Let's go. Why? Oh, because it'll be too early.
Well, the kids will get older. They won't be going to bed at 8:30.
But they're at their own. Put themselves to bed at that point. They don't need my assistant. I won't be able to put them to bed early. They can stay and watch the game, or they can go to bed.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Those are their choices at that point.
But you won't have the kids will still be up, is what I'm saying.
Dude, I don't know that there's a bigger parenting fight than
go to bed.
Then it's not just the going to bed. It's just establishing the routine you want them to have versus the one they want to have.
Okay.
It's, like you have a dream scenario of how bedtime goes, and they got other plans, really from birth.
Yeah, depending on the game, I think there are some parents that, hey, if the Chiefs are playing, it's a big enough game, that's one of the nights they'll let the kid maybe stay up a little bit later. It just depends. Everybody's different on that.
If my kids start showing more of an interest in sports, I'd be willing to do that.
Because my older nephew, I think he's been allowed to stay up a little bit for some of those, not always, but for some of those Sunday night games because he's really into it now.
Yeah, my kids aren't yet.
I think he's about the same age as Ruby, I think.
Yeah, my kids aren't yet, so we're not going to...
Yeah. Don't start it if you don't have to, yeah.
No. It's going to go to bed at the normal time.
That's what's trending here on Cody and Gold. Again, we'll be back up in St. Joe tomorrow, thinking of the Chiefs and watching some football. We'll be up there and expect to have a member of the Chiefs join us exclusively here on 610 Sports Radio. Looking forward to visiting everybody up in St. Joe. Hope to see some of you up there. Someone mentioned that their daughter was going to camp. There's some camp group or something to say hello. Again, stop on by. We'll hope to say hello to. It says their daughter's summer camp will be up there. Please give a shout out to Casey at camp. Thanks, guys. Well, there you go. Tell them to come on by.
That's a cool summer camp trip.
It is. Yeah.
Makes all the sense in the world, except for you got to keep track of that many kids in a public setting. But that's pretty much every trip. So you take a kid to the zoo. Remember? I had to be the caboose.
I do remember.
I was in charge.
We were very concerned how they let you do that.
The back of the zoo line, man. Teacher said, "You're the guy. You're the guy for this job." She made me feel. This is why she's a teacher. She made me feel like my job was important. Even though it probably wasn't. It's like, I'm going to make sure that you don't let any kids get behind us.
I think Cody just wanted to go to the zoo. I think that's what it was.
I like the zoo.
Yeah. I just think that's why you I think you wanted to.
My daughter asked me to be the chaperone. My wife did the chaperoning for the previous field trip. She had asked if I would do this one.
Gotcha.
Man, where will next year's field trip be? Who knows?
The zoo again.
No, they do. They've got like grade specific ones. I just don't remember what they told us. They have ones that they
Science City.
Because like last year it was kindergarten. It was the orchard, and then first grade it was the zoo, and then second grade it was Science City or something else.
Makes sense, man.
They don't have Exchange City anymore.
Yeah, we've talked about that. We talked about Exchange City.
Quentin's too young. He didn't even run around with. He was
not true. I was the manager of the distribution center.
Oh, manager of the distribution center. That is the most adult job at the entire Exchange City.
What did you do? What were you doing?
Did you get good pay?
I was the one who, like, all the shops and stuff that they had to get, all the pipe cleaners and whatever that all the stores needed to have. I was in making sure all of the stores got the stuff they needed.
Okay.
Exchange City is so cool.
Who knew? I thought Exchange City closed before Quentin was that age.
Quinn's what, 23?
Hasn't been around in a long time.
24?
I thought maybe,
I mean, I was in fifth grade. I did that in fifth grade.
Yeah, that sounds right. One time, I think in fifth grade, instead of Exchange City that year, we did our own, like, Exchange City, but in the school, like, where you had to create a booth, and people
cool,
only had a certain number of tickets.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, people could provide goods or entertainment, and you only had a certain number of tickets in which you could spend on those things, so you had to be very careful about how you would spend your money.
All right, dumb question, because obviously I don't have any kids. Is Kaleidoscope still a thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
My kids have been.
Okay, I was wondering. That was always a fun. We did a field trip there.
Yeah, same.
I was like Kaleidoscope. That's okay.
So
good.
when I was
still around.
I don't know. Again, we're not that far apart in age, but at least a few years. When I was a kid, in Kaleidoscope, a parent wasn't allowed in there.
Right.
Now you're obligated to be with your child. The much more logical of the two situations.
Yeah.
But I was a kid, Swear to God, kids were not allowed in Kaleidoscope. You were just dropped off, and they're like, no, you're not allowed to be in here. We'll take care of this kid. And you're like, as a parent, who wouldn't agree to that? Be like, please, go ahead. I'm this close to dropping my kids off at the IKEA daycare that exists for free.
Oh, jeez.
The next time I go there.
No, Kaleidoscope.
Send them off.
I loved Kaleidoscope as a kid. IKEA,
Like a puzzle?
don't drop your kids off at the... Oh, come on,
Why? They got a big play area.
Cody.
You think my kids would prefer to play in a giant play area with movies or look at IKEA furniture? I'm pretty sure I'm helping them out, too.
I mean, that place is just just don't go there anyway.
Have you ever been to IKEA?
Of course. I have two things from IKEA, but just... yeah.
Too much for you?
Yeah, it is.
Overwhelming?
Yeah, the setup is intentional. It makes you weave through the whole thing. It just, no.
There's shortcuts. You just got through.
Yeah, but that gets confusing, too.
Yeah.
The cafe area is actually not too bad.
Good prices.
Not bad.
Do you guys know about the guy that recorded his own soap opera at an IKEA?
Oh, I thought you were going a different direction there. I thought there was a story of someone recording a different type of video at IKEA. I'm dead serious. I think that happened. I didn't think you were going with soap opera when you start with the S. What? Give me more background on the soap opera.
So the guy was like, two guys decided they wanted to film like their own TV show.
Okay.
And so inside of an IKEA, they've got all the furniture in there, and it's all pre-set up and everything.
Oh, I did see this. They did it like over the course of a year.
Yeah, they got like
something.
7 episodes before they finally got caught.
It's impressive, honestly.
Someone said their kids duped them, acted really interested in IKEA for about 30 minutes, and then turned monster on us. That sounds about right, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, the meatballs. You're right. The meatballs at IKEA. That's true. That's it right there. The meatballs. That's what you got to get if you're going to go to the cafe at IKEA.
I like that we all agreed that the new aquarium's going to be dope.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait. That'll be great. But it's not open till September, right? So we're getting close. We need a nice aquarium in KC, you know?
Now we do. What do you mean?
Well, we will.
I thought lame-ass Sea Life one down at Crown Center. Oh, it sucked.
I haven't been there.
Glorified.
Very long term.
Super expensive. Glorified. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Patrick Mahomes' new fish setup at his house is nicer than that one. I guess I'm not going to endorse with him anytime soon.
No, the new aquarium at the zoo will be pretty badass.
Yes, that one will be awesome.
Crown Center just catching strays.
Just that one, just the Sea Life place. I haven't been to Legoland. I'm sure it's fine.
Never been. That came way after I was way too old by the time that was here in Kansas City.
Yeah. I have little kids. So, I mean, it's logical that I would end up places like that. I'm just saying the aquarium one stinks. By the way, Justin Verlander has been traded to the Astros.
Oh, he's going back to Houston. Good. I like that. Good for the Astros on that one. Makes sense.
Wait, hold on. I'm seeing now that the person who reported that is Bob Nightingale, and I'd like to reserve the right to change that report.
Usually,
he's wrong.
Usually when it comes to a trade being done, he's not right. He's usually more wrong about like, I think this is going to happen and it never does. When it's a trade, he's usually pretty good on that.
Okay. All right, I'll give you credit then. I'll let him off the hook. He sometimes is hit or miss.
I want to like halfway press the breaking news sounder.
Yeah. Just play the first half, but not the second half.
Yeah, but it's so quick that I don't think I could stop
Honestly,
it.
he's a perfect fit. Houston is obviously in another really good spot. Justin Verlander's had a ton of success there.
And the Rangers are all in, so you got to counter that if you're the Astros.
Kind of.
What's your counter punch? The Rangers went out and got Max Scherzer, so you go and get his teammate, Justin Verlander, and yeah, he's familiar with the...
the Mets plan
backfired.
Fell apart in a massive way. They went out and got Justin Verlander, had Max Scherzer, two of the biggest names, massive dollar deals, huge, and then still ended up shipping both of them out of town before they even got to August. Well, I guess I got to August 1st. That's it. But still, massive backfire.
And the Royals are playing the Mets starting tonight. You're going to be taking on a team this series that is just completely done. Like in terms of like they've thrown
lifeless.
Scherzer, Verlander, who knows what else they trade. It'll be probably a weird vibe around that organization for this series against the Royals. I know the Royals are making trades as well, but still a little bit different when you're trading Scherzer and Verlander than trading Jose Cuas.
Someone correctly calling him bang the drum, Justin. Yeah, that was at least part of his. Now, in fairness, that didn't help Justin Verlander. That was a hitter-specific cheating.
Right.
So
someone says, I'm a manager at IKEA. Come on by, Alex. We'll hook you up. Promise you Smaland. Our daycare is legit. Am I even pronouncing that right?
I don't know. Never sent my kids there. Feel like now I'm willing to make the move.
You
If
keep
this
saying
person's
send your kids there like you're going to drop them off and leave. I'm pretty sure you go shop while they're in the daycare. I don't think you can just drop your kid off and leave IKEA. I don't think that's how that works.
Okay, now everyone else. Good for Nightingale. Got that scoop first.
Yeah.
Now everyone else is confirming the report from Bob Nightingale that the Houston Astros have a deal in place to acquire Justin Verlander. I guess
the question about with what the Mets did, spending all this money out in the offseason, do you think that there are other organizations that are going to use their failures as an excuse to not spend money?
No, they will instead use the Mets' failure. They, in a way, Quentin, yes and no. They won't excuse their failures. They'll just be like, what do you want us to do? Spend $200 million and end up like the Mets? They'll use it as a barrier to protect themselves. And honestly, I was curious to see how the Mets. I've never seen a baseball
the
team.
Padres this year too, man.
I've never seen a team or teams spin the way those two did in order to try to just one off a World Series. I've seen it in football. I've seen it in basketball. I've seen it in other sports. I've never seen a baseball team in 1 year. I've seen the Yankees eventually acquire tons and tons, but I've never seen a team just in 1 year be like, nope, we're winning the World Series this year. It failed spectacularly.
Yeah, I like seeing a team not able to just basically try to buy a World Series. I mean,
you said you hated that from the beginning.
To me, it's good for the sport, actually, that this flopped for the Mets. I get there's concern like, oh, some teams won't spend, but to the extent that they did it, I think it's actually good for the sport that the Mets couldn't just one-off season with their new owner, Steve Cohen, say, you know what, we're going to spend X amount of money and go win a championship. I'm glad for that reason it backfired.
But I will be bummed if some point this offseason, JJ or John Sherman or something at some point say things like, hey, you can't just spin your way out of problems. I could go spend $100 million this offseason. It wouldn't make us better. You'd be like, chill. I still want you to spend the money. I definitely,
There's a balance.
if I'm a fan, I prefer my owner take the chance and spend all the money and it fail than not even try to spend the money. You know,
the Mets are like a 5 game below 500 team, obviously much better than the spot that the Royals are in. But yeah, I mean, there's a balance to it because the Royals could.
Now they're going to get all these prospects
because the Royals could have spent like $100 million this offseason, and Cody, they'd be pacing for what 68 wins. You know what I mean? Like, so there is a balance. I get what you're saying. There's a balance to all of it.
Yeah,
but the Royals going to take. I mean, what's the Royals? What's the
Someone's saying, are we taking the Royals money line right now?
I mean, you're taking on a Mets team that's got to be just
lifeless. They just got to be down.
Lost all these guys, and now they're throwing in the towel. And
got Greinke on the mound. He's only got the one win on the season, so he's probably.
The Royals are plus 130 tonight. Plus 130 on the money line.
I'm in. Text line if you are 816.
$10.
I'll put
$100 bet wins $30.
I'll put
or 130. I'm sorry, $130.
I was going to say, excuse me. I'm going to put 20 on it. You want to put some money on this together?
Not
really. $20 on the Royals money line.
I need to get together.
No, just like as a pact, not as like a shared bet.
Yeah.
As in, I am going to bet on my phone the Royals at plus 130. You should also do it. The text line should also do it. Let's all be in it together, rooting on the Royals tonight to take down the Mets. The villains in this scenario. When's the next time Jordan Lyle's on the mound?
Well,
Friday or Saturday?
You just pitched Saturday or Sunday, right?
Yeah. Just trying to figure out the next
win
time
number
we get
3.
close to this bottle of Dom. That's all.
Win number 3, Lyles.
If he gets to 3, I'm going to start thinking that we got a possibility here. We might be back in the game.
Well, that would be 2 wins in a row if he gets to 3. So it'd be interesting. Alec Marsh is pitching Wednesday. Brady's on Thursday, assuming he's with the team.
That's probably Friday or Saturday.
And Friday's to be determined when they play the Phillies.
As in, they just haven't announced it yet.
Yeah.
Jordan Lyles isn't hurt, so we know he's going to throw again.
It's just not that far out, yeah. Things change sometimes.
You know the one thing about
sorry, I was going to say some.
Go ahead.
Looks like a injury update for Cincinnati. Their running back who will, remember, they don't have Samaje Perine anymore. It's just Mixon, and then they drafted Travion Williams is there as well. Travion Williams just carted off the practice field there in Cincinnati. We know they like to use 2 running backs, but that looks like a significant injury for Bengals number 2 back, I believe, Travion Williams.
They say front or back of the cart.
What's the video look like? Let's see.
Because that's really the inevitable question, as we know.
He is getting major help. 2 people helping him to the back of the cart.
That's not great.
He can't walk.
Well, I guess we'll get an update with her as we go later. Do you think the Astros or the Rangers are the eventual World Series champion? Do you think it's coming from one of those 2 teams?
Yeah, I do. So there was a fun bet. Now the odds aren't as good now. About 3 weeks ago, we talked about this on BetQL, a betting show I do on Saturday. You could have bet, will the World Series champ come out of the state of Texas at plus 450, or you could bet the AL West winner at plus 400. I'm like, I'll bet the plus 450.
I get two teams.
You basically
for
lose.
better odds.
You would have lost the Mariners, but the Mariners aren't doing that this year. They're not going to make the playoffs probably this year. So I would rather just bet the state of Texas one versus bet the divisional one.
Yeah, absolutely.
The one intriguing team now suddenly that is kind of moving all in a little bit, that is gaining steam. I don't know if they'll get there. The Cubs, all of a sudden, the Chicago Cubs, the Brewers
playing a lot better.
The Brewers have lost a couple in a row. They got to first, then the Reds now are back in first. But the Cubs are kind of an interesting team. They might actually have a chance to surprise people. They're not going to
get yourself Scott Barlow, Chicago.
They're not going to trade Cody Bellinger, who's been amazing this year. Looks more like the guy that was an MVP type of guy. So we'll see. Can't wait. Rangers and Astros when they play each other. You get Scherzer against Verlander now.
That'll be fun.
Be a lot of fun.
Fun.
We're back at it tomorrow. We'll be in St. Joe at Chiefs training camp broadcast.